The story begins with the birth of the story's main character, Lelis. The hero of our story is Enoch Lumenstein, a knight with a dark past, the father of the main character. Looking at the baby, he decided that she was a real angel. Enoch is afraid that Lelis will not recognize him as her father when she grows up. However, he loves his daughter and promises to take care of her. Enoch decides to take care of her after a tragedy happens to her mother. The child was created to continue the glorious line of knights. Since childhood, the girl has had grandiose plans that she would grow up to be a real aristocrat. And when she grows up, she will continue her father's work. She will become a knight, like any government dog. But looking at her, Enoch decides that a different future awaits the girl. Enoch does not want his daughter to live, just as he wants her to have a bright future. Enoch makes a difficult decision to protect his daughter from a future of court intrigue. Enoch looks at what surrounds him, at the ashes and darkness that remain after the war. Enoch doesn't want his daughter to live on the warfield. A soft and ingratiating voice calls out to Enoch, asking if he wants to escape. A real beauty, Zelton, the child's mother, calls out to him. She wonders how Enoch wants their child to live. Enoch doesn't want their daughter to live in such disgusting conditions. Zelton gently reminds him that this is her child too. Enoch fixes his gaze on the baby, snoring peacefully in his arms. Enoch invites Zelton to leave together, and she is shocked by his proposal. Zelton thinks that Enoch is more impulsive than she thought. Zelton reminds Enoch that they are aristocrats and will remain so. Zelton believes that the future awaits the baby, just like them, with a terrible outcome. She says that she didn't expect anything else from him, and she doesn't expect anything else from the girl either. Zelton asks Enoch to go, and she herself walks away. Enoch understands that the mother doesn't care about their daughter, and she won't go with him. He tells Zelton that he is going to Zeno and will not stay here for long. Zelton accepts his decision calmly. She doesn't care. On that day, the Empire's swordsman, Enoch Lumenstein, disappeared. We are shown the wilderness of Zenon 7 years later, and a nice little house. A certain man will be the main character, greeting the new day. The baby grew into a charming girl named Lilith. She is woken up abruptly and asked to brush her teeth and go have breakfast. A man in a cherry apron and a fake smile, that's what our hero became. Our hero's name is James Brown, and he makes the best scrambled eggs in the world. Lilith is being naughty because she can also smell broccoli. The man, despite his daughter's protests, persuades her to eat vegetables. After all, if she eats it, she will get a delicious macaroon with apple jam. The girl is terrified. They are trying to bribe her with delicious cookies, but she agrees with her father, since the craving for sweets is stronger. Lilith thinks that 2 pieces of broccoli won't hurt her. James Brown is happy that he has such a cute daughter and kisses her on the cheek. The girl's name is Lily Brown, and she is gradually remembering her past life. But now she has no time for memories of her past life. She lives with her father, a house husband who is a super dad. Lilith Brown is a typical time traveler. Memories began to torment her at the age of 3, and at 7 she remembers everything. And the action of the fantasy world takes place in the novel The Rebellion of Dos. In her past life, she was a recluse, a graduate student. At the age of 25, she died from overwork and slaving over her dissertation. Now she has found herself in the world of the novel, since the work of her previous life was a dissertation with a study of the world of the novel. Father carefully asks Lilith how to style her hair. Like a bunny or like a princess, Lilith chooses a ponytail. James tells her with a laugh that she doesn't even reach his waist. Despite her high intelligence, our heroine is even smaller than a 5-year-old child. In the end, she agrees to a bunny tail. As a result, Dad makes a hairstyle that looks like bunny ears. James asks his daughter to play at the neighbors because he needs to go to the market. He says that he would take the princess with him, but now there are scary men walking around. Military men. He forbids Lilith to go with him, despite all the girls' protests. We are told that the scary guys are military men, the kingdom's elite warriors, searching for gifted children. In the world of the novel, people are divided into 2 types: gifted, those who use magic, and ungifted, those who live without magic. The gifted live like aristocrats, but at the same time, they are divided into a strict hierarchy. Ordinary people don't reach the level of being awarded a title. Lilith believes that her dad is ordinary and lives a typical life. Lilith enjoys life with her single dad in the countryside, but her father is clearly hiding a secret from his daughter, which he wants to reveal to her over time. He also feels good when the princess is next to him. He gives the girl to his neighbor, Miss Susan, and asks her to take care of her. The neighbor, a red-haired woodcutter, didn't even believe that this withdrawn man was her father, who appeared out of nowhere. Susan tells her that one day her father came home with a baby in the middle of the night. She complained that the baby cried no matter how much he fed. Susan then picked up the baby and examined her and realized what was going on. As a result, the child began to be fed grated banana and apples. She endured hunger and wanted to say it in her own way. From that day on, James became more polite and greeted the family, grateful for saving his daughter. Susan says that she was the one who taught James everything. Then, Susan's husband starts playing cards with the girl for acorns. She happily announces that he has a royal flush and takes all the acorns. But Lilith doesn't give up. She has a full house, counter hit. Lilith is happy that she defeated the big guy and takes all the acorns. The girl decides to help around the house and go wash clothes. She thinks that when Dad comes back, he will be tired of washing. Susan starts arguing with her about where the underwear is. Lilith thinks she will wash the clothes because they are her dad's underwear. Lilith knows that Dad doesn't like it when she does his laundry, but still, in her past life, she was an orphan, and the appearance of a new father in her life meant a lot to her. Lilith decided to grow up and thank her dad for everything. Lilith believes that she will enjoy life with her dad, in a world where they are not gifted. Suddenly, Lilith hears the sound of hooves, and someone is rapidly approaching. Lilith became wary. Who could it be, and what did they want from her? A knight and his sacred paladins appear before Lilith. In front of her are Knights of the Dose, rank with the Empire's coat of arms on their uniforms. The knight orders Lilith to be taken with him, and the girl is frightened. What awaits our heroine next? Lilith is grabbed by the scruff of the neck with all her might and lifted into the air like a rag doll. The Jedi wand glows, and it is revealed that Lilith has a gift. The knight believes that she has a gift. For this, he simply looked at the girl. The knight abruptly asks Lilith where Enoch is, and Lilith doesn't understand what he's talking about. Lilith asks why Enoch's name has only just surfaced. Enoch was a master swordsman, a duke, and the commander of a squad of holy paladins. He lost his daughter and raised a boy named Jesse as his own son, according to the canon of the novel. Lilith realizes that the action begins before the original novel, where Enoch's daughter is still alive. Lilith tells the knight that he has completely misunderstood everything. Lilith pretends to be dizzy and asks to be put back in her place. Lilith tries to remember the name of the knight in front of her in the novel. Lilith asks about Enoch, and the knight replies that he is looking for him. Lilith lies when she says she looks like her mother, and her father is not Enoch. The knight notes the girl's intelligence, but he is clearly unkind. Lilith hears her name being called, and someone is looking for her. She turns happily towards the voice, recognizing it a mile away. Her father orders his daughter to be released. Otherwise, the knight will be in trouble. Lilith is horrified. She knows that threatening the paladins is a serious matter. Lilith begins to beg the knights to let her go and spare her father. Lilith lies that her father is a 27-year-old single man who lost his beloved wife, and she is all he has. But Lilith is thrown to another knight like a stuffed toy. The knight approaches James, and someone's blood is about to be spilled. The knight does not believe Lilith's words and wants to see everything with his own eyes. James points his stick at the knight and orders him to let go of his daughter. The knight conveys to the young man the words that the Emperor commands Enoch to return and become a paladin again. Lilith screams that her dad is not Enoch, and they were mistaken. James is told that 7 years have passed, and he is being called upon to end it all. James is accused of desertion and is subject to immediate execution. However, the merciful Emperor is ready to forgive James for his military merits. Lilith doesn't like what they're talking about. Disobedience to the Emperor is punishable by death. Enoch is required to return to the Order and fulfill his duty to the Emperor. The knight orders him to immediately pack his things and leave the village. James is silent, the wind blowing his hair across his face. Lilith doesn't believe that James can handle it and that the Emperor is telling the truth. James believes that the Emperor is lying and does not care about the kingdom he created. Lilith decides to run away, but she is not allowed to, and the knight holds her tightly. Lilith falls off her horse, and it seems like she's going to break something. Lilith rushes to her daddy and runs as fast as she can, but Lilith is suddenly grabbed by the scruff of the neck and is not allowed to escape. Lilith asks her father not to interfere, as the knight does not intend to kill her. Lilith quickly apologizes to Sir Knight. Lilith practically begs the knight to spare her father. Lilith agrees to everything in order to cooperate instead of her father. Lilith apologetically says that everything is not so bad, and she forgets her father's last name. Lilith begs to go with the knight in exchange for James's life. The knight suddenly picks up the baby and holds her in his arms. Lilith turns around, wondering where the knight's gaze is directed. There is a blue energy emanating from her daddy that is getting stronger and stronger. The knight is ready to fight the paladin at any cost. The knight fights James. He is ready to defeat him. James's hair is caught in the wind and turns silver. Before us is no longer James Brown, but the scourge of the Empire, Enoch. Enoch is ready to fight the Emperor's knight to the death. The knights decide to fight, and the paladin orders Lilith to be taken away. Lilith pretends that she didn't know about her father's nature. Lilith is surrounded by a bright glow and is thrown off by a strong wind. Enoch and the paladin prepare to attack, fighting with swords. The knight thinks that Enoch found it amusing that he was tracked down by the Emperor's servant. Enoch menacingly asks how he intends to subordinate him to the Emperor's will. The knight fights Enoch and barely parries his blow. Enoch asks him how dare he touch his daughter. Their swords cross, and they are ready to kill each other. Another knight threatens to kill Lilith by putting his sword to her throat. Enoch is ordered to surrender and obey the Emperor's orders. Enoch thinks they have no honor if they threaten him with his child. The paladin explains that he is merely carrying out the Emperor's orders. Enoch is stubborn. He renounced his name for his daughter many years ago. The knight believes that Enoch made the wrong choice. Enoch puts a sword to his throat and orders Enoch to follow him to the palace. Another knight reminds him of what will happen if he does not obey. Lily screams for them to stop immediately. Lilith didn't even know that her father was Enoch, who was a great knight. Lilith decides to do everything possible to bring back her peaceful life. Lilith answers for Enoch that they will carry out the Emperor's orders. Lilith happily announces that her father is ready to return to the order. Lilith is unhappy that she looks like her mother. Enoch didn't know how to explain to his daughter that she was found because of her mother, whom the girl resembled. Enoch wonders where his daughter gets her intelligence from. He asks how Lilith managed to convince the knights of everything. The knights actually bought the girl's lie and let them go. Enoch suggests that the girl run away before their lie is revealed. Lilith decides to have a serious talk with her father. They will not return home, but will go to the Empire, to the Order. Lilith asks her father to do this for her, as she wants to live proudly. Lilith naively decided to enter the academy and become gifted. Enoch is horrified that his 7-year-old daughter knows about what he was trying to hide. Lilith is lying. She says that her uncle, the woodcutter, told her everything. Enoch doesn't know what to do next with Lilith. Enoch tries to explain to her that he had no idea that the day would come when the Knights of the Order would come. Lilith listens in horror to her father and the truth about how he ran away from service. Enoch doesn't want his daughter to grow up as a gifted child. Gifted people are treated like aristocrats at court and always have a lot of money. But with money comes responsibility. They must give and dedicate their lives to the Emperor. Enoch believes that the battlefield is no place for children. Enoch remembers that his friend, whom he met, was buried right there the next day. Enoch is afraid of the front, and now he has a reason to live. His daughter. Enoch doesn't want his daughter to end up like he once did. Enoch remembers how when Lilith was born, she became his whole world. Enoch hugs her. He cannot survive life if he loses his daughter. Lilith wants to help her father, but she doesn't know how. In the original novel, Enoch returns to the Order to avenge his daughter. The knight took on this role and planned a revolution in the country. Lilith sadly realizes that she will die in a few years. The imperial family will introduce a policy against the incompetent, and it will kill everyone. Lilith's father becomes the only hope in this war. Lilith decides to prevent the horror from the original novel. She doesn't want innocent people to die. Lilith decides that she will definitely not run away. Lilith seriously asks him if his desire is to run away all his life. Lilith sadly announces that she has changed her mind about her father. Lilith dreams of fame and becoming a powerful noblewoman. Lilith shares her plans for a happy life with her father. Lilith puts on a sweet face and tearfully asks to join the Empire. Lilith believes that Dad won't have to chop wood and do hard work. Lilith's father is against his daughter's decision to go to the palace. Lilith decides to throw him a tantrum along the lines of, "Why didn't you tell me who you were?" Lilith angrily tells her father why he doesn't want her to live as a gifted. Lilith reminds him that he didn't even ask her opinion. Lilith naively believes that she will become a real princess in the castle. She shocks her father with cruel phrases that she is no longer Enoch's daughter. Lilith claims to ask the knights, uncles, to take her to the palace. Enoch is horrified. The end of his peaceful life has come. His daughter has rebelled against her father. Enoch gives in to the weight of little Lilith's arguments. Thus, they leave a house full of childhood memories. Lilith looks out the window and realizes that life as an extra is over. The carriage with Lilith travels through the dark forest, rushing faster and faster towards the Empire. Lilith was very tired and exhausted from the day. Lilith simply collapses from exhaustion in her father's arms. Enoch worries about his daughter, and Lilith notices something strange in the window. The knight informs them that werewolves are following them. Scary wolves are approaching them, baring their sharp teeth. The knight orders them to move on. He will deal with the werewolves. Father orders Lilith not to stick her head out of the carriage. Enoch warns the knight that if something happens to Lilith, he is a corpse. Enoch grumbles that he's taking too long to deal with werewolves. The werewolves show no mercy. They are ready to tear Lilith's father to shreds. The knight reassures a frightened Lilith that her father can handle it. Enoch cuts the werewolves in half with one blow of his sword. All that remains of the werewolves is a bloody mess. Lilith had never seen her father fight so bravely. Lilith's father rubs his hands so calmly, as if everything is a trifle for him. The knight and Enoch begin to argue over trifles. Lilith thinks her father is too strong. To get to the capital, they need to cross the big Yulfasha temple. Lilith changed into a different outfit to fit in with the aristocrats. The knights are surprised at how thin our main character is. The knights vied with each other in asking whether our heroine had ever been beaten. Lilith remembers that Enoch did not beat her, and the knights think that he raised her strictly. Lilith cheerfully replies to the knights that she has never been beaten by her father. The knights tell her that Enoch is very scary when he is angry. They say he tears bears apart with his bare hands. They tell Lilith that he was a cold man who was known as a rather harsh person. They turn to the mysterious knight and ask if he was not close to him. The knight seemed familiar to Lilith. Lilith remembers everything connected with the young man. His name is Axion, and he is Enoch's comrade. Axion can't just be an extra. The knights are actively discussing Axion's failure to kill Enoch. Lilith feels that her dad has arrived, and she is happy to meet him. Enoch, with his silver hair and ice-blue eyes, looks very impressive. He speaks in a soft voice to his daughter, who is ready to listen to him. Enoch picks up Lilith in his arms, and asks something about the angel. He calls the girl a true embodiment of an angel. In short, he coos over her. He thinks he looks terrible while he wears all these rags. Axion notes that Lilith's father is very strange. Enoch continues to coo at his daughter as Axion calls them to follow him. They follow Axion into the dark circle that has appeared in the darkness of the columns. So the heroes find themselves in an expensively furnished palace. They are met by some bishops who are glad to see Enoch return. They bless Enoch for his upcoming exploits. The bishops wonder if a feast is needed for Enoch to mark his arrival. Enoch coldly insists that his return be without any celebrations. Enoch worries that his daughter is tired and will no longer be the energetic girl she used to be. We are shown the Empire Square, full of all sorts of people. Enoch demands that they move forward and not be distracted by the townspeople. Enoch is worried about his daughter, whether she will be able to cope on her own 2 feet. Enoch asks Lilith to tell him if she feels unwell. Lilith decides to focus until she gets it right. She decides that they should follow the original story. Someone greets Knight Enoch as he walks through the city. Enoch was already tired of the attention the townspeople were showering on him. Lilith wonders what kind of country this is. Is it really Muslim? She reflects on how hard it has been for people here. She decides to find another person who will be friends with his father. Lilith thinks it will be Cheshire, one of the knights who experienced a traumatic event in childhood. She decides to arrange a meeting between Cheshire and Enoch. It's very difficult for her to find Cheshire among so many people. They see some shadows among the numerous houses. Enoch thinks there is some kind of fight ahead and wants to move on. Lilith asks her father to intervene, but he is as cautious as ever. Lilith begs her father to intervene, whether he likes it or not. So they enter an alley where boys are fighting with someone. The boys are clearly beating someone, and very badly. This boy has dark hair, red eyes, and a puffy look. The boys stop as soon as they see our gang. The main bully says that the boy didn't greet him, so they beat him up. Lilith is horrified at how someone could beat an innocent child. The boy says that the rank of Octave is the weakest of all. Boys begin to think about their behavior. Enoch orders them to get out, or else they will be in trouble. The boys begin to make excuses, but Enoch again asks them to leave. Lilith thinks that life in the capital is simply terrible. The father turns to his daughter again, sitting down next to her. Lilith approaches the boy and asks if he is okay. The child is clearly bleeding, and the girl is worried about him. Lilith offers the boy to deal with his bruises, but he rudely pushes her away. He doesn't want to accept her help. Lilith decides to apologize for touching him so harshly. Lilith thinks that the boy is unlikely to want to touch her. The child is very beautiful, with those ruby eyes and dark hair. Suddenly, something dawns on the girl as she looks at the boy. Lilith suddenly realizes that the boy is one of the main characters. Lilith is afraid to find out that in front of her is the Cheshire Cat she imagined as an adult. A man asks a boy what his name is. The boy walks away, trying not to look at the worried Enoch. He even moves away from Enoch abruptly. He's just a gloomy guy. Lilith suddenly pounces on the boy, wondering what is going on. Enoch reminds her that there are people who don't like nobles. They decide to leave the boy as he is. Enoch looks sadly after him and says nothing. Lilith believes that the action of the original novel is about to begin. Lilith asks if she can meet and be friends with whoever she wants. Enoch asks in surprise who she means. Lilith becomes curious if she can be friends with commoners. Enoch tells Lilith that everything is fine, and she can be friends with anyone. He says that as long as she is happy, she can communicate with whomever she likes. So Lilith cheers up and continues on her way. Lilith continues to worry about the boy she met. Lilith wants to be friends with him, and in this frame, she is just a cutie. Lilith persuades her father to find the boy. She wants to be friends with him. Enoch laughs. Lilith is just terribly funny. Enoch jokes. He created an angel and asks Lilith to find him. Enoch promises that they will find the boy, and she will become friends with him. Lilith knows the original novel and knows where Cheshire lives. So our heroes come to Lord Onyx's estate. A certain voice decides to throw the boy out to the dump and to his fate. The men argue about whether they can throw the boy out into the street. One of them does not want to be the father of an illegitimate boy. They decide to lock the boy up and raise him in secret. One of them says he can't even breathe with the boy. Suddenly, the child's father notices something. He warns his son that he will never communicate with his son. His legitimate son is full of hatred towards his little brother. The legitimate son pounces on Cheshire and swings at him. Cheshire takes his blows calmly, and he is used to living like this. But suddenly, the legitimate son becomes slower in his blows. Cheshire ponders whether he has abilities at all. Cheshire thinks about death, and he is glad that the blows have finally ended. He takes out of his pocket the handkerchief that Lilith gave him. He remembers the sweet girl who wanted to help him. The Cheshire Cat doesn't even know why he took the handkerchief. Cheshire decides he just wants to die. At this time, Lilith sees something bright and unusual, and she is delighted. In front of them is a luxurious palace in the French style, similar to Versailles. Enoch decides to ring the bell so that the gates will be opened for him. Lilith asks him to wait, as she needs to prepare herself. We are shown the luxurious alleys and park inside the castle. A whole crowd of his former servants runs out to meet Enoch. One of them is the mustachioed butler Rem, delighted with the news that his master has returned. He was very surprised by who else he saw. He was glad to see Lilith. Lilith curtsies and introduces herself to Rem. Rem introduces himself as Remion Santos, but his name is Rem for short. The maids all say that Lilith looks very cute. Enoch is eager to go home, and Rem forgets his manners. Rem apologizes and promises to take Enoch and Lilith inside the house. Rem says that he expected nothing less from Enoch. Lilith is about to meet Enoch's father, from whom an oppressive feeling emanates. Nordic Rubinstein has impressive abilities and is a nobleman. In the original, he was kind to Cheshire and cared for him secretly. Lilith believes that he will be kind to her and will not drive her away. Enoch is told that his sister has returned and that she is also here at the estate. Rem decides to see the servants off and enters the luxurious estate. A wide door to the estate opens before Lilith. Lilith sees a magnificent chandelier and a long, ornate staircase. Lilith believes that everything around her is real gold. Enoch asks Lilith in surprise if everything is okay. Lilith says that she is moving forward too hesitantly. Lilith asks her father, who is walking quickly, to slow down. They enter a place where they are already awaited. A certain silver-haired woman is in shock. She is happy about Enoch. Enoch happily announces that he has returned and will not leave again. All eyes are now on his father, who is sitting on a chair. An old man of imperious appearance approaches them. Enoch says he is amazed at how old his father has become. The man swings his cane at him, and the woman asks him to stop. Lilith is scared. She is shaking all over from her domineering grandfather. The old man calls Lilith this creature, which angers Enoch. Nordic sternly reminds him that he shamefully ran away for 7 whole years. Lilith understands that the man is unlikely to say anything and be happy with her. Lilith is upset. She clearly did not expect such a reaction. Lilith apologizes, and Enoch tries to calm her down. Enoch asks his father to make his face softer and not to speak like that. Lilith is scared. She is afraid of her formidable grandfather. Nordic is getting closer and closer to Lilith, but then he gently touches Lilith and looks at her. Lilith is surprised by her grandfather's soft hand and his strange change in behavior. Enoch himself is surprised by what happened to his father. Lilith decides to introduce herself. She says that she is 7 and her name is Lilith. Lilith cheerfully tells him that she wants to be held, and she is happy to see him. Then comes a portion of hugs, and the man is happy about it. The man happily tells her that he is her grandfather. Enoch's sister decides to introduce the girl to her cousins. Lilith is shocked. She doesn't know if her cousins will like her. We are told about the twins of the Antras family. They are Enoch's nephews. One of them is a swordsman, The other is a knight. The woman warns her that one of them, Theo, is sick. But nevertheless, she brings the girl into the living room where the boys hang out. Lilith is scared. She expects to be mistreated by the boys. Lilith remembers that according to the novel, the twins died, but only with them was Cheshire real. Lilith decides that maybe she can change everything. The boys look like angels and are very happy to have their little sister. The mother mentions that even she cannot tell the difference between these rascals. She introduces the twins to Lilith, introducing her to them. One of them introduces himself as Theo Antres, and he is 12 years old. In the novel, Theo dies of a rare disease after being knighted. Lilith happily introduces herself to Theo, but something is clearly wrong. Theo is happy to see her, and the mother of the family decides to introduce the youngest, Leo, to her. Leo thinks that Lilith is a liar, since children don't look like that for 7 years old. The mother of the family introduces Lilith to both brothers. Leo is mischievous, and Theo is too sweet and naive. Mother reminds Leo of his manners and asks him to be more friendly. She reminds Leo of how he brought the ballerina Marika a live spider. The boy justifies himself by saying that she liked the spider. The woman believes that Marika lied to become friends with Leo. Leon, according to the novel, loves Cheshire the most, and he is more talkative. In the second volume, a large-scale battle takes place to exterminate monsters, and Leon dies there. Lilith looks like she's about to cry. She feels sorry for Leon. Lilith suggests that Leon catch a bunch of spiders to make friends. Lilith cheerfully informs him that she likes spiders too. Leon looks at her in surprise, and she wonders what's going on. Then Leon grabs her by the cheek and pulls her towards himself like a hamster. Lilith is hurt by what Leon is doing with an unwavering face. Everyone present was horrified that Leon could do this to the girl. Lilith, of course, starts crying when she sees them. Theo tries to comfort Lilith after what Leon did. Leon's mother scolds him for what he did and demands his apology. Leon decides to apologize, but it is clear that he is not happy. Lilith asks for forgiveness because she suddenly started crying. Lilith asks him that if he pinches her, then let him be gentler. Leon at this time looks at the girl, and he is clearly unhappy about something. Leon apologizes to the woman. He has no choice. We are shown the majestic Artress estate. A stunning sight appears before Lilith's eyes, causing her to open her mouth. In front of her are sliced and poured apples, trout, and strawberries. Rem calls everyone to eat, and the children happily sit down at the table to eat. The twins' mother smiles and asks Lilith to eat and not be shy. Lilith looks at the instruments and doesn't know where to start. Lilith wonders what Leon, who is sitting next to her, will eat. At this moment, Nordic enters and is greeted respectfully. Nordic informs them that Enoch will join them once he has sorted out his things. This is how a typical noble dinner at the estate begins. Unexpectedly, Leon is distracted from his food by his grandfather. He sternly tells Leon that he made a terrible noise. The mother of twins apologizes to the man for her son's behavior. Lilith thinks Leon is too troublesome as he knew. Nordic sternly reminds him that he is from a noble family. Leon is forced to live under complete control of his emotions and feelings. Nordic reminds him that he is the eldest and that other children look up to him. Lilith remembers that Nordic is the ideal example of a true nobleman. They bring her sliced pork and a cupcake with cottage cheese. Lilith never studied etiquette, and she doesn't know how to eat steak. Leon sternly asks Lilith why she doesn't eat anything. Theo asks if Lilith is full, but she is hungry and ashamed of her behavior. The twins' mother asks concernedly what happened. Lilith finds herself under the spotlight and doesn't know how to behave at the table. Lilith is afraid that her dad and everyone will be disappointed with her. The twins are worried about what happened to their cousin. Suddenly, Enoch enters, dressed simply, like a dandy. Lilith is glad to see her father. He is her salvation from this world. Suddenly, Leon stabs his knife into the steak in anger. Leon has no manners and tears the meat into pieces. Theo also begins to cut the meat at random and eat it, chomping. The mother of twins is horrified by her children's mannerisms. Theo gives Lilith some sliced meat, which is cut awkwardly. Lilith is glad that she was suddenly supported. The Geminis treat her very carefully, as if she were a jewel. Enoch is glad that Lilith was able to get along with her cousins. But Nordic looks rather dissatisfied. The man sternly calls them to eat. Lilith finally stuffs the pieces of meat into herself. Enoch looks with pleasure at Lilith, who is devouring the meat with both cheeks. Nordic sternly asks Lilith if she has eaten enough. Nordic watches Lilith for a long time, without taking his attentive eyes off her. Night falls and the estate looks like an Indian palace. Lilith is led into a nursery filled with toys, including a giant teddy bear. Enoch happily asks Lilith if she liked it. Lilith is happy. The bed is so soft and fluffy. Enoch lies down next to her and wants to talk to her about something. The conversation turns to the boy they met in the alley. Enoch tells her that he has almost found the boy. Just a little bit left. Lilith believes that now everything will work out for him. Her thoughts revolve around Cheshire, who is somewhere out there in the alley, all dirty and hungry. Cheshire is being raised at Onyx Manor and has not yet met Enoch. Enoch looks sadly at Lilith. He is not telling the whole story. Lilith suggests that dads sleep together while there is still time. Lilith decides to take care of her dad while she has time. Morning comes, and the estate is illuminated by bright, sunny light. Rem introduces Lilith to two maids, June and Jetty. Lilith is glad that her father is busy recuperating. The maids have undergone a rigorous selection process to become Lilith's handmaidens. Jetty says she is a master of painting and snack making. June and Jetty are sisters. Jetty is the eldest sister. June is a master of push-ups and squats. She is happy to serve Lilith. She has a personal record in sports. Lilith is pleased to meet the two maids. Women start cooing at the girl as soon as they see her. Rem asks them to stop and return to their duties. Rem informs Lilith that her classes will start soon. Lilith understands that the butler sympathizes with her. Lilith believes that she can handle anything and that she will succeed. Rem even burst into tears. Lilith's zeal was similar to her father's. The time for classes to start, which never happened, is approaching. This is how Countess Lena explains the number 4 to children, using the example of apples. Lilith is surprised that she is being forced to learn the multiplication tables at her age. Lena continues to tell them about multiplication using apples as an example. Lena sternly asks Lilith to answer, since she is shy. Lilith can't handle mathematical equations. Lilith understands that the multiplication table is too difficult for her age. Leon rudely interrupts Lena. Deciding to explain everything to her, Lilith decides that she needs to find Cheshire as soon as possible. Cheshire must be 11 years old, as he will be adopted at 13. Lilith is determined to help her father with Cheshire. Cheshire, many years later, will become his father's ally. Lilith realizes that she is stuck in class doing math. Lena then looks at the girl in surprise. The boys look at her in surprise, asking how she did it. It turns out that Lilith wrote down the multiplication table up to 19. Lilith realizes that she has given herself away, that she is an adult. Lilith doesn't know how to get out of the situation she's found herself in. Lilith suddenly realizes that not everything is so bad, because children who succeed in counting are a good thing. Lilith asks Lena if she wrote everything correctly. Lena doesn't understand if she did the right thing. Lena asks about the stupid apples and is surprised how this happened. Lena is surprised that the girl knows the multiplication table up to 19. Lilith tries to get out of it by mentioning the ill-fated apples. Lena thinks that the little girl in front of her is quite a heroine. Lena decides to help Lilith in her training, putting all her efforts into it. We are shown a mansion from the Sherlock Holmes stories. Lilith eats huge amounts of food with pleasure. The brothers decide to pamper Lilith with all sorts of desserts. Lilith is fed all sorts of desserts, which delights her. One of the brothers remarks that Lilith looks like a charming squirrel. Lilith happily stuffs herself with delicious desserts. Suddenly, a countess, a ballerina, appears in front of the doors of their mansion. A tall and kind woman, Miss Marika, also appears with the ballerina. Leon is hiding behind our heroine. He doesn't want to show himself. Theo recalls the incident with the spider and the ballerina. Erica meets our hero, and she is happy to see him. Erica finds Theo, or Leon, hugging his cousin. Erica is furious. Who is this girl who stole her glory? Leon sharply tells her that it is none of her business. Erica changes when she sees her mother and asks who Lilith is. But then Erica's opinion changes after learning who Lilith is. Erica immediately changes and decides to become friends with Lilith. The girl immediately decides to be friendlier and talks about herself. Lilith compliments Erica and says that she is beautiful. She chirps about how Leon belongs to her, which causes conflict in Leon. Next, Erica chats sweetly with Lilith and asks to call her big sister. Leon doesn't like all this. Lilith realizes that Erica likes bad boys like Leon. Night falls. The lights glow in the castle, and the castle itself is covered in a dark purple glow. The main character's dad bursts through the door of the room. He starts to squeeze Lilith, and the girl tries to understand what's going on. Enoch ate a few hours ago and is in great shape. Lilith talks about how she also ate with her cousins and aunt, and how she also ordered a dress from a tailor. Her father is happy that his daughter will now look like a princess. But before Lilith goes to bed, her father stops her. Enoch lies down next to her and asks what time Lilith worked until today. Enoch apologizes. His plan was to teach Lilith manners, but Nordic insisted on other additional subjects. Lilith reassures him, saying that learning is wonderful. Lilith tells Enoch that if she gets bored, she will let him know. Enoch is glad that studying comes very easily to her. Enoch delights his daughter by telling her that her math teacher thinks she's a genius. Lilith is surprised. She didn't expect this from her dad. Her dad hugs the girl and can't believe how smart she is. Lilith happily tells him that she is just like her father. Enoch thinks his daughter is a genius, and he doesn't have to worry. Lilith believes that she was able to make her dad proud of her, so she and dad rest all night and sleep hugging each other. Lilith takes her words back, trying to calm down. Lilith correctly realizes that she is a genius when she meets other scientists. Enoch asks Lilith to answer the questions of the man in glasses honestly. Enoch asks Lilith to say that if she doesn't know something, then let her tell him. Lena, on the contrary, thinks that the girl is a genius judging by her assignments. Nordic decides to teach Lilith magic and test her abilities. Nordic believes that the girl will study in the magic tower. His son does not quite agree with the decision of his domineering father. All gifted are called to serve the emperor, and the tower's followers ensure the gifted are kept in check. Enoch wants to ask his father something about Lilith. Nordic asks Lilith to do the same thing she did yesterday. Lilith realizes that all this is because of the math lesson. Basically, it's all because of the magic tower where formulas are needed. The study of mathematics allows us to prepare the best specialists in the field of magic. Lilith realizes that she is in a serious situation. The man in glasses points at someone. They show a young man with gray hair and yellow eyes. This is Oscar Manuel, who is the head of the magic tower. Lilith is shocked. She met such an important person from the tower. Oscar, according to the novel, is her father's enemy. The nobles and politicians were on Enoch's side. Lilith believes that she can end the war in the kingdom if they enlist the support of the mages. Lilith reflects on how she could never understand Oscar's motives. Lilith decided to write math problems like yesterday. The man with glasses and Enoch are shocked by Lilith. Oscar asks if they really brought him to look at the child. Oscar orders that everything the girl wrote be checked. The man in glasses begins to check Lilith's tasks. Oscar orders her to solve a math equation. Lilith decides to prove that she is a mathematical genius. Oscar indignantly asks how long he will have to wait for an answer. The man in glasses calms the girl down. He says that even experienced magicians cannot solve this problem. Nordic and Enoch praise Lilith despite what happened. Oscar thinks he wasted his time on that idiot. Enoch is ready to tear Oscar to pieces for his arrogance. Enoch commands Oscar to stop in a commanding tone. Enoch asks sternly what Oscar just said, and he repeats his rude words. Enoch demands that Oscar apologize to Lilith immediately. Oscar demands an apology for wasting his time. Oscar actually came to check out the rumors about Lilith. Enoch is shaking with rage when Oscar calls his daughter a fool. Enoch notes that this is impossible to solve, but Oscar has a different opinion. Enoch demands an apology, but Oscar refuses to apologize. Enoch screams that Oscar has no manners at all and is simply awful. Nordic turns to Oscar. He demands to end everything. Oscar notes that the nobleman he respected is no longer there. Lilith really wants to do something nasty to this vile boar. Oscar continues to say that Lilith is a loser, but her grandfather is even worse. Lilith hears Oscar calling for her to take care of the family that has been torn apart for 7 years. Lilith is determined to solve this problem. Lilith asks for 5 minutes to solve the problem. In return, Lilith demands an apology from Oscar. Oscar smiles smugly. He is sure that the girl will not succeed. Enoch tries to stop Lilith, but to no avail. Lilith looks coldly at Oscar, and then at the problem on the board. Enoch is shocked. Nordic is glad that Lilith defended the family's honor. Oscar looks gloomily at the board and at Lilith. Lilith calculates the serious task she has been given. Oscar apologizes to Lilith and her family for the insult. Lilith is surprised by Oscar's sudden change. Oscar has an opinion about Lilith's training. Lilith is becoming more and more serious. Then we are shown the imperial palace with its stairs and columns. Afterwards, there was dinner with Lilith and the whole family. Oscar wants to teach her, but Lilith can't make things much better. Lilith jumps when Oscar enters her room. Oscar loudly thanks for the food he was served. Lilith thinks that Oscar has changed a lot during this time. Oscar asks her if they can study some more. Suddenly, the task sheet is surrounded by a blue glow and flies into the air. Lilith talks about the magical coordinates needed to create a magical space. It is necessary to find magical vectors so that magic is systematic. Oscar asks her about numbers less than 0. Lilith decided to pretend she knew nothing. She understands that she will be taught about the concept of negative numbers. Unexpectedly, Oscar thinks that someone is small. Oscar suddenly started talking about how small Lilith was. Oscar thinks Lilith is too tiny to be used. For 7 years old, Lilith seems too small. Lilith thinks that Oscar knows something about her. Oscar thinks that she doesn't eat enough, which is why she isn't growing. Oscar wistfully tells her to eat more if she wants to work with him. Oscar believes that working in a magic tower will make her more serious. Lilith promises that she will eat well. Night falls on the palace, and the windows in the castle are brightly lit in the moonless night. Lilith remembers how the knights and brothers treated her. Lilith didn't even notice that she was the smallest of all the children. There was a reason why Lilith grew up slowly. She was not Enoch's daughter. Lilith was kidnapped by the Emperor and died as a minor character. Enoch asks Lilith if she wants to sleep. Enoch keeps calling Lilith a genius, which is getting annoying. Enoch thinks that his daughter is the best. She even raised her grandfather's spirits. Enoch states that Lilith's grandfather does not hide the fact that he likes his granddaughter. However, Lilith cannot fall asleep, no matter how Enoch asks her to. Enoch asks Lilith if she would like to sleep and listen to a book. The book is called The Princess Trapped in a Tower. Lilith's father begins to read books, but he himself will soon fall asleep. We are told about a kind king who pampered and cherished the princess. But when she was 7, the evil emperor kidnapped the king's daughter. The good king offered him treasures and was ready to become the emperor's servant. But he still did not return the princess to the king. Lilith feels uneasy when she hears the story her dad is reading her. Enoch asks his daughter if the emperor in the fairy tale is cruel. The good king once met a boy, a kind and brave lad. The good king accepted the boy as a son and decided to save his daughter. Lilith asks her father to continue reading. She becomes interested. But one day, the emperor reports that the king's daughter fell ill and died. Enoch is shocked by what he reads, but Lilith is interested in everything he reads. Lilith reassures her father that the story is not over yet. The good king decided to take revenge on the evil emperor for his daughter and the prince. The good king and the prince captured the emperor and decided to kill him. Enoch assumes the role of a knight and says that he will kill the emperor. At this moment, Lilith remembers that this scene was in a past life. Enoch watches in horror as what happens to his daughter. The girl glows with a blue light. Her silver hair is tousled by the wind. Lilith is older here, and she looks very much like a witch here. Enoch went out onto the battlefield many times after learning about his kidnapped daughter. His sword was pointed towards the emperor. We are shown Enoch fighting the emperor. The emperor hid Lilith after learning that she was a witch. The daughter, deceived by the emperor, began to recklessly kill people. Enoch Rubinstein wanted his daughter back, but he couldn't find a way to find her. But he was helped by an unexpected ally, a boy he had taken in. The one who stopped her was the adult version of Cheshire. Enoch is not very happy with how this tale ended. Enoch thinks that this story was not the best one, and from now on, he will read the stories himself before showing them to Lilith. Lilith asks the man if there will be a happy ending. Lilith believes that history would not have happened if the emperor had not kidnapped the girl. The knight asks his daughter if she understands that the princess is dead. Lilith believes that the princess was stupid and brainwashed. Lilith begins to argue with her father about the happy ending of the story. Lilith asks him if the good king was the main character. They begin to philosophize about what happened to the king. The knight reminds us that if the protagonist is unhappy, it does not mean a good ending. Lilith is surprised that her father didn't like the ending. In history, everything ended with the birth of a new empire. Lilith and the knight wonder what will happen at the end of the story. Lilith distracts her father from his dark thoughts. Lilith asks what would have happened if they had become the heroes of that story. Lilith wonders how her father would live without her. The knight says that he would not have survived this. Enoch hugs Lilith and says that he understands the knight's feelings. Enoch believes that he would have developed a plan of revenge against the emperor. Enoch shocks Lilith by telling her that if she has children, she will do the same. Enoch tells Lilith that he could not live without the princess once he lost her. Enoch asks his daughter not to worry so much when she looks at him. He assures his daughter that he will not allow her to get lost. Enoch tells her to deal with the emperor as well. Lilith is shocked that her dad would do such a thing. Enoch tells Lilith that she doesn't have to fight her father. Lilith thinks she can give the king a hard time with her magic, but her father won't let that happen. Lilith and Enoch agree to just go to sleep. Lilith can't understand a word her father says. He would certainly have asked for an audience with the king and dealt with him. Lilith understands how dependent her father is on the emperor. Even if Enoch had started the negotiations, he would still not have been free before the emperor. His weakness was his daughter. Lilith sympathizes with her father and the heroes of the story in general. Enoch was the only person willing to do anything for Lilith. Lilith believes that her daughter was only the beginning of the story. Everything was done so that her father would begin to take revenge for her. Lilith understands that, having avenged his daughter, the knight followed her to the next world. Lilith decides to prevent this ending and live happily with her father. Lilith wants her and her father to have a happy ending. With these thoughts, Lilith falls asleep under the canopy on her bed, hugging her father. We are shown an empire that looks like a city in Vienna. There is an organization called Primera, which gives ranks to the gifted and monitors their activities. Because of this, only emperor-ranked examples were born. The emperor of this country did not give birth to an example, which caused concern to everyone. We are introduced to Nicholas von Pavilion, Emperor Pavilion. When Enoch escaped, the emperor was simply furious, but Nicholas patiently waited for his moment to get what he wanted. The emperor rules for a long time because he is a Primera, and they live for a long time. Examples can also erase memories and subjugate people, but it would take a lot of power to subjugate Enoch to their will. Emperor Nicholas could not get rid of many of his enemies. Emperor Nicholas is delighted that Enoch will soon arrive at court with the gift of a daughter. We are shown a palace drawn to look like the Indian palace Taj Mahal. The maids ask Lilith if she is ready to study today. Lilith is dressed like Alice from Wonderland. Lilith notes that her legs, clad in elegant shoes, are too short. Lilith believes that she is too small and has never grown up. Lilith is afraid that if she doesn't grow up, she will reveal herself. Lilith plans to save Cheshire and then enroll in the Institute of Magic. Only those trained at the university can unlock their magic core, and only the Emperor can do this. Lilith believes that she will be able to use her powers to the fullest extent. Lilith overhears the maids talking about Emperor Nicholas having children of the rank of Quartus. The maids also doubt the Emperor, because he has no heir to Primera. They argue about how long to wait for Primera to appear. Jetty is surprised. Doesn't this happen already? Until today, primes were born only into the royal family and carried a certain power. Lilith is glad that the evil emperor is not so lucky. She believes that everything is working out the way she wants. The maids try to keep her busy by showing her a toy rabbit. Lilith decides to wear a new backpack with a bunny face, and she likes it. The girl stops June, who took her in her arms. Lilith asks the maid where the pharmacy is. A strange man who had just woken up approaches her. He is surprised, because in front of him now stands Enoch's daughter, Lilith. He is surprised that the girl knows that his name is Finn. Finn is worried that the girl is not feeling well. Lilith gives him beautiful flowers that she picked from the garden. The man says that he will definitely put flowers and admire them. Finn decides to ask Lilith, who came to him, about something. Finn learns that Lilith needs fairy tears. Lilith tearfully asks to take some salvation, fairy tears. Finn tells her that this is a rather rare herb for aristocrats, but he can give it to the girl. Lilith wants to make some tea for her father. Finn admires how kind Lilith is. Lilith decides to write her name on the doctor's visiting list. Lilith did it. She managed to get what she needed. She needs to leave the palace, but she knows that her father will not let her. Lilith wondered who could kidnap her other than her dad. Lilith thinks that maybe her personal bodyguard will do, or Mr. Lewis from the Rubinstein family would be suitable. Lilith understands that she has the answer to everything. The twins approach her and invite our heroine to play together. Lilith decides that they are the ones who can help her. Leon invites the heroine to catch ants, while his brother tries to reason with him. The twins have already graduated from the academy, and they have already reached the ranks of Deus. Lilith collapses on the bed from fatigue. She doesn't want to play at all. The guys offer her something to eat, but she refuses even food. Lilith says that there is something she wants. She talks about the food she ate with her dad in the old town. The twins argue about what the chef can cook, whether he can cook the food that ordinary people eat. Lilith is offered to go to a restaurant for ordinary people. Geminis think that they will be listened to in a restaurant, and they will understand how ordinary people's food is prepared. Leon thinks seriously about what people, peasants, eat. Lilith pressures them by saying that she is very hungry. Leon realizes this and decides to walk Lilith to the restaurant. When the boys go outside, Lilith suddenly falls. She pretends to be so hungry that she can't get up. When Lilith emerges from under the house, the boys think about how to patch up the hole left by Lilith. Lilith happily informs them that she made it, climbing out from under the rubble. Leon rubs it. He thinks that it is very dirty. The boys take Lilith by the hand and walk with her into the city. Suddenly, Theo becomes worse and worse. He cannot walk. Lilith is worried about her brother and asks what happened to him. Leon is worried about Theo. His health is leaving the best behind. Theo notes that his attacks have worsened, and he hopes for the best. Lilith remembers that things only got worse for him. Theo's attacks are getting worse and worse, and they are bothering him. Theo's illness was invented by the author in order to touch the reader and be a step in Cheshire's development. He was supposed to help Cheshire open his heart according to the novel's plot, and then die. His disease is called mana clash, which is when divine and magical power collide in the human body and cause convulsions. Theo is living his last years. Soon his illness will kill him. Theo asks Lilith worriedly if she is okay. The novel mentions something called the Heart of Mana, which helps fight disease. After Theo's death, Cheshire became obsessed with finding this means to resurrect his brother. But the heart didn't work, so the young man placed it on the boy's grave. Suddenly, something dawns on Lilith, and she realizes that she has been slow in her tracks for a very long time. But it's not all that bad, because Lilith is an enlightened reader. Lilith approaches her brother, and she simply glows with joyful fire. Lilith asks her brother to buy her something cute. Theo, or Leon, promises to buy her something beautiful. They come to a village full of friendly residents. Lilith points somewhere, and she suggests going further and further. Lilith comes to the armory. Here she is going to buy a weapon. Some suspicious Chinese seller asks them what they want to buy. Geminis don't know exactly what they want to buy. Lilith suddenly notices what she wanted to buy. Lilith on something cute in her opinion, what she needs. Her brothers in the cellar are shocked by what she chose to buy. He wants to buy something purple and floating, like bubbles. Lilith thinks this purple one looks cute. The man explains that this is the core of a wild animal's mana, extracted from its corpse. Lilith and Leon start arguing, because Leon doesn't want to buy something so creepy. Leon warns the girl that the mana will leak, and it could poison her. The man reassures them, telling them that the core is sealed in a special thing that prevents it from leaking out. The brother mocks Lilith that she will not let the mana leak out. They begin to argue heatedly about whether mana is safe. Lilith remembers that Theo will have a seizure, and only the core can help cure him. Lilith decides to do whatever it takes to cure Theo. Lilith falls and she screams that she will not go anywhere until they buy mana. Lilith uses bloated child mode to gain mana. In the end, she buys the monster core for 56,000. The brothers are shocked by the amount. They are sure that their mother will not be delighted with the amount. Lilith, on the contrary, is glad that they managed to acquire all this for her. Leon is happy to have pleased his sister, but Theo is not so happy. This is how they come to the Rico district, the 13th in the city and with a restaurant. The brothers keep asking Lilith what she ate while she lived in the village. Lilith is glad that she found Rico's restaurant without any problems. Theo timidly asks the waitress about their order. Leon promises to pay double if they bring their entire kitchen. Lilith asks the waitress to stop before she brings the order. Theo asks Lilith not to raise her voice at commoners. Leon argues with his brother and wants him to know that he is too strict with Lilith. Lilith is looking for something in her cute backpack with a rabbit. Lilith pulls out a real gold coin and decides to abuse her position. She orders something that wasn't on the menu at Rico's restaurant. Lilith shows the sign of the Red Hawk Secret Guild. Lilith asks to be served sweet and sour herring. Lilith and the woman meet eyes, and Lilith clearly has something evil in mind. The waitress promises that she will feed Lilith if she so wishes. The waitress asks if there is any special recipe. Lilith promises to tell the waitress a special recipe while she cooks. Lilith is taken to a kitchen full of all kinds of pots and plates with kitchen utensils. The waitress calls Rico, saying that someone has arrived to see him. A male voice tells them that she can come in. In front of us sits a man, painted to look like a dangerous-looking clown. This is Rico, the guild master of the Red Hawk, the Information Guild. Lilith feels uneasy about the clown who ordered her to sit down. Lilith is a little nervous when talking to the clown. The clown begins to ask Lilith how she knows about this place. Lilith offers him to exchange information, but the clown says he doesn't want to pay for something, he just wants to know. The clown agrees to a compromise. He accepts an advance payment. Lilith tells him about her father, who returned to the capital, but the clown already knows everything, and you can't surprise him with this. The clown already knows that Lilith is Enoch's daughter. The clown menacingly asks the girl if she really wants to have fun. Lilith asks him for information and a service that only the guild can provide. Lilith mentions in conversation her son, whom Rico hides in the Onyx estate. Lilith manages to surprise the clown by telling him about his son. Rico becomes curious about Lilith's purpose in coming to the city and how she knows about his son. Lilith learns that Rico knows everything in the world. Lilith tells him that she wants to save the child. Lilith asks him to pass on what she would tell anyone. Rico asks her who the recipient of the information is. Lilith begins to talk about her father. She says that her father must find out everything that is connected with Cheshire. Lilith says that her father has no time to look for the boy, as he is busy with work. Rico believes that Lilith was sent by her father and that she is not acting of her own free will. Rico doesn't believe the girl's excuse that she came here herself. Rico doesn't understand why the girl would send a message through their guild. Lilith falls silent and becomes increasingly gloomy. Lilith says she will have to explain how she found out all this. Lilith and Rico look at each other for a long time, the candlelight reflecting off their pale faces. Rico couldn't even imagine that the girl could have secrets from her father. Lilith and Rico argue about how they will achieve their goals in their own way. Rico finds this whole situation strange and ridiculous. But then, looking at Lilith, he finally agrees. Lilith waits for Rico to give her a final answer. Rico is curious about who she is and how she knows about Cheshire. Lilith, however, decides to bargain, which surprises him. Lilith says it would be weird for a child to tell everything, so she's new to the business and wants to use the guild. Rico laughs at her for being so decisive in her actions. Lilith tells him proudly that she has brought a small gift as a sign that they will work together. Rico immediately tells her that he is only involved in spreading information. However, curiosity gets the better of her, and Rico looks at what she brought. He is surprised to see that medicinal plant, fairy tears. Lilith tells him that this is salvacin and that he will cure his sister's illness. Rico believes that this is the first time he has reached the top of his career. Rico tries to find out how Lilith came to know so much about him. Lilith is scared of Rico, but she knows it's not because of her father. Rico takes out a knife, and Lilith feels uneasy about what he did. Rico cuts his hand and grabs salvacin in an armful. Rico continues to ask the girl how she knew what happened to him. The man says that hundreds of millions will go to this herb, and aristocrats are ready to give their souls for it. His hand, by the way, was healed. He warns Lilith not to trade thoughtlessly. Lilith announces that she is now ready to leave peacefully, but Lilith is suddenly stopped in her tracks, and she shudders. Rico decides to take off his mask and slowly walks towards her. Lilith fears that he has removed the mask, so that this will be the last thing she sees in her life. Lilith is afraid that she will be killed without reason, and she shudders timidly. A man similar to Axion appears in front of her and looks at her for a long time. False. Axion informs her that today's deal is completed. The waitress asks Rico why he allowed her to see his face and accuses her of being careless. She reports that Lilith's handmaidens are Jay's sisters. Rico asks me to convey what Lilith asked of Enoch. Rico is glad that he managed to obtain salvacin, which made him stronger. The waitress reproaches him that even Rico's sister doesn't know what kind of person he is. Why he put on such a show with the girl? Rico asks the waitress to simply pass the information on to Enoch. Rico is glad that the girl came to him and not to another guild. He remembers Lilith's self-confidence in deciding to be strong. Rico tells her that the girl is ready to sell the medicine. Rico decides to trust her just once, thinking that nothing bad will come of it. Lilith is glad that Rico decided to accept her. Rico informed her that he would tell Enoch everything through one of the servants in the estate. Lilith decides to make Rico her bodyguard, and she becomes close with the Jay sisters. Jetty becomes curious about what she drew. Lilith is surprised that the maid thought she was drawing a jellyfish when Lilith was drawing her dad. June asks permission to draw with her and starts drawing. In the end, Lilith comes up with a pretty good drawing of a maid. Jetty explains that the maid in the picture is Rochelle, a friend of both sisters. Lilith unexpectedly learns that Marquis Onyx is in the estate. Lilith suddenly realizes the terrible truth that was hidden from her. She realizes that these two girls are Onyx's sisters. The sunset illuminates the luxurious towers of the palace, which glows white in the rays of the setting sun. At this time, Enoch is sitting in his office, looking through secret correspondence. Enoch remembers meeting a boy on the island. He was particularly concerned about this boy and the way he was being treated. Enoch is shocked to learn that this boy is the son of the Marquis of Onyx. Enoch understands that he definitely did not have such information, and he is not in a close relationship with Onyx. He decides to visit Onyx as soon as possible. Lilith jumps onto her dad's lap and shows him her album of drawings. Lilith tells him about what her drawing teacher told her, about the gates of heaven in the book, and that it is one of the wonders of the world. Her new whim is to meet the creator of the gates of heaven. Lilith mentions that Onyx has the sculptor's works, and she wants to see them. The father assures his daughter that she will be able to see everything with her own eyes. So our heroes arrive at Onyx's estate, where he greets them personally. Enoch talks to Onyx about his daughter wanting to see the works. Onyx introduces them to his beautiful wife and son, Jonathan. Jonathan joyfully welcomes our heroes. Lilith recognizes in him the mysterious ex, whom she no longer likes. He happily greets Lilith, not expecting that they would become friends. Enoch thinks that Lilith likes the son of Onyx, but this is not true. Jonathan's parents are already marrying Lilith to their son. They joke cheerfully about how good Lilith and Jonathan look. The boy turns out to be a famous sculptor and is ready to show Lilith his creations. Onyx points to the servants. They are well trained to show the entire palace. Among them, a maid stands out, similar to the girl with whom Rico spoke. Lilith immediately runs up to her. She is glad to see her. Lilith asks to be well taken care of here. Lilith asks the maids to show her the gates of paradise. Lilith suddenly notices a key on one of the maids, and she decides to find out what this key is. Inside, Everything turns out to be furnished with paintings and other objects. Jonathan, like his father, believes that personal connections are important and wants to demonstrate how noble he is. But Lilith doesn't listen to him. She is delighted with the works of art. Jonathan tells her about the works of art, but Lilith doesn't listen to him. Jonathan is angry. How dare they ignore him, the son of Lord Onyx? Jonathan just doesn't know what to do with the nasty little brat. Jonathan decides to show her other works of art. But no one listens to Jonathan. Our heroine ran off to play. Jonathan is very angry. He is furious about what happened. Lilith runs to the 3rd floor, where there is a secret passage. Lilith runs as fast as she can. She's about to find Cheshire. Cheshire is in a closed estate at this time. Cheshire is in a lot of pain from the beating. He is in a lot of pain. He is covered in bruises, and he is cold. Cheshire is suddenly haunted by some ghost, just like in the movie The Ring. But Cheshire dreamed all this and wakes up in horror. Jonathan warned him that if he approached the Duke, he would kill him. Cheshire is horrified. He is about to die like this in a cursed place. Cheshire believes that no one else will give him a place in this world. He remembers Lilith, who stopped his nosebleed. Cheshire is very tearful about wanting to see the girl he hasn't seen for a long time. Cheshire only wants one thing. He wants to survive in this world. Suddenly, the door to the room opens, and Cheshire looks at the door in horror. The door is opened by Lilith, who appears to him as a savior. Lilith loudly tells him that she has come to save him. Cheshire looks at her in surprise. How did it happen that she found him? Lilith is horrified to see Cheshire in this state. Lilith is getting closer and closer to Cheshire. Lilith warns him that it is time for him to go with her to Enoch. She realizes that she should have asked her father to bring him to the estate. Lilith apologizes to Cheshire for being gone for so long. Cheshire is confused as to why Lilith is apologizing to him. Lilith is crying. Cheshire looks at her in bewilderment, because he doesn't know her. Lilith invites Cheshire to come with him, away from this terrible place. Cheshire wonders where she wants to take him. Cheshire rudely asks her who she is and why she came here. When she introduces herself, Cheshire rudely replies that the name doesn't matter to him. Lilith promises him that they will get out of this terrible place together. Lilith assures him that he will be better off than in this hell. Cheshire is not very happy. He understands perfectly well what will happen if he leaves. Nevertheless, he accepts Lilith's hand as he decides to leave here. Cheshire says he just wants to hold her hand. Lilith tells him that it would be right to leave here. Lilith apologizes for being late and arriving late. They decide to leave this place, and no one will harm Cheshire anymore. So they run up the stairs, and Lilith can barely keep up. It's very difficult for her to run on her little legs. However, they arrive at a place they decided not to find. Cheshire tells her that Lilith and he will no longer be servants. Lilith runs to her dad. She decides to tell Enoch everything. Lilith hurried forward. She rushed further and further. Cheshire is now running after her. He can barely keep up with her now. They find the key that the girl left on the windowsill. Lilith can't reach the door key with her little hands. Ultimately, Lilith, despite Cheshire's protests, decides to leave the key in place. In the end, they both run further and further down the hallway of the house, carrying their fears away. Jonathan is angry. He cannot find Lilith, who ran away. Suddenly, Jonathan sees Lilith ahead with Cheshire. Lilith abruptly tells Jonathan that he has found a new friend. Jonathan is furious that Lilith dared to deceive him and free Cheshire. Lilith gives Cheshire a sharp push, and they start playing hide-and-seek. Cheshire runs away while being hunted throughout the house. Lilith decides to take advantage of the opportunity to allow Cheshire to escape. Jonathan grabbed Lilith by the scruff of the neck, preventing her from escaping with Cheshire from the castle. Jonathan sharply asks her how she can afford to run away. Lilith realizes that now is the time to escape. Jonathan trips Lilith to prevent her from following Cheshire. But at the same time, Lilith falls sharply, and she hits herself very painfully. Lilith rubs the bruised area painfully. She will not forgive Jonathan for this. Lilith asks Cheshire to go ahead and ignore her. Cheshire comes running back for her, and she sees him nimbly run past the servants. Jonathan is furious. Where is Cheshire running after Lilith? Is he really that crazy? Jonathan swings sharply at Cheshire. He's about to hit him. But Cheshire cleverly hit Jonathan and didn't let him hit him. Cheshire decides that he will run away with Lilith, away from palace life. Lilith is in shock. She didn't expect that they would just take her away from here. Lilith is surprised that Cheshire can teleport. Cheshire suggests Lilith run even further. But then Lilith realizes that Cheshire can't teleport. She learns that Cheshire can control time, and everything moves as if in slow motion. Lilith just runs and doesn't think about the consequences. Lilith and Cheshire run further and further away from the castle. At this time, the heroes decide to drink tea, and Enoch's interrogation begins. Onyx believes that the Emperor will understand when he appears before the court with Lilith. Enoch realizes that Onyx is hiding the fact that he has an illegitimate child. But Enoch understands that whether it is true or not, something is wrong here. He begins to interrogate the Duke about the child, but he knows nothing. Enoch believes that Onyx is hiding something, and he leaves. Enoch asks sharply if he can find out where Cheshire is. Onyx wants to show him the house and dispel all doubts. Suddenly, Lilith's voice is heard, and Enoch and Onyx jump in surprise. They don't understand what's going on behind the doors of Onyx's mansion. Lilith is on the run with Cheshire, and they are about to reach their goal. Lilith points to Cheshire. She tells everything to her father. Enoch notices that Onyx is not very happy to meet Cheshire. Lilith tells her dad about their adventures, and he is worried. Cheshire looks so bad it hurts to look at him. Onyx listens in horror to Lilith as she talks about the boy. Onyx tries to avoid Enoch's wrath by saying that nothing happened. But Enoch found Cheshire, and all of Onyx's plans to hide the boy collapsed. Enoch realizes that Onyx lied to him about Cheshire. Enoch tells Onyx in a stern voice that they will talk alone. We are shown the mansion of the vile Duke, which is beautiful in blue light. Lilith and Cheshire are sitting in the living room and waiting for their father's decision. Lilith tells Cheshire to lower his head. His lips are chapped. She shows Cheshire the ointment, but he finds it dubious. Lilith looks at Cheshire critically. She doesn't know how to cure him. She begins to apply the ointment they gave her to his cuts. Lilith asks if Cheshire wants to keep her quiet. Cheshire decides to talk to Lilith about his wounds. He begins to philosophize about how it is becoming more and more difficult for him to avoid people. Lilith is shocked by how calm he is about his cuts. Lilith asks Cheshire to forgive her. She decides to be friends with him. Cheshire is surprised that she is Enoch's daughter. Lilith reassures Cheshire, saying that he is wrong to think that her father would befriend a monster like Onyx. Lilith tells Cheshire that seeing the exhibition is an excuse. She shocks Cheshire by saying that it was all done so that they could meet. Lilith happily informs him that she has come to save Cheshire. Lilith is shocked that Cheshire barely remembers her. Lilith tries to remind him that they have already met. Lilith tells Cheshire that she wanted to see him. Lilith tells Cheshire that she loves him. But this is understood in two ways. Cheshire shocks Lilith by saying he knew it. Cheshire believes that Lilith sees him as a toy that she doesn't need. Lilith is shocked by how Cheshire really thinks. Lilith is horrified that Cheshire can even consider himself a toy. Lilith proudly declares that they will be best friends. Cheshire asks her in surprise how they can be friends. Lilith claims that they can, but Cheshire is wrong not to believe her. Cheshire thinks that all this is impossible and stupid. Enoch comes into the room and sees them talking. Lilith runs up to Enoch. She is glad to see him. Enoch looks at Cheshire sullenly. He is jealous of his daughter. Cheshire looks at Enoch without fear. He is completely calm. Enoch calmly tells them that it is time for them to go. So the heroes return to the Taj Mahal, which seems to be waiting for them. Enoch asks Cheshire what he wanted as he stands outside Lilith's room. Enoch decides to introduce Cheshire to the twins. The twins are not very happy, and they look at Lilith. Lilith introduces Cheshire to them, and the brothers are clearly surprised by him. Enoch also introduces Cheshire to the brothers, believing that they will become friends. Theo asks Enoch if our hero is a commoner. They look at Cheshire in shock, who is simply painful to look at because of his black eyes. Cheshire makes it clear that he doesn't want to talk to them. Enoch tells them that he will introduce Cheshire to their overbearing grandfather and ask him to stay with them. Leon is clearly not thrilled with who Lilith brought to the palace. Leon roughly grabs Lilith and asks if they are not going to catch spiders anymore. Lilith asks if he wants to go with them. Leon yells at Lilith, "Are they really not going to be friends anymore?" Lilith is confused why Leon is so rude to Lilith and Cheshire. Theo, on the other hand, greets Cheshire and decides to get to know him. Theo decides to be friendlier to Cheshire, but he is clearly not in a friendly mood. Lilith feels that her attempt to get along with Cheshire has failed. Leon rudely says that Cheshire stinks so much that all the spiders die. Cheshire is clearly not well at the thought that he clearly does not smell good. Enoch invites Cheshire to go to the bath with him. Enoch asks to play with Lilith while they wash. Lilith sees that Leon is clearly offended by her behavior. Lilith begins to demand answers from Leon, but he only snorts angrily at her. Leon rudely tells her that he stinks, and Lilith asks her not to say that. They start arguing about how Cheshire is not a commoner, and he is not at all like Leon says. Theo gently stops them and asks them to stop arguing. Theo tells her that Leon talks to everyone like that, but Lilith can't ignore it. She sternly orders Leon not to talk to Cheshire like that. Leon shouts menacingly at Lilith, asking how she can be on his side. Leon is horrified that Lilith wants to live with Cheshire. Lilith argues with Leon. She says that Cheshire has nowhere to go. Leon decides to say something to her, but then Leon abruptly leaves the room. He doesn't want to talk to her. Lilith is surprised at how rude Leon is to the two of them. We are shown the rich furnishings of the room with canopies and curtains. Onyx warns that if the boy gets tired of Lilith, Onyx asks Enoch to do everything carefully so that nothing happens. Enoch is silent. He doesn't like Onyx, who is clearly just a bastard. Cheshire takes off his clothes. His entire back is covered in severe bruises. Enoch looks at Cheshire's back and is horrified by what he sees. So Enoch and Cheshire find themselves in a bathhouse filled with clear water and covered in statues of nymphs. Enoch complains that his daughter has grown up and they can't take baths together. Cheshire is surprised to see Enoch bathing with his daughter. Enoch begins to wash Cheshire's head with flea and lice remedy. Cheshire suddenly starts talking to Enoch. Enoch is shocked when Cheshire asks if he wants to kill him. Cheshire says he lived long because of Lilith. Cheshire says he has seen many nobles living together and then getting rid of them. Cheshire says he will leave quietly, and Enoch won't even notice. Enoch is horrified that Cheshire would have such thoughts at such a young age. He addresses Cheshire in a serious tone, so Enoch says that Cheshire doesn't need to be so serious. Enoch tells him that he has given him a place where Cheshire will be happy. Cheshire asks in a serious tone why Enoch is so kind to him. Enoch tells Cheshire that even if he suspects him, Enoch tells Cheshire that they are supposed to be a family, and he can't stand to see what the boy has gone through. Enoch's grandfather says he can leave the baby here. Enoch asks if that's all, but he says yes. Enoch is surprised why his father is so cold and calm, since Enoch has been gone for so long. Enoch's father calmly asks if he really expects him to throw a tantrum. He says that Enoch is already old enough to decide everything himself. Nordic says they argued a lot when they were younger. He doesn't understand how difficult it is for Enoch to be in his place. He so wants Enoch to grow up and follow his rules. Nordic says he feels guilty that Enoch grew up under his influence. Nordic believes that he should not have been so rude to his son. Enoch looks at him in shock. He doesn't understand what's happening to his father. And then Enoch accepts his father in the new version. Nordic believes that he lost to his son and became more gloomy. Enoch thinks it would be bad if his princess never existed. With the birth of Lilith, even the atmosphere in the house changed. Enoch believes that for the first time in his life he can live. Nordic is glad that Enoch has changed, and he wants to get along with him. He tells Enoch that there is nothing he can change. Nordic no longer wants to interfere in anything his son does. Nordic doesn't want to destroy everything his son has built. Enoch is glad that Nordic decided to do this. Enoch begins to laugh cheerfully at his elderly father. Lilith at this time begins. She is glad about what happened. Cheshire develops drawing skills that are simply impressive. But Cheshire is so gloomy that poor Lilith is just waiting for his smile. Cheshire asks in surprise why she doesn't draw. He is surprised by Lilith's drawing. But it is not Medusa that is drawn there, but Lilith's dad. Lilith asks him in surprise if she really couldn't draw it well. Lilith is very upset that she didn't succeed. Lilith decides to give this painting to her father. The boy notes that at this rate she should go and learn to draw. He begins to remember a conversation with Enoch in the bathroom, who treats him like a son. Enoch cheerfully told him that he would vouch for the boy. Cheshire is surprised by Enoch's decision. Enoch seems to him to be an incredible person who has a big heart. Cheshire believes that all this is because of Lilith, that she is also kind. Cheshire can only thank Lilith's father for everything. He asks Lilith if she loves her father. She says yes. Cheshire looks at Lilith for a very long time, and she even shrinks under his gaze. She talks about how she loves her father and how everyone loves him. Cheshire himself cannot help but agree that her father is kind. Lilith invites Cheshire to become her stepbrother. He says that Lilith is who he needs. Lilith tells him that her father will accept him into the family. Cheshire tells her that the girl doesn't need that at all. Cheshire boldly declares that he does not need a family. He decides to go to bed, but he is cold as ice. Cheshire asks her where the servants' quarters are. Lilith forces him into bed next to her. Lilith smiles sweetly and watches him try to sleep. Cheshire finally sleeps well and has pleasant dreams. Lilith wipes him with a handkerchief, and she worries that he will not wake up. Lilith is glad that Cheshire is sleeping peacefully and seeing third dreams. Lilith wiped the dirt off his cheek and now smiled happily. She remembers Cheshire's gloom and bad mood. She thinks Cheshire is deprived of a family and needs one. Lilith wants to reveal some important secret to Cheshire. She informs him that he is the main character of the story. She tells him that serious problems will always haunt him, but she will help him cope with them. Lilith believes that she will become his new family with Enoch. After her little speech, Lilith goes to bed with her brother. Cheshire's ruby eyes snap open. He looks at Lilith and finds her very strange. He turns to her and looks at her for a long time. He still can't believe they escaped from Jonathan. Cheshire enjoys the atmosphere he has been exposed to. He is shocked that Lilith considers him her family. Cheshire can't cope with the new emotions that have washed over him. Cheshire is outspoken in saying that he doesn't believe Lilith. He believes that Lilith wants to leave him, just like everyone else. So they lie with Lilith, with Cheshire further away from her. But nevertheless, he gets closer and closer to Lilith. Enoch comes into their room and covers them both with a fluffy blanket. Enoch notices a nearby drawing of a jellyfish made by a boy. But then his gaze shifts to his own portrait. Enoch is surprised. He has not seen a portrait of a Medusa. Enoch looks absent-mindedly at the portrait that is painted. He notices that it is his own portrait. Enoch kisses the girl sweetly on the forehead and wishes her sleep. The next day, we are again shown the palace, which shines like in India. There is something about Lilith's gaze that attracts her when she calmly does her homework. Cheshire sits sadly next to the pool and thinks about something. Lilith becomes curious about what is happening to Cheshire. Oscar complains to her that he gives the girl individual lessons. It's too boring. Lilith modestly asks him if he could show her how to solve the equation. Oscar asks her if she is bored, and she says yes. Oscar says that one should start solving such equations at the age of 7. Lilith tells him that her birthday is coming soon. He shocks the girl by saying that Lilith will be able to meet her mother. Oscar is surprised that Enoch didn't tell her anything about his mother. Lilith remembers that Enoch said that her mother died. Lilith becomes curious about her mother. Lilith begins to ask Oscar about his mother. Oscar is amazed that she knows nothing about her mother. Lilith asks him to tell her about her mother. This is what they tell us about Selina Ledendorf, who was a magician, but now she teaches at the Institute. Lilith has a lot of questions about her mother. So she married the Marquis of Lendendorf and already has a son. Lilith realizes that reality is much more complex. Oscar tells her that she doesn't care about Lilith. However, Oscar did not get any shock from her. Lilith believes that her mother can live the life she deserves. Oscar remembers that Lilith's mother was a capable magician and could do whatever she wanted. She married Lilith's father because he was successful at the time. Lilith is sure that her mother doesn't even know about her existence. Oscar twitches her nose and suggests that Lilith is too naive. Oscar is amazed that her mother is already retired and teaches at the Institute. He said that the Emperor told Enoch everything, and Lilith doesn't like it. Selina's son won't be drafted into the army, and she lives too well. Oscar asks if this makes Lilith suspicious. Lilith is horrified to learn that she was sold for the sake of her son. In the original story, Lilith was kidnapped and locked in the Institute. Lilith decides to meet her mother and get answers to her questions. In the original, Lilith's mother was aware of the abuse of her daughter. Oscar asks Lilith if she is shocked now. Oscar informs her that he will place the girl in the Magic Tower and in the Institute. Lilith doesn't like all this. She wants to return home to the village. Oscar tells her passionately about her fate as a magician and about the front where terrible creatures live. Oscar claims that the girl is too naive and she won't believe everything. He says that rumors will spread about Lilith, that she does nothing. He tells her the cruel reality. The mother sold her daughter for her son, and Enoch is a tool in the hands of the Emperor. The girl's father can't say anything to the Emperor. He's just a silent doll. Oscar mentions that he will be with Lilith if she refuses. He believes that Lilith's father is weak, and she is even weaker. But she herself thinks about Oscar. She is glad that he wants to help her with her mother. Lilith has many questions about the original novel and reality. She wonders why Oscar no longer helps her father in the revolution. The girl believes that Lilith is the main villain of the original novel. Cheshire tried to kill her, while Oscar protected her. Lilith is surprised that Oscar is on her side, considering what's going on. Oscar asks Lilith to make her face simpler. Lilith says that it is very difficult for her to understand everything. Lilith realizes that it is very difficult for her to understand what Oscar wants. Unexpectedly, Oscar laughs at her cheerfully. Lilith is perplexed. Why is Oscar so kind to her? Oscar laughs at her cheerfully and doesn't know what to say. Oscar cheerfully tells her that he loves her. Lilith blushes as Oscar says these words easily. Oscar tells her that he loves geniuses, and Lilith doesn't know how to react. Oscar is surprised by how Lilith acts when he says this. Lilith reminds Oscar that they have a big age difference. Lilith realizes that she has become a target for Oscar's ridicule. Oscar had laughed his fill and wanted to ask her something. He notes that there is a fight going on outside the window, and Lilith is watching what happened. She sees Leon and Cheshire locked in combat. Lilith runs down the steps and leaves Oscar. Oscar watches them grimly, but then a slight smile touches his lips. Lilith runs as fast as she can towards the fighters to separate them. Oscar is thinking about something, and his smile is simply charming. He notes that Lilith is surprisingly older than her years. Lilith screams at Leon to stop and leave Cheshire alone. But Leon doesn't listen to her and decides to beat Cheshire. Cheshire falls to the pavement with Leon towering over him. Lilith asks him fearfully if he is okay. Lilith loudly asks Leon why he is doing this. Lilith is angry. she yells at Leon, not wanting to see him. Leon looks at Cheshire with hatred that he does not hide. He asks Lilith not to talk to or be friends with Cheshire. Leon tells her that Cheshire is a villain, and he doesn't like him. Lilith is horrified to learn that he hates Cheshire because he is a commoner. She is shocked. Is this the Leon from the novel who protected Cheshire from any adversity? Lilith wonders what she did wrong to Cheshire. Lilith wonders what could have gone wrong. Lilith loudly reminds him that she is also a commoner. Lilith believes that if it weren't for Enoch, her brothers wouldn't be friends with her. Lilith remembers her neighbors from the village and realizes how much she misses them. Lilith declares that she does not intend to make friends after becoming a noblewoman. Lilith defends Cheshire's honor and calls him her friend. Leon is furious at her words that he should come to terms with Cheshire's existence and accept him as a brother. Leon accuses the girl of loving Cheshire more than Leon. Lilith, looking at his angry face, decides to explain everything to the boy. Lilith states that she doesn't like upstarts like Leon. Leon becomes furious and shakes with anger. Leon simply turns around and leaves our heroine. Lilith is worried about Cheshire and runs up to him. Lilith promises that she will protect Cheshire and nothing bad will happen again. Cheshire calmly states that Leon is right. Cheshire says that Leon misunderstood his words. Cheshire says he replied that he was not friends with the girl when Leon asked. Cheshire says he said he was just a toy. The Cheshire Cat declares that friends, in his view, are nothing more than toys. But he understood his words as an insult. Lilith was horrified. Leon got furious when he heard Cheshire's words. To be honest, I'm on Leon's side. He hit Cheshire right. Lilith is horrified by what Cheshire told her. Cheshire asks in surprise what's wrong, and Lilith says it's her fault. Cheshire promises that he will take care of Lilith. Enoch is surprised by his decision. Enoch says that's not the reason they eat together. Lilith says that he is a toy, and she brought him here for a reason. Lilith remembered that it was a joke, but he didn't understand it. Lilith was surprised when he told her to say that they were friends. Cheshire is silent. He is embarrassed by his own words. Lilith is shocked by what she just heard from Cheshire. Lilith cheerfully tells him that everything is fine now. Lilith demands further recognition from Cheshire that they are friends. Cheshire sheepishly promises her that they are friends. Lilith hears Leon hysterically outside the door. Leon's mother and Leon see Lilith enter the door. Leon's mother tells him that Leon needs to talk to Lilith. But Leon doesn't want to talk to Lilith. Leon says he hit Cheshire for calling people toys. Lilith tells him that Cheshire considers himself Leon's plaything, not the other way around, which shocks Theo's twin. Lilith tells Leon about the failed prank with the toy. Leon makes excuses. It wasn't a joke, and it wasn't that he didn't like him. Leon turns out to be jealous that Lilith is closer to Cheshire. Lilith is surprised. She didn't expect jealousy. Leon thinks that Lilith will forget his kindness and be with Cheshire because she likes him. Lilith is surprised by what Leon said, looking at them. Lilith reminds him that Cheshire is a friend and Leon is family. She asks the picky Leon to look at her. Lilith says she has always envied families with brothers and sisters. Lilith thinks that Leon is cool and kind. He is a master at catching spiders, and he is just a cutie. Lilith hugs Leon, saying it's great not to be alone anymore. Lilith says that family means a lot to her, and they are part of her world. Lilith offers him something to eat and something interesting to play. So the brother and sister made peace again. Leon cheerfully asks Lilith who is better, him or Theo. Lilith and Leon are back together and closer than ever. The next day, the weather at the estate is sunny, and there is no sign of a storm. Leon apologizes to Cheshire for hitting him. Cheshire is shocked that someone from the nobility is apologizing to him. Cheshire also realized that he had said something nasty. Leon asks Cheshire questioningly if he will forgive him. Cheshire calmly replies that there is no problem and everything is forgotten. Theo modestly intervenes in the conversation, noting that Leon is a bit of a rude guy, but he is a good guy. Theo notes that Cheshire is an outsider, but it is now his home. Leon orders Cheshire to raise his rank since he lives here. Cheshire is surprised by what he heard, and Leon smiles mysteriously. Leon states that Lilith loves him more than Cheshire. Cheshire instantly darkens when he hears this from Leon. Leon also announces that Lilith loves Theo too. Leon proudly declares that Cheshire can ask Lilith about anything. Leon declares himself to be Lilith's #1 love. Leon states that he still gives in to her father. Cheshire gives up. He will never defeat Leon. The guys decide to find out what Lilith is doing now. Theo suddenly gets worse when he gets out of bed. Leon notices that Theo is getting worse and is suffocating. Leon runs out of the room. He decided to call the servant for help. Cheshire is left alone with Theo and doesn't know how to help him. Theo grabs his neck and starts scratching it frantically. He rolls on the floor, scratching his neck with strong jerks. Where Theo scratches, Bloody marks remain from his nails digging into his skin. Cheshire looks at Theo in horror, thinking about how to help him. Cheshire, without thinking, grabs Theo's hands and stops him from scratching his neck. At this time, Lilith and Enoch are walking down the corridor. They are discussing Lilith's future birthday. Enoch cheerfully asks what Lilith wants. He will fulfill whatever she wishes. Lilith doesn't particularly want anything and calmly walks down the long corridor. She invites her dad to go to a festival in the city. Enoch remembers that there will be a folk festival in the city. The festival is dedicated to children and is a folk holiday for kids. At this time, aristocrats can showcase the talents of their children. Their talents include musical performances and horse riding. But during the festival, the streets, strewn with all kinds of toys, are very important. There are also clown performances and circuses in general, fun for children. Lilith is afraid that the strict Nordic is unlikely to accept this, but Enoch already wants to go with her. Lilith reminds her father that if they come to the festival, people will not give them a break. But Enoch is ready to dress up as James Brown, and no one will recognize him. Father promises to buy Lilith a pair of new shoes that he saw last year. Enoch clearly deserved a kiss from his daughter. Suddenly, they hear screams coming from Theo and Leon's room. Enoch asks Lilith to take a short walk with him. Lilith screams for her dad to let her go immediately. And then, Lilith runs into Theo's room at the speed of light. Lilith clutches the pendant containing the mana core in her fists. He notices the pendant with the core and wonders where his daughter got it from. Lilith doesn't listen to her father and runs into Theo's room. At this time, Theo is being forced onto the bed by his servants. Theo is writhing in convulsions and screaming like he's being cut. Theo's mother can't do anything with her son and does nothing but pray. Lilith and her father are horrified when they find themselves in the room. Lilith runs to her brother, despite the cries of her father and the maids. Lilith throws herself on Theo's neck and puts on the ill-fated pendant. She hugs the screaming Theo and asks him not to get sick. Lilith asks for only one thing, for Theo to become much better. Theo continued to scream, but then he got better. He calls his sister to him in a weak voice. The maids ask him one after another if he is feeling better. Even Theo's mother cannot hold back her tears and comes up to him. Leon can't believe his eyes. His brother is no longer sick. Theo's mother is happy. She is glad that her son is better. Lilith notes that this is not God's merit at all. Lilith is shocked that no one cares what cured Theo. She begs with her eyes that at least someone will guess. Only Enoch seemed to understand something about Theo's healing. He cheerfully asks Theo if the boy is okay. Enoch asks when the attack ended and receives an answer. Enoch suspected that magic was involved. Lilith cheerfully tells her brother that it's all thanks to her. Lilith is happy that Theo is better because of the pendant in his hands. Enoch sternly asks Lilith to come to him. Enoch sternly asks Lilith about the pendant, and she tells her father everything. Lilith sees with her twin brother Theo that her father has realized something. Lilith asks adults not to scold her or her brother for the whim with the pendant. Enoch says that the pendant contains demon poison and decides to call a priest. Enoch is surprised that the children knew nothing about this. Enoch tells them that the pendant prevents conflict between magical forces. The arriving priest also confirms this, which makes the twins' mother happy. The priest says that this is all because the boy's body contains 50% demonic blood, or even more. He tells Theo that the pendant stops the conflict of forces. Nordic is concerned about Theo's condition and asks if the pendant is safe for children. Theo's mother can't believe her son is so ill, but Theo is required to wear the pendant until a proper treatment becomes available. Theo's mother thanks the priest for the information she received. The priest becomes curious about how they came up with the idea of the pendant. Enoch calls it all a coincidence. Enoch tells the priest that his daughter simply loves all kinds of jewelry. But nevertheless, Enoch is not left with strange emotions. Enoch wonders how Lilith knew about the pendant's power. Meanwhile, Cheshire timidly wants to enter Theo and Leon's room. Cheshire wonders why Theo has such a serious illness. But then, Cheshire leaves without ever reaching the door. But all the inhabitants of the castle came to meet him, asking if he wanted to visit Theo. Lilith tells him that Theo is sleeping now. Everything is fine. The twins' mother asks Cheshire if he is the child Enoch brought. She thanks him on behalf of Theo for his help. Suddenly, the twins' mother notices something on Cheshire's cheek. She says with concern that Cheshire has a serious wound on his neck. The woman orders the servants to cure Cheshire. Cheshire thinks that everyone in this family is a little weird. Lilith asks the twins' mother to join her for a meal. She says that Cheshire and his dad will also keep her company. Leon begins to object. Is this also true? The mother of twins is happy that her sons are so active. She invites them all to eat, not at the table, but in the open air. Lilith is only happy about this, but Cheshire is shocked by the strange family. Cheshire and Lilith meet each other's eyes. Lilith smiles sweetly at Cheshire. She looks so pretty in this frame. Cheshire feels shy when he sees this sweet and innocent smile. Eventually, Cheshire is taken by the hand and led outside. 4 days pass, and the palace shines with new colors in the rays of the sun. New life comes to the ducal garden, and the family is restored. The twins' father, who left to find treatment for Theo, will soon return. Lilith grins slyly, all thanks to her. Theo cheerfully asks Lilith what to give her for her birthday. As for Theo, his life is also getting better. They are seen by an annoyed Leon, who alone feels uneasy in such a nice atmosphere. He menacingly asks where Cheshire has gone, who is slowly trailing behind. Lilith brings water to Cheshire because he's tired. While Lilith was studying mathematics, Cheshire took fencing lessons from Enoch, who decided to adopt him. Lilith is happy that Cheshire will become the new swordmaster soon. Lilith asks Cheshire to come closer to her. She whispers in his ear what they were going to do. Cheshire says that he promised a lot of things, but he won't go for a walk with Lilith. Leon rudely asks Lilith what they are whispering about. This evening, our group decides to go to a festival in the city. Lilith cheerfully tells Cheshire that they will just hang themselves in the city, so they come to the street, decorated with lanterns and balloons. Cheshire is shocked. He was never taken to the festival. Lilith is glad that Cheshire likes all of this. She remembers that in the original, it was an incredibly sweet moment with Cheshire and Enoch. After all, at the time of the original, Enoch lost his daughter, and then a baby appeared who was an orphan. Their relationship in the original was awkward, but so alive, because they both found happiness like father and son. Lilith, dressed as a bunny, happily eats candy from the festival. She and Dad are just happy, because they and Cheshire are the only ones walking together. Lilith cheerfully asks Cheshire if he needs an oar. Suddenly, Lilith notices something in the distance from them. This cold look, dark hair, and pale skin. This is Axion, a handsome man. Lilith is surprised that he notices Enoch in the company of children. Axion approaches Enoch and asks him in a cold voice what he wants. Enoch replies that he doesn't understand what they're talking about, while Axion's subordinates yell at him. But Axion orders them to stop, noticing Lilith. Lilith happily offers him some sweets to eat. Axion answers her with an incredibly cold look in his violet eyes. Axion tells his men that he noticed his friends in the crowd. Axion asks in surprise why James is wandering around here calmly. Enoch is shocked that Axion is investigating something here. It turns out that there have been complaints about abducted children in this area. Lilith and Enoch decide to be on guard given the latest disappearance. Usually, they always help nobles, but for them to help commoners is a first. Lilith thinks that Axion is a wonderful prince, since he is so noble as to help commoners. Axion asks them to be careful, given the missing children. Before leaving, Axion turns to our heroine. Lilith places a small candy into his powerful palm. Lilith wishes him to relax after a hard day's work and eat his fill of sweets. Axion walks with a candy in his hand and doesn't know what to do with it. At this time, Enoch goes with the children to the people who are having fun. The auctioneer in front offers to buy shoes for children. He offers to buy shoes based on the folktale The Adventures of Princess Lara. Lilith looks at them. She really wants these magic shoes. Enoch notices her gaze, but Lilith says that she does not love Princess Lara. But Enoch has a different opinion, looking at those sparkling shoes. Enoch decides to please Lilith, because we know how much he loves his daughter. The auctioneer offers Enoch to be the last bidder to win the shoes. The auctioneer is clearly looking for something in the list of all participants. He asks if he will also upset his son. Lilith is shocked to learn that all the children he brought must participate. Lilith starts to object. Her dad can't stand to have both of them participate, but those are the rules. Enoch wants to say something, looking at his adopted son. He picks up both children and says that it is not a problem for him. Lilith is in shock. She didn't expect anything else from her father. Suddenly, their opponent appears. A real King Kong, a giant brute with a red beard and a mountain of muscles. He invites Enoch to have a harmless competition. Enoch notes that his opponent is in pretty good shape, but you can easily die from such a powerful fist. The auctioneer tells the moms and dads to squat until he says enough, with their children. So the opponents start to squat, which is very difficult for Enoch. Lilith asks her father not to lose to this red-haired guy. The auctioneer announces that he will make the task a little more difficult. The next task is to do a bunch of circles with your nose pinched. Cheshire feels sorry for his father and asks doubtfully if the girl can manage without Dorothy's shoes. But Cheshire's answer is no, and he is disappointed. Action wonders why the children disappeared during the holiday. More than 20 children have disappeared, all with common features, sweet appearance, and clear skin. Axion had a rough sketch of the child abductor. Axion takes his bearings from the portrait and asks all the passers-by. The guards cannot remember who they saw. Axion thinks that the kidnapper in the picture is an accomplice, and he received a bribe for the children. Axion orders in an icy tone to find this bastard and finish him off. His men immediately set out to find the man in the drawing. Axion rolls up the portrait, and then his eyes fall on what is in his hand. He remembers Lilith, who happily gave him this candy. He is worried that Lilith might become the maniac's new victim. Axion is puzzled why everyone is so crazy about children. Axion can already imagine how poor Lilith was kidnapped and held hostage, but he knows that only Enoch can take Lilith hostage. Axion looks at the merrymakers and thinks that he is already getting old. In the end, only 2 participants remain, Billy and Enoch. Cheshire has no choice but to support his dad with applause. The man tells them that there are 5 children left in each box. He must ask a question, which the parent answers, and the parent must also guess which box his daughter is sitting in. James thinks he has victory in his pocket. His daughter knows everything about him. Billy happily tells him that his daughter also knows everything about her dad. The auctioneer announces to them the start of the competition. He asks what food the parents like. Enoch is sure that his daughter will say about scrambled eggs with meat tips, drizzled with sauce. But the answers his daughter gives are all wrong. Billy feels that his opponent has lost and suggests ending the competition. But Enoch stops him. He won't give up so easily. Enoch invites him to listen to one more question. Billy cheerfully tells him that he is simply incredible. Billy agrees to take James on the next question. Enoch asks his daughter not to confuse questions and answers. The presenter moves on to the next question. What is Dad's shoe size? Enoch sincerely believes that his daughter will not be mistaken in this. But his daughter clearly doesn't know the answer to the question she's being asked. Enoch begins to suspect that there is a deception here, since his daughter knows for sure. He remembers that they even went to the same shoe store. Billy suggests that they open the boxes instead of waiting for an answer. Billy is glad that his daughter answered the questions correctly. Looking at the happy father and daughter, Enoch can't help but smile. Enoch decides to go to the other boxes and open them. Enoch begins to cast a spell. He feels that something is wrong here. Enoch opens the box. He is sure that his daughter is sitting inside. But inside the box sits a boy whom Enoch doesn't know at all. The auctioneer heartily congratulates Billy and his children. He is ready to give them the shoes in Kansas. Billy tells Enoch not to be upset and invites him for a drink. So, the man walks home with his shoes. Enoch is shouting at the top of his lungs, looking for his daughter in the boxes. But in another box, a completely unfamiliar girl is waiting for him. Enoch watches as she returns to her mother. Enoch is puzzled as to how his daughter could not answer the questions correctly. But again, there is another girl in the box who is not his daughter. Anxiety for the child gradually creeps into Enoch's soul. Cheshire also senses something is wrong and runs to help his father. But the last box is not there, and the unfamiliar child is still staring at them. Enoch asks the auctioneer where his daughter went, but he only remains silent. He doesn't know where Enoch's daughter is. He is deeply offended by Enoch's rudeness. Enoch grabs the auctioneer by the throat and demands that he bring his daughter. The auctioneer calls his security guards for help. They block our hero's path, not allowing him to pass. Enoch looks at the guards in horror. He just wants to see his daughter. And then Enoch tells everything to the skeptical Axion. Axion tells him that all this is strange, since they lost a child. Enoch sees how frightened the people gathered around him are. Enoch suddenly grabs the guard who ran up to him by the arm, breaking his bones. He beat up all the guards and menacingly walks towards the auctioneer. He grabs the boy by the chest with all his strength, not allowing him to move. Enoch loomed over the auctioneer, demanding to know where his daughter was. He slowly removes dark strands from his hair with magic. Now, standing before the auctioneer is not the humble James Brown, but Enoch Almighty himself. He'll wet his pants. He doesn't know where Enoch's daughter is. Meanwhile, our Lilith sits in a cage in a damp and humid place. Lilith remembers being grabbed backstage and dragged here. A rough voice says that Lilith is not afraid of her abduction. A menacing brute asks her if she is scared, licking a rusty knife. Lilith asks to go home in a pitiful tone, but her answer is a creaky laugh. The bandit tells the frightened girl that she will never return to her daddy. He tells her in a calm tone and with a nasty grin that she will be living somewhere else. Lilith doesn't like the prospect of being sold on the slave market. The bandit, meanwhile, pays no attention to her and counts the money for the child. Lilith decides that she will wait until her dad comes. A huge, smelly fat man tells the bandit that they need to get out of here. They learn that Axion intends to arrest them. The man answers him that Axion clearly has no other worries than catching them. He wants to get rid of the little one and get the long-awaited money. The fat man senses something is wrong and suggests that his boss wait until things calm down. Lilith is terrified. They want to sell her on the slave market and smuggle her there. The fat man is wondering what to do with this nasty girl. They want to take Lilith out of the country and sell her on a ship. Lilith pitifully asks them to let her go, appealing for mercy. She starts telling them about her father, who will give them a hard time. But then it dawns on her that she can't tell them about Enoch. Men decide what they will do with her. The girl understands that she will be killed anyway if she tells about her father. Lilith thinks about how to save her life. The men rudely ask her what her dad will do to them. Lilith only tells them that her dad is a real devil. But they only laugh at her. Lilith waits for her dad to come. The men begin to get ready for the journey. Lilith is afraid of what she can do. She starts to cry. Lilith is grabbed abruptly and carried in a cage like a wild animal. Lilith screams at them to put her in her place right now. When the fat man comes out, he comes face to face with Enoch. But because of his silver hair and blue eyes, he doesn't recognize Enoch. Enoch's gaze is fixed on his daughter, locked in an iron cage. Lilith pitifully asks to be let go. She calls her dad for help. Lilith bursts into tears. She doesn't want the children's auction. The bandit leader mocks Enoch, realizing that he came for his daughter. The fat man also begins to mock Enoch, because he is a weakling in their opinion. But the fat man holds a long dagger behind his back, with which he is ready to kill Enoch. Lilith warns her father about the danger. She is worried about her dad. Enoch deftly intercepts the fat man's hand with the dagger on the fly. Enoch is about to break the fat man's fat hand with his dagger. He twists the fat man's arm behind his head, and the sound of bones cracking is heard. Enoch approaches the redhead in a rage. It's the gang leader's turn. Lilith herself feels uneasy about her dream dad. Enoch menacingly enters the place where all the children were stolen and slowly approaches the bandit. He smiles slyly and prepares to fight Enoch. He lunges at Enoch, brandishing daggers. But just a couple of clicks from Enoch, and both of the bandit's arms are broken. He falls to his knees before Enoch, begging for mercy. The bandit is shaking all over. He can't say anything to Enoch. Enoch suddenly grabs him by the throat and literally presses him to the floor. Lilith is scared. She is now afraid of her father's anger. He starts beating the bandit with all his strength. And then, Enoch casts a spell over the forehead of the defeated enemy. Lilith sees her father approaching the cage with an unsteady gait. With trembling hands, he begins to pick the rusty lock. Lilith asks her father, but he didn't want her to see him like this. He breaks the lock with his bare hands in one blow. The father stretches out his powerful arms to her and takes her in his arms. Lilith jumps into his arms. She is crying. The father holds the girl tightly to him while she cries on his shoulder. Lilith rests in her father's arms. She has suffered horror. Enoch quickly apologizes to her. He didn't want the girl to see him like this. He realizes that Lilith is forced to live this way because of his lifestyle. Towards nightfall, Enoch comes out of the barn with his daughter. Axion and Cheshire are waiting for him at the exit. Enoch remembers that Cheshire ran away somewhere when he saw the loss. Enoch reluctantly answers Axion's questions, worried about Lilith. Enoch tries to explain to Cheshire everything that happened to his little sister. Cheshire apologizes. There was nothing he could do. Enoch feels like a worthless adult in front of such smart children. Enoch worries that the bandits are still at large, but Axion reassures him that they have been caught. Enoch is surprised. He spent so much time looking for the criminals. All the bandits were killed by Billy, who caught them. He cheerfully tells Enoch that he did not return home after hearing about Enoch's trouble. Billy learned that bandits were kidnapping children and decided to help catch them. Enoch praises his muscles and brute strength, while he worries about Lilith. Lilith is tired, and she snores sweetly on Enoch's shoulder. Billy is shocked. He can't imagine how small children will walk in such darkness. Enoch says yes. He has no idea why he has such a grown-up daughter. Suddenly, Billy remembers something and rummages through the pockets of his canvas pants. He takes out Princess Sarah's little pink shoes. Billy believes the fight was unfair and gives the shoes to Enoch since their fight was interrupted. Enoch is pleased with the gift and sincerely thanks Billy. Billy invites Enoch for a drink when he is pleased with the gift. The next morning, we are shown His Majesty's palace. Similar to Notre Dame, Nicholas is furious. He already knows what happened to Lilith. Nicholas orders his servant to tell everything that happened. Nicholas is unhappy that Axion wants to judge the robbers. He orders his servant to tell Axion that the royal family will be responsible for punishing the bandits. He also orders the punishment of all aristocrats associated with Axion. The servant is horrified. Why punish innocent aristocrats who want justice? The emperor smiles wickedly, saying that Axion will surely be angry. He believes that the ruler needs to demonstrate his power. We are shown Lilith's palace, shimmering turquoise, with luxurious roofs and a fountain. Lilith slowly opens her bottomless sapphire eyes. She wakes up in a panic. She doesn't remember how she fell asleep. Lilith's faithful servants immediately rush to her side. They all ask each other how Lilith is feeling. Lilith is worried about Cheshire and her father, whether they are hurt. They're both fine. Cheshire is doing his thing, and Enoch is writing a report. Cheshire was barely persuaded to go to sleep. He guarded Lilith all night. Lilith asks if her grandfather knows what happened. Jetty informs her that the rumors haven't reached her grandfather yet, but Enoch informed them of the situation that had happened. Lilith learns that Rico already knows what happened. Lilith decides to wash herself and get dressed for the new day. Lilith is told that many children have gone missing recently. Lilith becomes curious about how Rico found out about this. The maid explains that it is her job to report everything to the guild. Enoch, after the incident at the festival, assigned a huge number of guards to watch the children. The handmaidens reassure Lilith, saying that they are from the Red Hawk and they know everything. The guild has the most trained warriors. Lilith is worried that they will create problems for her father. June reminds her that this is all the servants' work. She tells Lilith that one of the guild members even shook Enoch's hand yesterday. Lilith is shocked. Does Uncle Billy really work for the guild? The maids watch over Lilith, as the guild has ordered. Lilith asks to thank Rico on her behalf, but the maid seems to suddenly remember something. Lilith is suddenly picked up and does not understand what is happening. Lilith is cheerfully informed that today she must be the most beautiful. Meanwhile, Rico reads letters of gratitude from Lilith. Rico is glad that Lilith got him medicine for his sister again. Lilith asks him to find out about a certain nobleman who recently arrived. Rico learns that Lilith will soon arrive with a gift. He decides to find the nobleman, Joseph Ruttman, a master of politics and an excellent orator, whom Lilith asked for. Rico knows that this nobleman disappeared 2 years ago and has no idea how to find Joseph. A mug of aromatic ale is placed in front of Rico, and a loud voice invites him to drink. Billy boasts about his exploits and the fact that he stopped the bandits. Billy asks Rico if he will work for Enoch. Billy knows they need to protect Lilith, so the Duke can help them. Rico tells him about Joseph and that he will help Lilith because of the medicine. Billy believes that Rico was not mistaken, and Enoch is a good person. Rico drinks ale and thinks that the Rubenstein family are good people. He wants to start a revolution, and the Rubensteins are the best candidates to lead the rebels. Enoch remains a man of honor and the embodiment of nobility. He is surprised that Lilith decided to ask him for a favor. Enoch looks at his reflection in a mug of golden ale, thinking himself lucky. Billy states that Enoch is a good man, and Rico made the right choice. Billy fears that they will fail to make a revolution because of Enoch's principles. Rico agrees with him. Enoch is just a newborn baby in political circles. Enoch will not cope in the world of court intrigue, where only lies reign. Rico suddenly drinks all the ale and puts the mug in front of himself. It dawns on Rico that Lilith's request is not accidental. Rico realized that Enoch needed a competent strategist now, and that was Joseph. Rico wonders who Lilith really is. At this time, Lilith is being primped and looks luxurious. The maids invite the girl to look in the mirror. Lilith looks very cute in her blue dress, with ribbons in her hair. The maids were very tired. They had been messing around with Lilith for a long time. Lilith happily looks at herself in the mirror and cannot take her eyes off herself. The maids squeal with delight. They can't believe that their lady is so beautiful. Lilith now looks a little older than she should. Lilith decides to approach the large mirror with a gift. Lilith wants to put on makeup, but the maids ask her not to. They tell Lilith about the harm of cosmetics and that it won't suit her. They decide to bring Enoch to their daughter and Cheshire too. Lilith remains with her thoughts about tea drinking. There was no tea party with aristocrats in the novel, since the novel is about war. Lilith decides to arrange the world of the novel in her own way. Lilith is determined to continue helping Enoch. Lilith turns her gaze back to the alluring mirror. She sits down in front of the mirror and looks at her reflection. Lilith keeps thinking about putting on makeup because she thinks she looks dull. Lilith slowly begins to put on makeup, her cheeks turning pink. Lilith paints and paints. She wants to look beautiful. Cheshire timidly knocks on the door, asking permission to enter. Lilith greets Cheshire with a sweet voice. Lilith looks like a fish with big lips and such a painted face. Cheshire and the brothers ask her why she is taking so long. The brothers die laughing when they look at their sister. Eventually, they wash off her makeup. But the unpleasant feeling remains. Cheshire tries to support Lilith, saying that she is beautiful even without makeup. Cheshire tells Lilith that she is still beautiful, but Lilith knows the truth. Cheshire is lying to her. He wants to support her. The brothers called her a witch, an octopus with this makeup. Theo also lies to Lilith, calling her the beauty of the kingdom. Theo becomes curious about why Leon decided to stare at Lilith, but he is in fact tired of Erica's company. Erica happily runs towards them. She believes that Leon will love him. Leon is scared. He doesn't know where to run away from Erica. Leon decides to switch places with Theo to avoid meeting Erica. In the end, Erica hugs Theo. She doesn't know about the substitution. Lilith laughs at this substitution. She knows that the brothers are now indistinguishable. Erica looks like a porcelain doll, but that's not surprising. She's 12. Lilith looks at herself and gets upset. She's just a child. Lilith says with envy that Erica is more beautiful than her. Cheshire again encourages Lilith. She is a beauty for him. Lilith is upset that she is only an octopus witch. Lilith looks at herself. She will never be beautiful. Cheshire looks at her in surprise with his piercing ruby eyes. Cheshire decides to tell her something so that she doesn't get upset. But then he immediately falls silent and doesn't finish his thought. Lilith greets Erica and they exchange pleasantries. Eric turns his attention to Cheshire and asks who it is. Theo tells her about Cheshire and that he lives with them. Erica wonders why Leon looks like that and why he is so polite. The real Leon is no less surprised that Erica thinks this way about him. Erica has seen through the deception and is once again reaching out to the real Leon. Lilith notices Erica's companion, who is glad to be noticed. Leon sharply tells the boy that clearly no one was expecting him. The boy with the big eyebrows is Damon of the Martini family. Lilith is desperately trying to remember who he is. She remembers that this boy was the one who bullied Cheshire. Lilith introduces herself to the Count, but she is not at all happy to see him. Damon is amazed. Lilith has good manners, despite the fact that she grew up among commoners. Theo jokes that Damon is as dumb as a brick, but then pretends he didn't say anything. Theo is clearly hinting to Damon to take care of himself. Damon politely asks Cheshire where he is from. Damon is shocked to learn that Cheshire is the Duke's adopted son and a commoner. He is surprised that Cheshire was accepted into a noble family at all. Damon supports Cheshire, saying that he can handle everything. Damon suggests going for a cup of tea to get to know each other better. Erica drags poor Leon to tea. He simply resigned to his fate. Lilith and Cheshire walk calmly to the tea party. They don't expect anything. Damon suddenly asks him if Cheshire is coming with them. Damon rudely reminds him that sitting at the same table with a commoner is an insult to the nobility. Lilith and Leon just want to punch the impudent guy for his behavior. Leon suddenly grabs Damon's hands, holding them tightly. Cheshire stops Leon and Lilith. His face is missing. Cheshire calmly says that he needs to go to the training ground. Lilith asks Cheshire to stop, but he slowly walks away. Damon feels like he's won and demands that they leave. So they go to a deliciously laid table, where bananas, apples, and cream cakes are displayed. Damon brags that he is the winner of the horse race, but no one listens to him. Erica wonders if the twins will participate in equestrian competitions. Damon mocks them, asking if the brothers are really that weak. The boys agree that no one can surpass Damon. Lilith is asked about what category she plans to compete in. Damon brazenly assumes that the winner of the competition is already known. Erica thinks Leon is so sweet that he challenged Damon. Lilith imagines herself winning a horse race. Lilith decides to take part in horse racing with Cheshire. So they find themselves at a horse ranch, where they feed horses of different colors. Cheshire is amazed that Enoch allows him to compete, since he is his guardian. Cheshire promises that he will definitely win the race. Enoch offers him to choose the horse he likes. Lilith believes that they will definitely take first place. Cheshire chooses a horse for himself, but he doesn't like any of them. Enoch reminds her that she must choose a horse too. Lilith looks at the horses and realizes that she doesn't know which horse she will like. Suddenly, Lilith's gaze is caught by something. She sees a beautiful white horse with dove-like eyes. Lilith immediately chooses a white horse, which pleases Enoch. But the old rancher tells them with regret in his voice that the white horse is not suitable for racing. He says that the horse belongs to Count Martini and that it won the previous competition. The horse, according to the ranch owner, suffered a leg injury and will never return to its previous form. Lilith is horrified that this beautiful thoroughbred horse was simply thrown away. The ranch owner says that the horse will definitely be sterilized. No one will buy it. Also, they want to send this beautiful horse to the slaughterhouse. Lilith is horrified. They want to kill such a beautiful horse. Enoch tries to calm Lilith down, but she doesn't want to listen to anything. Lilith pitifully persuades her father to buy her Zephyr. Enoch reassures his daughter. He promises to do everything possible. Enoch wants to buy a horse, but the ranch owner delivers bad news. Zephyr has an attachment to her previous owner and doesn't let anyone near her. Enoch listens to the rancher with regret. Lilith is stubborn. She wants to get Zephyr as her new horse. Lilith tearfully asks her father, because she really likes the horse. Enoch cannot resist his daughter's charm, and they take the horse. A little later, at the estate, Enoch teaches his daughter how to ride a horse. He also trains Cheshire to sit in the saddle like a horseman. Lilith listens to her father. She also wants to ride a horse. Enoch asks Lilith not to be bored and goes with Cheshire to make a circle on horseback. At this time, Lilith begins to be openly bored. Zephyr is too cautious and doesn't let the girl get close to her. Lilith talks to the horse, persuading it to give in to her. But Zephyr is stubborn. She doesn't even want to listen to the girl. Zephyr abruptly turns away from the girl and doesn't want to listen to her. Lilith sees that she misses her master and is disappointed in people. Zephyr doesn't let anyone into the saddle, not even a girl. But Lilith does not give up. She decides to tame the obstinate horse. Lilith hauls a pile of carrots after 2 days. Despite the farmer's protests, she has been trying to feed the stubborn horse for 2 days, but all is inconsolable. The horse seems to be waiting for some kind of miracle and keeps looking at the sunset. Cheshire's stallion tries to hit on her, but to no avail. Every day, the horse hears the voice of Lilith. Lilith tells Zephyr about the magic tower and that she was detained after school. Lilith also complains that Lena makes Lilith study even harder. So, 10 days have passed, and Cheshire is confidently in the saddle. Lilith watches Cheshire with envy. Her success is 0. Enoch comes up to her and asks what she is doing here. Enoch has returned to the ranks of the knights, and he is in excellent shape. Lilith tells Enoch that she is watching Cheshire. Lilith complains to her father that her horse doesn't want to ride her. Enoch laughs at her words and promises that everything will work out. Lilith asks her father about the initiation ceremony and whether he will see the emperor. Lilith asks her father if he disobeyed the emperor. He is shocked by her adult speech. Lilith is afraid that her dad will go to war and leave her. Enoch becomes curious about what war his daughter is referring to. Lilith innocently asks her father about bloody wars, like the revolution that hasn't even begun. Lilith is worried that her father has been drawn into something questionable. She asks her father to tell the emperor that he will not go to war. He politely promises Lilith that he will do so. Lilith throws herself into her father's arms and doesn't want to let him go. She tells her father that she is fine, but she is worried about him. Lilith doesn't want Enoch to go to a bloody war. She asks her father to promise that he will not abandon her. Enoch has no choice but to promise this to Lilith. In the evening, Lilith comes to Zephyr again. Lilith tells the horse that she managed to escape from her dad. She says that dad will be with the emperor for 2 nights. Lilith brings marshmallows, a medicine she made herself. Lilith offers to bandage the horse's sore leg. Zephyr allows the girl to apply the bandage to her leg. Lilith believes that this is a good medicine that will help the horse. Lilith believes that she will be able to cure the horse's leg. Zephyr listens attentively as Lilith asks the horse not to be angry with her. Lilith doesn't do this to help the horse win the race. Lilith tells the horse that if it doesn't want to run, then it shouldn't run. Zephyr looks at the girl for a long time, and intently, with his sapphire eyes. She remembers Damon yelling at her, making her run until she was exhausted. He always said that they had to get first place. That was her calling, like a racehorse. But, having met Lilith, the horse realizes that she was wrong. She remembers how Damon put her on a diet to keep her in shape. Lilith tells her that winning is not so important. The main thing is the spirit of competition. Lilith wants the horse to get better as soon as possible. As a result, Zephyr falls asleep with the girl next to him, finally giving her a chance to tame herself. Lilith wonders when she managed to fall asleep. Nordic finds her in the stable, and Lilith becomes scared. Nordic looks at Lilith very sternly, as if she had done something wrong. Lilith quickly explains that she came to feed the horse. Nordic sighs and asks her about Zephyr. He notices that she doesn't even allow himself to be sat on. Lilith mentions that Zephyr is a horse with moral trauma. Lilith claims that if she takes another horse, the Zephyr will become disillusioned with people. Lilith apologizes for not taking part in the race. Nordic is surprised. He didn't ask the girl to bring him awards. Nordic looks at Lilith for a very long time, and intently. He lowers himself down next to her and touches her tiny feet. He unties one of his horses from its stall. Nordic jumps sharply into the saddle and takes Lilith with him. They begin to gallop across the green field. Lilith can't believe how beautiful it is here, and how cool it is. They arrive at a field where the small houses of the village are visible, huddled close to each other. Lilith asks him when her dad will come back. He says he doesn't want to see Enoch because of his banquet, and Lilith nods understandingly. Lilith smiles because her grandfather makes her happy. Lilith wants one thing, for her dad to come back soon. Nordic is puzzled why Lilith apologizes to him every time. Lilith is sad. She thinks that all of her dad's troubles are because of her. Nordic listens attentively to his granddaughter. He understands that she is afraid for her father. Lilith asks Nordic to forbid his son from going to war. Nordic sadly answers her that in life, you always lose someone and gain something. He recalls that his father always had a serious relationship with the emperor. Eventually, Enoch learned to suppress his emotions while living under his grandfather's oppression. Nordic claims that his son has grown up and everything will be different now. He says that he lived for his father, and now he lives for Lilith, so that she can become happy. He regrets that his granddaughter lives in such an unpleasant world. Enoch and his father cannot watch Lilith risk her life for them. He sincerely believes that Enoch will succeed under the Emperor. So, we are shown the Emperor's palace with its wavy towers and long spires. Enoch sees a familiar face in front of him and can barely contain his emotions. Selena, Lilith's mother, appears before him. We are shown the Emperor's palace with its spacious hall and canopy. Enoch loudly greets the Emperor and his council in the hall. The Snake Emperor greets our hero, looking friendly. He is ready to hug and kiss Enoch on both cheeks. Nicholas happily tells him that he is glad that he took up the sword. Enoch kneels before the majestic Emperor and his court. We are shown tall columns with bright flags and royal insignia supporting the ceiling. Nicholas mockingly asks him where his pretty daughter is. Nicholas was looking forward to meeting Lilith, but Enoch was in a bad mood. Sadness eats Enoch up from the inside, and he simply remains silent. Nicola notes that since Lilith is one of the Rubinsteins, there is no need to test her abilities. Nicholas orders Enoch to come closer and look at the world map. He abruptly pushes aside the blood-red curtains. Enoch's eyes are met with an unpleasant and terrifying sight. Before Enoch's eyes are portraits of his people with whom he fought. All of them are Enoch's ancestors, who gave their lives for the Empire. Nicholas rudely asks him how he can honor the memory of his ancestors. Nicholas calmly states that it is very difficult for him to send his loyal servants to their deaths. He says that war is a terrible thing, and not everyone survives it. Nicholas informs him, pointing to the map, that they cannot stop because of the neighboring state. Enoch decides to have a serious talk with the Emperor. Enoch tells him that he has something to say. Nicholas gives him a mocking smile. He asks him in surprise if it is because of Lilith. Enoch shuddered under the gaze of the vile Emperor. Enoch understands perfectly well that he cannot send his daughter into the very hell. Nicholas sadistically tells him that Enoch is a better solution than his daughter in the war. He mentions that Enoch is not an only parent. Nicholas mentions that Enoch has the power to protect the kingdom. Enoch simply has nothing to say to the Emperor. He is thinking about Lilith. Nicholas tells him that he understands his hesitation, since they disagree on the decision to go to war. Nicholas solemnly circles the map with his hands and asserts that all this is for the sake of their state. Enoch asks him if he is preparing an invasion, and Nicholas calmly replies that he is. He believes that Enoch has changed, just like the Empire has changed in 7 years. Nicholas plans the invasion in winter, when a snowstorm will hide their tracks. Enoch passes by the Emperor silently and does not listen to him. Nicholas notices that he is ignoring him. Enoch closes the door behind him and announces that he will prepare. Axion asks Enoch how he is doing. He is just nothing. Axion states that there is a person who wants to see Enoch. It turns out that this person is Selena, Enoch's ex-wife. Enoch asks in surprise why Selene needed him, but Axion doesn't know. Axion says that she demands to meet her daughter. Enoch is silent. He is not surprised by anything. Selena has the right to be so. Enoch and Axion walk down a long corridor past numerous columns. Selena comes out to meet them. She is worried about the meeting. Axion leaves Enoch alone with his wife. Selena asks in a gentle voice how Lilith and he are doing. Enoch rudely asks her what the girl wants. Selena apologizes for being the one who told His Majesty about Enoch. Enoch says that nothing happened and everything is fine. Selena tells him that in exchange for information about Enoch, she received a deferment from the army for her son. But Enoch coldly informs her that he already knows. She asks in surprise why Enoch is in the capital. Enoch begins to tell her about the daughter he dotes on. Selena is very surprised. She didn't expect that he would change so much when talking about Lilith. Selena is glad that Enoch has changed a little. Enoch tells her that he hasn't told Lilith about his mother yet. Enoch is surprised that she asks him not to talk about her. Selena asks him in a commanding tone that Enoch never tell Lilith about her. Selena tells him that one day, her paths with her daughter will cross. Enoch is surprised that Selena doesn't want to talk to her daughter. Selena announces that she has a new family and will not become a mother to the girl. Selena says that her son is now at the training center. Selena is afraid that Lilith will have a bad influence on her son. Enoch is shocked that Selena hates her daughter so much. Selena asks Enoch to take care of himself and leaves. Enoch simply watches her silently as she walks away. Enoch realizes that he is very tired after all this. That evening, Enoch lies on the bed with Lilith. Enoch turns to Lilith and decides to talk to her. But the conversation still doesn't go well, and Enoch doesn't know that he can tell the truth. Enoch shocks Lilith by asking if she misses her mother. Lilith doesn't know what to answer to this strange question. Enoch tells her that Lilith never spoke of this. Lilith tells Enoch that she doesn't really want to see her. She says she misses her mother, but doesn't want to interfere with her new life. Enoch is surprised. As a child, Lilith always asked him about his mother. Lilith wriggles out of it. She says that if there was a dad, then there is a mom too. Lilith surprises Enoch by asking if she must see her. Enoch calmly informs her that this is not at all necessary. While Lilith sleeps, Enoch is restless. Enoch looks at Lilith thoughtfully, comparing her to her mother. But then, Enoch decides to fall asleep, closing his eyes. Lilith understands that Enoch has had a very difficult day. Lilith clings tightly to her father. They tell each other that they love each other. Lilith calms Enoch down. She says that her dad is enough for her. Lilith writes to Rico again and asks him how his sister is. He tells her that their target is in large gambling debt. Lilith is surprised that Rico tells her everything so easily. Rico also wishes Lilith a good horse ride and a great birthday. Lilith asks to burn the letter and highlight one line, Jetty. I always confuse her with June. Asks her what she can do for Lilith. Lilith decides to write a new letter, and Jetty is ready to write it. Lilith orders to write so that Enoch will listen to her immediately. Jetty asks her in surprise if that's too rude. Finally, the letter is ready, and Jetty wants to ask Lilith about something. Jetty thinks that Lilith is living a second life, and she wants to know who her mistress is. Lilith decides to have a serious talk with Jetty. Lilith reminds her that there is a Red Hawk rule. Jetty remembers what she means. Jetty understands that Lilith needs something in return. In the end, Jetty decides not to pry. We are shown a training ground for knights. Enoch silently watches the knights training on the court. Enoch remembers that Lilith only needs him. He decides to try hard for his daughter's sake during training, but he understands perfectly well that Lilith needs female company. Enoch notices Cheshire watching the knights train. The Cheshire cat puffed out his cheeks and looked like a hamster. Enoch asks Cheshire if he is ill. Enoch is horrified. Cheshire wants to do something. Cheshire resolutely reaches into the mouth to pull out the teeth. Enoch looks at the ground. The boy's molar has fallen out. Enoch suddenly realizes what is happening. Cheshire just lost his baby tooth. Enoch remembers that Lilith will soon lose her baby teeth. Enoch, horrified, asks if Cheshire really pulled out all his own teeth. Enoch asks if Cheshire is not afraid at all. He looks at Cheshire's teeth and wonders how many teeth he has already pulled out himself. The boy says that all of his teeth have fallen out except for his back teeth. Enoch is shocked by his pupil's independence. Enoch is surprised that the boy lost his teeth at the age of 6. Enoch is horrified. His daughter is already 7, which means all her teeth will fall out. Enoch realizes that Lilith does not have all her teeth yet. He thinks that he is not taking good care of his children. Enoch bangs his head on the table in despair. Enoch realizes that things are very bad with Lilith's development. His butler, Rem, approaches him with things in his hands. Rem calmly tells him that he knocked 10 times, but no one heard him. He abruptly places the box of things in front of Enoch, telling him to trust the professionals. He asks his master to return to his business. He brought Enoch books on childcare. Enoch suddenly finds new letters that require his attention. Enoch is shocked by what is written in the letter. They ask him if he really intends to obey the orders of the old snake. He is asked to remember his dreams and life in the castle. Enoch is able to start a new life, and everything is in his hands. He is ordered to find Joseph, who will help him. Enoch is shocked at being drawn into the revolution. Enoch checks all the letters, comparing handwriting. He is trying to find the author of the letters that came anonymously. Enoch decides to hide the letters, because they call for revolution. Enoch feels like a revolutionary hiding the letters. Enoch thinks he's a complete psycho. In an empire, power is transferred only to the emperor. The emperor is considered equal to God, and to overthrow him is blasphemy. Enoch wonders who the mysterious sender of his letters is. Enoch wonders who his interlocutor is. As a child, Enoch simply dreamed of cutting off the emperor's head. For this reason, Enoch knew that his abilities were a sin, but Enoch was the only one whose abilities went beyond the limits. Enoch knows that the revolution requires the support of the aristocrats, and the nobles are generally happy with the emperor. Enoch thinks he's crazy when he reads all these letters. Enoch wonders who wants to drag him into the revolution. The action moves again to the castle where they live. Silver hair is blown by the summer wind. Lilith wonders if Dad read her letters. Lilith asks Cheshire if he is listening to her. Cheshire says that she is sad because Enoch started talking about her mother. The Cheshire cat tells the girl that he was listening to her chatter. At this time, the black horse is determined to please Zephyr. Cheshire says that her father probably wants to get married. Lilith is worried about what this talk about her mother means. She doesn't believe that her dad fell in love with someone. She remembers very well that this novel is about revolution. There is no love here. Lilith knows that the author paid attention to the line of wars and revolutions. Lilith decides to have a serious talk with Cheshire about his future. Cheshire rudely tells her not to ask him to be the father of their children. Lilith asks him about the family she will create. Lilith tells him that it's normal to fall in love. She tells him how great it is to have a child. She asks Cheshire to close his eyes and imagine his family. Cheshire imagines a beautiful wife asking him to change their children's underwear. Lilith whispers to Cheshire about family, what awaits him in the future. And also, Cheshire has a son who looks like him smiling at him. He stands with the baby, quite grown up, and feeds the child with formula. His wife comes up to him from behind and hugs him. She looks very much like Lilith and invites him to go on a picnic. Cheshire is surprised by what his wife offers him: the blinding sun, the singing of birds, and the babbling of a stream. The son sits in Cheshire's arms and repeats his name. Cheshire's wife turns to look at him. Lilith wrapped herself in the role of a wife and repeated words of love to Cheshire. Cheshire and Lilith decide to share their thoughts about family. Lilith wonders what kind of family Cheshire imagined. Lilith tells Cheshire that having a family isn't so bad. Cheshire is confused. He doesn't know how to tell his sister about everything. Lilith sincerely believes that Cheshire will be able to start his own family. She takes Cheshire's hand and tells him that everything will be okay. Lilith suggests to Cheshire that they have their own families. Lilith believes that they will find their happiness. With these thoughts, Lilith leaves Cheshire. Lilith believes that everything they are taught is important. Lilith claims that love is the most important thing in life. She offers Cheshire to love with a sweet look. Cheshire looks at her in surprise. He doesn't understand what happened. Cheshire looks calmly at Lilith. He sees in her his future wife. Lilith laughs as the horse eats the carrot from her hand. Lilith is suddenly surprised, because the horse does not allow anyone to approach it. Marshmallow calmly eats carrots and looks at the girl with his blue eyes. Lilith smiles. She is happy about the progress in her relationship with Zephyr. Cheshire decides to release Zephyr from her enclosure. Cheshire offers the girl to pet Zephyr, since she has become submissive. Lilith decides to pet Zephyr, and she extends her muzzle to the girl. Lilith is surprised that Zephyr has become so submissive. Cheshire puts a saddle on Zephyr, and Lilith is surprised that she will be riding her. Cheshire turns his head towards Lilith. He kneels before Lilith and invites her to mount the horse. Cheshire asks Lilith to hurry as soon as possible. Cheshire asks Lilith to hold on to his shoulder. Lilith is sitting on a horse, and she is riding it for a ride. Cheshire happily tells her the news that Zephyr has trusted Lilith. Lilith is afraid that she is going to fall off the horse. Lilith is touched that the horse decided to give her a ride. Cheshire is genuinely happy for Lilith, and she is happy. The next day, the hill races begin. Lilith is dressed in equestrian costume and is ready to race. There were 7 participants in the races, including Lilith, but quite a lot of people had gathered. Lilith is surprised that so many people have gathered. Lilith asks her father not to worry about her and Zephyr. Many people are surprised that Lilith is riding Zephyr. Lilith trained for 5 hours on Zephyr, and she is confident of her victory. Lilith confidently declares that she will win the race. Enoch is amazed that Lilith likes Zephyr so much. Zephyr tells the girl that he has never seen a horse like this. At this time, Cheshire attracts Lilith and the others with his black horse. Enoch can't help but stare at the horse the girl and Cheshire got. Cheshire is worried about what will happen to the girl. Lilith tells him that she has been training on the horse for several hours and can handle it. Lilith promises that she will dedicate the victory to Cheshire. The race between the horses finally begins. Lilith sees that her rival has reappeared. Damon Martini walks like he's a winner, leading his steed. Damon takes a critical look at his rival in the race. Lilith stands in his way with her Zephyr. She will win, not him. Damon is shocked at how Lilith managed to tame Zephyr. At this time, Cheshire passes by, looking impressive. Damon is furious. He is in the shadow of Cheshire and his steed. Damon greets Enoch and says that he will win. Damon insists that he didn't know that Lilith would become his rival, and with his horse at that. Lilith introduces him to her steed, or rather Zephyr. Lilith tells that Zephyr was wounded. Lilith bought her back. Damon is furious. People behind him start whispering behind his back. Lilith begins to tell the tragic story of the horse and Damon. Damon looks at the townspeople, who simply sympathize with Lilith and the horse. Lilith achieved her goal, and now she has received the audience award. Lilith invites Zephyr to go for a walk to explore the surroundings. Lilith wants to stop by the lake to drink some water. All participants start racing as soon as the presenter announces. Lilith is sure that everyone will be interested to look at her. The leader fires and the horses begin their long run. Lilith's horse rushes forward at breakneck speed. Lilith is afraid that she is about to fall off her horse. Lilith clung to the horse as it galloped along the rocky path. Lilith realizes that she has gotten too far ahead. Lilith asks Zephyr to stop immediately. Lilith manages to stop the horse, which has fully experienced the taste of freedom. Lilith is glad that the horse has slowed down its pace. Lilith apologizes to the horse. She didn't know that it loved speed. But Lilith's horse doesn't obey. It rushes further and further. A black stallion rushes past Lilith with the speed of lightning. Lilith looks in surprise. Who could this rider be? She learns that Valter and Cheshire's horse rushed past her. Cheshire looks back at her for a moment and stares. Lilith supports Cheshire with a loud cry. But an obstacle arises ahead, and Lilith is not ready for it. But the horse Zephyr does not notice the obstacles and rushes forward. Zephyr jumps over the obstacle, shocking Lilith. Lilith understands that Zephyr has been through a lot of hardships. Lilith and Zephyr gallop across green plains and rivers. Lilith notices that the lake sparkles as she passes by. Lilith hears Damon's displeased voice from behind. Damon yells at his poor horse as loud as he can, as it is already limping. Lilith is horrified and feels sorry for his new steed. Lilith yells at Damon that he needs to learn some manners. Damon is surprised by such impudence from little Lilith. She yells at Damon that he won't win now without Zephyr. Damon cursed in anger. He would definitely win. Damon screams that she won't win and that she's gone crazy. Damon can't bear it if Lilith wins, but she's determined to win. Lilith overtakes Damon, and he only threatens her. Damon hits the horse with all his might, but it resists. Damon growls, wondering if his horse will run. Damon is about to catch Lilith. He stretches out his thick fingers towards her. Lilith sees Damon lifting the falling spell from her. The horse brakes sharply, and Lilith falls head over heels. Lilith is terrified and flies very high and away from the horse. Damon and the horse run forward, and Lilith lies on the road. Lilith gets up from the ground. She hit herself hard and fell. Lilith knows it was against the rules, and Damon won't win. Lilith goes to tell the judges everything, but Zephyr is waiting for her faithfully. Lilith decides to tell the horse that Damon broke the rules. Lilith decides that the judges will believe her, even though no one saw a rule violation. Zephyr uses his muzzle to show Lilith that they should continue the run. The horse takes Lilith in its teeth, and she is shocked at how they will win the race. Zephyr's eyes are telling her to keep running. Lilith wonders if the horse really wants them to continue the race. Zephyr's eyes are shining, as if asking to continue the run. Lilith decides to try. They will reach the finish line. Lilith asks Zephyr not to go too fast so she doesn't fall. On command, the horse runs at such a speed that only the trees flash by. Lilith feels herself overwhelmed with emotion. The horse carries Lilith with such incredible speed that she can barely stay in the saddle. Within seconds, they catch up with Damon, who is scolding his horse. Lilith is uncomfortable with the situation with the horse. She realizes that Damon has not changed. Zephyr overtakes Damon's horse at the speed of light. Suddenly, Zephyr stopped. Lilith doesn't know what happened. Lilith is shocked. The horse wants her to make fun of Damon. Lilith makes a funny face and looks at Damon. Lilith taunts Damon that he won't win because she will tell on him for breaking the rules. After this, Lilith goes ahead and Damon stays behind. Lilith praises the horse. She thinks that Zephyr is the best. Lilith rides forward. She is glad that she has such a horse. They still have one more section to go ahead. Suddenly, Lilith notices something in front of her. Lilith sees that they have reached the finish line. Cheshire stopped on his black horse at the finish line. The Cheshire Cat smiles at her, seeing the girl in the distance. Lilith is surprised when she sees his sweet smile. Zephyr gallops and reaches the finish line. Everyone announces that Lilith has won the race. It turns out Cheshire was waiting for her to reach the finish line. Lilith is surprised by Cheshire's actions and is congratulated on her victory. One of the competition leaders notices that something is wrong with Lilith. Everyone notices that Lilith is wounded. She can barely stay in the saddle. They start arguing about testing protection spells. Nordic and Enoch make their way through the crowd to Lilith. Enoch suddenly grabs Lilith by both hands and asks what happened. Enoch is horrified that Lilith has fallen and the spell has been broken. Enoch is ready to tear apart the leaders of the competition to lift the curse. Lilith tells her father that the spell was broken during the competition. Damon finally arrives at the finish line. Damon feels like he's about to be caught. People begin to discuss the violation of the rules with discontent. Lilith feels like a winner of the race. Lilith looks back at Damon, who is already being scolded by his parents. Lilith, when she arrived, was surrounded by adults with questions. Nordic decided not to leave the situation like that. Lilith persuades her grandfather not to interfere. Lilith knows Damon's feelings and doesn't want any problems. Her behavior touched the audience, who were shocked that she forgave this boy. Lilith asks Nordic not to punish the boy. People continue to discuss how she could forgive such a thing. Lilith thinks her tactics with her grandfather will work. She decides to play the role of an innocent angel to maintain the family's reputation. Lilith asks if Damon is okay and shakes his hand. Damon shuddered at the way he was being treated. Lilith asks Damon to help her in the future. Lilith is even ready to hug her enemy. Lilith hugs Damon, who is not at all moved. Lilith sarcastically asks him if he realizes that he has lost. We are then shown a newspaper where they talk about Lilith's victory. Then, the winners are chosen to be drawn for the newspaper. A court artist was invited to depict them. Lilith invites Cheshire to join hands for a portrait. Cheshire looks confused as he looks at her. This day reminded Lilith of real spring. Then, Cheshire looks at the portrait and is overcome with different feelings. The twins look at Cheshire with envy. No one has painted their portrait. They brought some kind of red gift in their hands. For Lilith's birthday, the twins got Princess Lara's dress and tiara. The princess's dress was strewn with precious stones. The tiara was also decorated with a bunch of diamonds and rubies. Cheshire looks at the gifts. He thinks Lilith will be delighted. The twins leave, taking the gifts away, discussing whether Lilith will like it. Cheshire remembers that it's supposed to be Lilith's birthday. Cheshire shakes out the money he has for a gift. He finds 4 coins, 4,000 tar, on himself. He thinks that this will be enough for her doll. Cheshire doesn't know what she wants for her birthday. Cheshire knows that all the girls are crazy about Princess Lara, buying paraphernalia based on the popular fairy tale. Cheshire ponders what remains of Princess Lara. The Cheshire Cat walks around with his bunny-shaped wallet, but he couldn't buy anything. Cheshire finds out that all the gifts are very expensive. Cheshire ponders how he will manage to get the presents. Cheshire decides to earn some money to buy gifts. Unexpectedly, Cheshire finds a lottery and decides to go there. He knows that he has 3,000 left and decides to try the lottery. Cheshire resolutely asks the seller to give him a lottery ticket. In the evening, our Axion takes a look around the city. Axion notices Cheshire and rushes towards him. Cheshire can't win the lottery no matter how hard he tries. Axion recognizes Cheshire, who is always unlucky. Axion recalls that Enoch couldn't handle Lilith, but decided to adopt Cheshire. The seller nods sympathetically to the boy, who was unsuccessful. Cheshire is upset he couldn't win anything. Suddenly, Axion and Cheshire collide with each other. The seller immediately apologizes to Axion. Axion asks Cheshire in surprise what he is doing here. Cheshire coldly tells him that everything is fine and leaves. Axion notices that Cheshire looks very upset. Axion abruptly grabs Cheshire by the hand and asks him to wait. Cheshire is shocked. He didn't expect this from Axion. Action is perplexed. He acted too impulsively. Action asks the seller what the boy needed. Axion thinks that Enoch didn't buy something for Cheshire. Axion realizes that Cheshire is embarrassed to ask for anything. Axion asks the seller about the Sword of St. Louis. Cheshire remains silent. He is ashamed that Axion intervened. Axion doesn't lag behind Cheshire with his questions. Cheshire is shy and tells about Princess Lara's magic wand. Action is surprised. He knows nothing at all about the tastes of young people. The seller says that the boy really wants the wand. The seller tells Axion everything. The boy wants to leave. Axion suddenly grabs him by the collar and orders him to stop. Axion pays the seller 1 gold coin, and he is shocked. He gives Cheshire another gold piece until he manages to win. Action asks the boy to reveal his lottery number. The action again moves to the familiar castle. Enoch is horrified. Lilith is being enrolled in the institute, and they have no right to refuse. Enoch was very upset. He was sure that the girl would not be taken. Enoch suggests that Lilith ignore the request, since the call begins at the age of 9. But Lilith cheerfully answers him that she will go. Lilith is afraid that she will not grow up if she does not use magic. Enoch believes that Lilith will cope in 1 month. Lilith knows that the summoning will not be a problem for her. She is shocked that Enoch has not responded to her letters. Lilith wrote letters to call Enoch to revolution. She realizes that Enoch chooses to serve the emperor rather than rebel. Enoch has all the qualities of a revolutionary. Enoch tells her that he is leaving soon. Enoch tells her in a flowery manner that he needs to leave. Lilith naively believes that he went to get a gift for her. Enoch promises her that he will return as soon as possible. Lilith thinks that he will look for Joseph in 3 days. Lilith knows about Joseph, that he's shown at court and was a politician. Lilith sincerely believes that Enoch went to look for him. Lilith happily tells him that she wants to go too. Enoch tells her that he has a friend and he will go to him. Lilith is happy. Does her gloomy dad really have friends? Lilith starts to act up and says she wants to see her dad's friends too. Enoch says with regret that he does not want to part with her. In the end, they both arrived at their destination together. They find themselves in a less than ideal area of the city. Enoch thinks he's gone mad for coming here. He gently snaps his fingers across Lilith's face. Enoch cleared all the tobacco smoke from Lilith's face. Lilith is happy. She has such an attentive and caring dad. They approach the doors with servants, of whom there are more and more. Enoch asks them directly where Joseph can be found. The servants look at Enoch coldly for a very long time, and then the servants exchange glances at each other. In the end, they were both simply kicked out of the establishment. Enoch decides not to give up and approaches them again. Lilith asks if he will use camouflage. Lilith believes that her father is hiding his identity for a reason. Enoch thinks that if he is recognized, no one will want to talk to him. Enoch thinks there must be some other way. Lilith suggests posing as gamblers to get close to Joseph. Lilith asks Enoch if he knows how to play poker. Enoch approaches Joseph, asking if he found him. We are shown a pale Joseph with bruises under his eyes. He rudely asks Enoch what he wants. He immediately tells Enoch that he is wasting his time if he is a nobleman. Enoch insists that they talk. Joseph looks displeased and gives Enoch an unkind look. He says he wants to gamble away all the money, so Enoch will have to wait. Lilith knew that this was all Joseph would say. Enoch proudly declares that he also wants to bet all the money. So they start the game by making a bet in the game. Joseph feels like he's not playing cards with a novice. He notices that Lilith is tired of playing and wants to sleep. He thinks that Enoch brought the child on purpose to make him fall apart. Enoch gets the same cards, which pleases Lilith. Joseph realizes he has a pair of cards and prays that he gets a 3. He wants to cheat Enoch and make a flush in his cards. Joseph is eager to beat Enoch at his own game. Enoch also wants to bet all the cards this round. They decide to show their cards, and Joseph is already jubilant. But Enoch is lucky. He gets a quad, a rare combination of cards. Joseph is furious. He thinks Enoch is cheating. Enoch is happy with his victory and kisses Lilith, while Joseph is horrified. Joseph wonders why he dragged his daughter into this. After some time, Lilith sits and picks at the ground. Joseph asks her what the girl is drawing. Lilith asks Joseph if he talked to her dad. Lilith tells him that the picture shows her, Dad, and Uncle Joseph. Joseph asks her why her father took her with him. Lilith tells Joseph that her dad played poker for the first time. Lilith says she saw his card combination. She says that she helped her dad win right away. Lilith told her father everything, but he asked her to keep quiet in front of Joseph. Lilith proudly declares that poker face is the basis of everything. Joseph notes that Lilith is simply a smart girl. He regrets that she was born into a noble family. He says that her dad is talking nonsense. Joseph believed that Enoch wanted to use him, just like the other nobles. Enoch wanted to ask Joseph for help in challenging the vile nobles. Naturally, Joseph was shocked by what he heard. He thinks Enoch is meddling in something that isn't his business, and asks Lilith to ask Dad to stop. Lilith, on the contrary, believes in Enoch and proudly declares it. She shocks Joseph by saying that her dad can handle it. Joseph thinks he sees his relative. In Lilith, he sees his daughter, Ella. Joseph wants to tell Lilith something, but gathers his strength. Then Joseph starts crying, and Lilith is shocked. She doesn't know how to calm him down. He tells Lilith about his daughter, Ella, whom Lilith resembles. He tells Lilith with tears in his eyes that he lost his family. Because he helped the nobles, Joseph lost his family. Joseph would very much like to see his family again. He cries and tells Lilith that he will never be able to go back. Lilith listens to Joseph's lamentations that his family will never return. Lilith tells him that the family is praying for his happiness. Lilith, if she were Joseph's daughter, would pray for him every day. She would like him to live a happy life and meet him in heaven. Joseph looks at Lilith in shock and doesn't know what to say. Lilith assumes the role of his daughter and comforts him. She asks Joseph not to get sick and to stop gambling. Joseph smiles for real. He is happy now. Enoch and Joseph stand in front of the open portal. Lilith hands him the toy and asks him to pass it on to Ella. Enoch asks Joseph what made him change his mind. He tells Enoch that nothing will make him change his mind. Joseph guesses who Enoch Rubinstein is. He decides to help Enoch in his plan for revolution. He knows that he will need money from the aristocrats for the revolution. Joseph wonders what made him help Enoch. But looking at Lilith, he decides to help our heroes. He wishes Enoch good luck and says that he can count on him. Enoch remains silent and looks at the dark portal in front of him. Joseph asks them to leave, as they must not be seen. Joseph asks him what he wants to get after the revolution, but, unexpectedly, something catches Joseph's attention. He looks in surprise at the transformed Enoch and his daughter. Enoch invites him to come to his estate. After this, our heroes disappear into a black portal. Joseph is perplexed by what just happened to the heroes. Lilith and Joseph run through the village, and Lilith asks what will happen to Joseph. Lilith asks Enoch if Joseph is unlikely to help them now. Enoch becomes curious about what Lilith is afraid of. He tells Lilith that she looks like she's in trouble if this man doesn't come. Enoch asks her if she wanted him to be friends with her. Lilith tells him about the revolution and that Joseph is their hope. He looks at Lilith in surprise. He doesn't dare say anything to her. But then, Enoch turns everything into a joke, looking at Lilith. He tells Lilith that if Joseph doesn't come, he will think of something himself. Lilith believes that she did everything she could to help her father. Suddenly, Enoch stops abruptly. He frantically remembers something. Lilith tells him that it's okay if her dad doesn't give her anything for her birthday. Enoch smiles and says that he will definitely give something. So they find themselves in their native castle, which is even cooler than before. Nordic and Enoch's sister are walking down the alley. They are furiously discussing something. Nordic ponders what gift he can give Lilith. The twins' mother reminds him that Lilith's birthday is a serious matter. She says that Lilith's gift must be serious and grandiose, but he says that it is unlikely that Lilith will like his gift. The twins' mother mentions that Lilith has no decent dresses. Suddenly, Nordic notices some movement in the bushes. Enoch, half naked and with a luxurious torso, is making something out of wood. His family thinks that Enoch is obviously crazy for doing something like that. A worried Ram runs up to them, and the twins' mother asks what's going on. Ram explains to the frightened family that Enoch is working on a gift for Lilith. He claims that Enoch wants to make the gift with his own hands. Nordic is in shock. They all don't know how to react to this. Lilith, covered in gifts from her brothers, pursues Cheshire. Cheshire decides that he will give her his gift and flowers in the evening. Cheshire knows he has nothing to do on Lilith's birthday. Cheshire abruptly jumps over the fence, leaving Lilith behind. Cheshire hears Lilith scolding him, but he leaves. Suddenly, Cheshire notices something, and he is shocked. Lilith climbs over the wall on her tiny legs. Lilith demands that Cheshire catch her and go eat cake with her. Lilith falls. Cheshire decides to catch her from below. Lilith falls right on top of Cheshire, and their lips touch. Lilith and Cheshire lie on the ground, kissing for the first time. Lilith quickly apologizes to Cheshire for the awkward kiss. Cheshire asks in surprise if Lilith is hurt. Lilith yells at Cheshire that it is his fault because he never listens to her. Cheshire apologizes, and Lilith demands that he give something. Cheshire gives her the lilac flowers, and Lilith is happy about it. Lilith becomes curious about what these purple flowers are. Cheshire calls the flowers Aristida, which shocks Lilith. Lilith realizes that she has heard something about these flowers. Cheshire saw these flowers at Enoch's and decided to ask about them. Enoch told him that these flowers were given for his daughter's birthday. According to Enoch, Aristide is a symbol of endless birth. Lilith thanks Cheshire with all her heart, saying that these are her favorite flowers. Cheshire looks at her with surprise, his ruby eyes. Lilith tearfully asks Cheshire to go with her to the party. Cheshire is shy, but still agrees. Everyone is celebrating Lilith's birthday, and there is a cheerful atmosphere. Lilith blows out the candles in her strawberry cream cake with all her might. Everyone around, the twins, Nordic and Enoch, congratulate our heroine on her birthday. Lilith says she is very grateful for today. Nordic and the twins' mother have prepared gifts for her, but they compete over the importance of the gifts. Her aunt slowly opens a flower-painted box that is practically glowing with light. Inside is a luxurious diamond necklace for a true lady. Enoch notes that Lilith cannot wear such a thing on herself. The twins' mother wants Lilith to wear this to the emperor's reception. Lilith promises that when she grows up, she will definitely wear something like this. Lilith takes the package from her grandfather and is curious about what he gave her. Nordic proudly tells her that he has decided to give the girl a land patent. Nordic bought a plot of land for horse riding, 100 arshins long. He proudly declares that Cheshire and Lilith will now be driving on this section. Cheshire feels awkward about such a luxurious gift. Lilith is in shock. She can't believe her own happiness. Lilith feels like the granddaughter of a rich billionaire. Leon asks Cheshire what he gave Lilith. Lilith says that he gave her her favorite flowers. Lilith says that these flowers are enough for her. But Cheshire was waiting for the right moment and gives her a gift. Cheshire looks very confused as he looks at Lilith. The brothers ask Lilith to open the gift. They are intrigued. Lilith is shocked by the gift and becomes curious about what Cheshire gave her. In front of her is a cute rabbit-shaped purse and a magic wand. Enoch joyfully congratulates Lilith on her new gift. Lilith is touched by Cheshire's gift and thanks him. Lilith also finds a note from him that Cheshire's life has turned into paradise thanks to the girl. Lilith begins to cry, unable to contain her emotions. Lilith is touched, and she cries because she is very happy. Enoch tries to find out from his daughter what was written in the note. Something catches Lilith's attention, and she freezes. Enoch made a swing which he tied to a tall oak tree. Lilith is happy with such a gift from her dad and runs to them. Lilith and Enoch sit on the swing and swing on it. Lilith remembers the days when she lived in the village. Enoch asks Lilith if she is happy with him and his family. Lilith is not shy and pleases her father with her positive answer. Enoch tells her that his days are filled with happiness as long as she is happy. Lilith doesn't hold back. She also admits that she is happy too. Lilith suddenly notices something ahead of her. Lilith realizes that she does not want to return to our world. Lilith tells her father that she is tired and asks to go back to sleep. Lilith was encouraged by her father's words on the swing that he would protect her and decided to meet with the Emperor. Jetty hands her a small envelope, saying that it is a gift from her father. June is crying. She can't imagine her life without the lady. The maids don't want to let the girl go to the Emperor's palace. Oscar sternly reproaches the maids and asks what they do during their lessons. Lilith boasts to Oscar that she solved his problems. Oscar starts asking Lilith some geometry problem. He continues to ask Lilith about his tasks. Lilith always answers him correctly. He mockingly remarks that Lilith will graduate from the institute at this rate. He gives Lilith some kind of bracelet with a ruby. Oscar gives her the bracelet, saying he spent all night making it. Lilith doesn't want to accept the bracelet, for which Oscar hits her on the head, and then he puts Lilith's bracelet on his hand. It is a magical artifact. He tells Lilith that his gift will burn her in the center of magic. Oscar says goodbye to Lilith, and she happily runs home. But, unexpectedly, Oscar grabs Lilith by the backpack. Oscar rudely asks Lilith why she waited so long to leave. Lilith seriously answers him that she wants to go for a walk with a friend. Oscar is surprised that Lilith has become close to Cheshire, but then Oscar takes his words back and doesn't want to let her go. Lilith is irritated by his behavior and the way he treats her. Oscar seriously asks Lilith if she likes Cheshire. Lilith firmly answers him that Cheshire is her true friend. Oscar explains whether Lilith likes Cheshire as a boy. Lilith doesn't understand why Oscar is so interested in this. Oscar tells her that it's okay if she falls in love. Lilith is surprised. Cheshire is 4 years older than her. Oscar looks sadly at Lilith. He clearly regrets everything. Lilith answers him with an imperturbable look. Oscar thinks Lilith and Cheshire are funny. Lilith doesn't understand him. The next day, the whole family goes to the palace to see the Emperor. Leon asks her to let him know if anyone offends her. Lilith and Cheshire go to the Emperor's court. Lilith arrives at a place that looks like an army camp. Enoch doesn't know what to say to her cries. Enoch is ready to burst into tears. Lilith doesn't know how to console him. Lilith reassures him that she will only be studying for a month. Enoch is worried about Lilith, whether she will find friends. Enoch hugs his children. He wants them to know that they are both dear to him. He asks Cheshire to keep an eye on Lilith and to tell him if anything happens. Cheshire decides to keep a close eye on Lilith. Lilith is confident that everything will be fine with her at the camp. She knows this is where Cheshire's potential will be realized. Cheshire is the only one whose power is not controlled by the villain, the Emperor. It was Cheshire who killed the main character in the original novel. Lilith believes that she will avoid the sad ending of the novel. Enoch begs Lilith to be careful and tell him everything. So the kids go on an attack on Titan mission, and a tough training awaits them. Lilith is waiting for the Emperor to appear. She doesn't like her sign. Lilith notices Cheshire's badge. It's white. She hears that the badge signifies rank with the Emperor. She sees children having fun, unaware of the difficulties ahead. Some children await their sad fate. Lilith realizes that all the children were divided by rank. The villain of the Manhwa, Nicholas, His Royal Highness, enters the room. Lilith decides that she will cope, no matter what happens to her. Nicholas slowly approaches the children, who are already scared. Nicholas stops in front of Lilith and bows before her. Lily is shocked. She greets the Emperor. The Emperor smiles wickedly and says that he is glad to meet them. Lilith realizes that the Emperor and she are similar in some ways. The Emperor's hand reaches out to her. Lilith is terrified. Nicholas picks up Lilith, just like his dad did. Lilith doesn't know what else to expect from him. Nicholas, with a haunted expression, tells her that he had been waiting for their meeting. Lilith tries to turn everything into a joke, but she is scared of him. The Emperor coos over her as if she were his own daughter. He blesses Lilith to do great things for their country. Lilith. It seems like time has stopped around her. Lilith feels the power given to her by the Emperor seething within her. The Emperor asks her if everything is okay. He orders that special attention be paid to the development of Lilith. And then the Emperor conjures something. All children gain magical powers, a gift from the Emperor. Lilith is sure that the Emperor is making obedient slaves out of them. Lilith sees other children looking at her with envy. Children cannot use magic without an Emperor, and Primera is the highest rank. Lilith is glad that the Emperor has discovered her core of magic. Lilith walks through the dorm. She is confident that she will succeed. Lilith thinks that the whole academy is somehow strange. A group of girls runs up to her and wants to meet her. The pink-haired girl introduces herself to her as Alice. The other girls are Diane and Michelle. They are happy to meet you. Alice was visiting Lilith with Erica. Lilith is glad to meet them, but remembers that there are only 5 girls. One of the girls can't say hello to Lilith. Lilith guesses the names of her other neighbors. Alice offers Lilith something to eat, and she agrees. She decides to take Lilith with her to the dining room, but the red-haired girl doesn't want to meet her and lies in bed. Michelle tells the red-haired girl to get up and bring them something to eat. Alice reminds her that Lilith is an important guest, and she will not wait. The red-haired girl suddenly gets out of bed and scares her neighbors. The girl suddenly turns out to be a rather rude boy who does not want to see Lilith. Lilith understands that not everyone is happy to see her at the academy. The boy glares at her and doesn't want to serve her. Lilith understands that everything here depends on the ranks of the badges. Lilith decides that they will bring the food themselves and head to the dining room. Lilith understands that not everyone at the academy will be her friends. She notices that people like Jem are bringing food to another class. Lilith clearly remembers something about the world of the novel. She suddenly realizes that Cheshire also has a white badge. Cheshire is clearly not having a good time in the boys' room. Bruce Chambers says that the academy has its own rules, and talking to people like Lilith is prohibited. Bruce asks our hero what his relationship is with Lilith. He tells his assistant, Simon, that Cheshire is definitely going to get punched in the face. Cheshire has a very noble face for a commoner. The boys laugh at Cheshire's face and want a snack. Bruce orders Cheshire to bring them food. The Cheshire Cat is surprised. He is not at all a servant to these naughty boys. Bruce points to his badge, telling him that Cheshire is here as a servant. Cheshire realizes that he is in the same room with the nobles to serve. But Cheshire does not give in and refuses to follow the academy's harsh rules. Bruce rudely asks another boy what to do with him. Cheshire looks to see who the vile Bruce has addressed. He turned to the silver-haired boy, reading a book, Gerard Schmidt. He rudely remarks that he is busy reading, and Bruce apologizes. A boy, whose face is hidden by his fluffy hair, asks them to stop quarreling. Bruce calls him over in a commanding tone, and then Bruce punched the kid in the face with all his might. Cheshire is horrified. He doesn't understand why the poor boy was hit. Bruce yells loudly at the boy that he must speak when he orders. Cheshire stands up abruptly. He's about to fight. Cheshire says he will bring food so the boy won't be beaten. Bruce pats him on the shoulder and says, "That's how it should be." The boy runs after Cheshire, who turns around when he hears his name. The boy warns Cheshire that he shouldn't be rude to Bruce. The boy just can't get along with Cheshire. The poor child was driven to stutter. Cheshire only sighs. So they come to a canteen that looks like an army. The boy tells him that this is where he can get food. Cheshire notices Lilith tugging at her badge. Lilith notices Cheshire and runs towards him in fear. Lilith tells him about what happened to her. Cheshire says he came to get his portion, but Lilith doesn't believe him. The boy introduces himself as Rom and meets Lilith. He tells her about Bruce and his mission. Lilith demands that Cheshire stop obeying. He is in the Rubenstein family. Cheshire reminds her that they are nobodies here, and their names mean nothing. Many children look back at them and are already interested in what is going on here. Lilith asks Cheshire to remember who he was and to stop acting like this. Cheshire tells her that he doesn't want any problems at the academy. Lilith says that Enoch would be pleased to hear that he doesn't want to cause trouble. Lilith asks how many people are in the room. Rom says 5. Lilith puts out some food and asks them to tell the boys that it is from Lilith. She points to Cheshire and says that if they keep Cheshire as a slave, she will come to their room herself. Lilith won't hold back if Cheshire is treated like a slave. Rom thanks Lilith for the food and invites her to visit them. Lilith says she is happy to help them out and promises to come. Dinner begins. All the children have gathered in the dining room and are talking about something. Some children carry food to those who are senior to them in rank. Alice complains to Lilith that she is not satisfied with the order here. She notices that Jem doesn't want to follow the orders of the other children. Michelle is outraged that they carry their own food. Lilith reproaches the girls for this and says that they are lazy. Lilith suddenly notices something and looks forward. Cheshire and Rom, carrying a pile of trays, go to their neighbor's table. Lilith puts the tray down abruptly and approaches Cheshire. Lilith asks the boys if they don't believe her. Cheshire asks Lilith not to make a scene here. Lilith decides to help carry the heavy trays of food. Rom asks Lilith not to interfere, but she doesn't want to listen to him. Lilith approaches Bruce and brings him food. Bruce immediately becomes friendlier towards the girl. Lilith places a tray of food in front of him. Bruce is shocked. Lilith asks Bruce if anything is broken. Lilith orders Bruce to carry food himself from now on. Lilith tells him that it is not fair to force others to carry food. Bruce tries to explain to her that it's all because of the badges, but Lilith doesn't want to listen to him. She understands Bruce and shows that she knows the rules of the academy, but then she becomes gloomy and says that from this day on, Bruce's life will turn into hell. He will obey her. Bruce is horrified. He is used to everyone bringing him things. Lilith sternly tells him that she will break his wrist if she sees him bullying Cheshire. Bruce says that he will do everything as Lilith tells him. Lilith menacingly asks him if he wants to obey her. Suddenly, the boy Gerard begins to quietly laugh at them. Gerard wipes away his tears and thinks things are getting fun here. Lilith notices that he has a gold badge. Lilith tries to remember where she heard this name. That oar tells Bruce that he will have to listen to Lilith. Bruce is in shock. He did not expect betrayal from his brother. Gerard sternly tells him to bring himself some food. Lilith is left alone with Gerard. He is a junior officer in the future army and was the one who helped Enoch in the revolution. Lilith knows that he is one of the villains of this story. Night falls, and the academy is enveloped in impenetrable darkness. Lilith reads letters from Rico, which contain all the information about the children. According to the information, Cheshire and Gerard are the same age and will fight in the revolution in the future. But history has changed, and Lilith wonders how history will go next. Lilith remembers the day she met Cheshire. She remembers how hunted Cheshire was when they met. We are told about Gerard. Unlike Cheshire, he is loved by his father. Gerard's brothers died in the war, and his father took care of his son, being overprotective. Cheshire was also loved by Enoch, but he did not care for him as much, and had different feelings for the boy. In the original novel, the ending featured a battle with monsters. There were too many monsters. They did not allow people to retreat. The battle was very difficult for Cheshire, and he was seriously wounded. Cheshire tried to appeal to the hero's common sense to stop the battle. Gerard smugly declared that if the swordsmen were tired, then let them leave. Gerard considers swordsmen to be pathetic scum and says that a true warrior will not leave the warfield. Cheshire is furious. Does the soldiers' lives mean nothing to him? He just smugly goes out onto the battlefield, determined to defeat the monsters. Leon and Cheshire are outraged. How could this scoundrel do such a thing? Leon asks Cheshire if he really does everything against orders. Cheshire just silently watches Gerard leave. Cheshire managed to defeat the monsters, but at the cost of the lives of a lot of soldiers. Cheshire is being shouted at to get away from the battlefield. It is becoming dangerous. Leon is wounded. Blood is flowing from the young man's mouth. Leon was pierced through by the monster's clawed paw. Blood splashed. Cheshire was horrified. He decided to save his brother. Lilith cannot forgive Gerard, because it was because of him that Leon died. Lilith is confident that now everything will go according to the plot. Lilith knows that Gerard is also an ally of the rebels. She knows that Enoch's rebellion was supported by 3 families, and Gerard's family is the most important one. Without it, there is no way. Lilith decides that she will re-educate one of the novel's villains. The next day at the academy, there is no sign of trouble. Bruce asks Gerard if he is really a low-level mage, but he asks him to keep quiet. Bruce boasts that they now have servants, and 2 of them at that. But suddenly, Lilith comes, and Bruce falls silent. He wonders why Lilith carries the tray herself. Bruce whispers, "Lilith is going against the academy system." Cheshire is surprised when Lilith walks towards their table. Bruce immediately tells her that he didn't touch Cheshire. Lilith turns her attention to Gerard, who is eating his food. She places a jar of apple juice in front of him. Lilith asks Gerard to drink some juice. She smiles sweetly. The boy looks at her with surprise and calm, assessing her. Then, an atmosphere of friendliness flares up between them. Bruce is shocked. She didn't offer him juice. Gerard looks like a very smiling and calm boy. Cheshire can't understand where this strange atmosphere is coming from. The boy waves a jar of tasty juice in front of his nose. Cheshire eats calmly. He doesn't understand what it was about. Alice asks Lilith about what happened in the cafeteria. She tells Lilith that the boy is quite popular with girls. That light hair, that dreamy look, and that calm disposition. The girls are crazy about Gerard and dream that he will marry them. But Lilith ruins their dreams by telling them about Cheshire. The girls immediately remember the unsociable boy. They are clearly not his fans. The girls decide to have a serious talk with Lilith. Alice wants to talk to Lilith about Cheshire. Lilith is puzzled why Cheshire doesn't want to know that they live at home together. Cheshire asks Lilith not to tell anyone about this. Cheshire asks Lilith to just keep quiet about it. Lilith tells Alice that they are just close. The girls are dying to talk to Cheshire. Diane thinks Cheshire isn't that cool. Suddenly, the girls' gazes are drawn to Gerard, who seems to be waiting for Lilith. Gerard approaches Lilith and greets her. He hands the girl a jar with some kind of juice. He happily informs her that he will drink what she offered. Lilith is not very happy. She understands that Gerard's character leaves nothing to be desired. Lilith realizes that she needs to undergo training. She calls to Cheshire, who notices her. Lilith is worried about Cheshire. Maybe someone was bullying him. She asks menacingly if anyone has offended Cheshire. Lilith, It seems like Cheshire doesn't want to talk to her. Cheshire sadly says that everything is fine. Lilith realizes that something is clearly wrong with Cheshire. Lilith begins to shake our hero with all her might. Cheshire asks Lilith why she did it. He menacingly asks Lilith why she gave the juice to that boy. Lilith realizes that she cannot tell the truth. She's afraid that Gerard is hurting Cheshire. Lilith happily informs him that they will now cross paths more often. She asks Cheshire to make friends with someone. Cheshire rudely tells her that he doesn't want to be friends with anyone. He asks if Lilith is forcing him to do something. Cheshire says he doesn't want to be friends with anyone, and it's none of her business. Lilith looks at the students and doesn't understand what's wrong with Cheshire. Lilith is asked to move away from Cheshire. The woman introduces herself as Bella Remoff, and she invites Lilith to begin her classes. She decides to talk about the courses and the institute. Lilith is surprised. She realizes why 2 teachers came in. The man talks about Mana and how they became gifted. Cheshire listens attentively to everything, but his thoughts are elsewhere. He's worried about Gerard and Lilith becoming friends. Cheshire is very upset that Lilith has become close to someone other than him. Cheshire is taught that he must listen and obey. Lilith listens attentively, and she promises that she will graduate from the academy. Lilith is asked if she knows why they have light and black magic. Lilith tells how to open the core of magical power. Bella asks Lilith to try lighting the candle using the formula. She tells Lilith that the formula is very difficult to memorize. Lilith knows that mana control is not something she needs. Lilith decides to use flame to make it happen. Bella is impressed. She didn't know Lilith could do it. She tells Lilith that she is clearly the chosen one and gifted with power. Lilith is surprised. She didn't know she could do it. She understands that she can do it without any books on magic. Lilith decides to learn how to control people like zombies. Bella notices that some of the students have also succeeded. She sees that Cheshire has succeeded in creating a black flame. Cheshire turns his gaze to Lilith, calm and cold. Lilith is happy for him. She didn't expect anything else from the main character. During recess, Cheshire stands in the toilet and washes his hands. Gerard rudely asks him how school is going with Cheshire. Cheshire tells him that he has succeeded. He asks if it is too difficult for the boy to master magic. Cheshire decides that he wants to bully him. Gerard looks at him cheerfully and asks about Lilith. He says they never just talked like that. The Cheshire Cat knows that he is a commoner, and his life is nothing. Gerard believes that Cheshire will be able to master magic. He tells Cheshire that he has decided to befriend Lilith. He asks Cheshire if he is jealous. He is shocked by Cheshire's answer that he is free to be friends with whomever he wants. You can't tell from Cheshire's face that he is happy about this friendship. Gerard laughs. Does Cheshire really mean anything to Lilith? He believes that Lilith is communicating with him because he has a beautiful face. Gerard asks Cheshire to stay away from Lilith. Cheshire suddenly stops Gerard. Cheshire tells Gerard that it is his business to be friends with Lilith. He tells Gerard that he was friends with Lilith before him. Cheshire sharply reminds him that he was her friend first. He says that he will stay with Lilith until she gets tired of him. He says he will show what he can do in the trash. Lilith became the meaning of his life and everything he would protect. Cheshire informs Gerard that he will not let Lilith go just like that. Lilith supports Cheshire, and they do homework. Lilith is surprised that Cheshire has already chosen his path at the academy. Lilith decides to fill out her own application about the academy. Cheshire is surprised when Lilith says she wants to take the same classes as Cheshire. Lilith cheerfully asks him if he is tired of her. Cheshire tells Lilith that he is not tired of her. Cheshire sheepishly tells her that he likes Lilith. Lilith is shocked. She didn't expect Cheshire to say that. Lilith invites him to take part in the competition. Cheshire tells her that he wanted to suggest it himself. Cheshire tells her that he will help her go home. He tells Lilith that their relationship is now moving to a new level. Lilith hugs Cheshire. She is touched by his words. Lilith looks at Cheshire as he looks at her. Their faces are just centimeters apart. Cheshire grabs Lilith and hugs her tightly. Tightly. He asks Lilith to escape from the academy with him. Lilith agrees with Cheshire and wants to support him. The girls are delighted with Lilith. They like being friends with her. They ask Lilith about magical formulas, which the girl easily mastered. Lilith is asked to demonstrate her skills. Suddenly, a blue ball falls nearby. He is picked up by some boy who looks like a girl. The girls are delighted with the specialization that Lilith chose. Lilith knows she just chose a specialization, like Cheshire. Suddenly, Lilith notices a boy playing with a ball. Alice tells Lilith that this boy is Kale. She tells Lilith that the boy is studying at the academy, despite the fact that he is 5. She explains that Kyle is studying here because his mother is a researcher. Lilith asks what rank Kale's badge is and finds out that his parents are of high rank. Suddenly, Lilith hears someone's child crying and turns around. Bruce takes the ball from the boy and celebrates that he doesn't like it. Lilith decides to intervene and save the boy from shame. She asks Kyle not to cry and promises that she will return the ball. Bruce notices Lilith, and he is clearly unhappy with this situation. Lilith demands that Bruce give up the ball immediately. Lilith gives the ball back and asks the child to calm down. But the child continues to cry even louder, and Lilith is terrified. Selena runs towards them, shouting her son's name. Selena hugs Kale and asks what happened. Lilith looks at her in shock. She has seen her somewhere. Kyle starts accusing Lilith of taking his ball. Lilith tries to explain that it wasn't her, but Bruce is no longer around. Selena looks at Lilith in surprise. She has seen her somewhere. Lilith is surprised. Why is Selena looking at her so strangely? Lilith holds out the ball and apologizes for taking it. Lilith suddenly notices Selena's strange look. She suddenly remembers something, looking at her badge. Oscar's words about her mother echo in her ears. Lilith realizes that Selena appears in front of her. Lilith is shaking all over. She didn't expect this. Lilith tries to justify herself, looking at Selena. Selena abruptly takes the ball from her and walks away with her son. Lilith yells at Selena to come to her. Lilith is left alone, shocked by such a cold attitude. All the girls and boys around saw this scene. Cheshire sees this scene and decides to support Lilith. In class, they are learning another magic formula. Lilith realizes that it is very boring to sit in this lesson. Lilith's thoughts are occupied with what her mother did. She keeps thinking about that look her mother had. Lilith is pulled out of her dark thoughts by Cheshire, who is nearby. He timidly asks Lilith if everything is okay with her. Lilith tries to concentrate on her studies. Cheshire just watches. Lilith tells Cheshire that she seems confused. He asks Lilith if she knows this woman. Cheshire tells Lilith what he saw happen, but Lilith clearly doesn't want to answer this question. She tells Cheshire that it was her mother. Cheshire is shocked. Lilith never talked about her family. Cheshire is shocked by what her mother did to Lilith. Lilith tries to show that she is okay. She tells Cheshire the truth about her mother. Cheshire listens to her attentively. He wants to support Lilith. Lilith doesn't want to study. The meeting with her mother simply knocked her out. Lilith is sad. She doesn't know what to do now. Thus, the day passes, and the academy is slowly enveloped in night. Lilith goes to the dining room and suddenly notices someone. Kyle walks up to her and gives her a piece of candy with a sweet expression on his face. Kale decides to leave her, and Lilith is shocked, but takes the candy. Kale runs away, and Lilith doesn't know how to react to Kale. Lilith sees that she has juice in her hands. She asks Kale to wait, and he turns around. Lilith thanks him for the candy. She is happy to see her brother and hands him the juice. Lilith and the child smile at each other, looking into each other's faces. Suddenly, Selena runs up, and she grabs Kyle in her arms and takes him away. Selena looks at Lilith with such a terrifying look that she feels unwell. Selena asks Lilith what she wanted to say. Selena asks Lilith what Kale did to her. Lilith tells her that the child just gave her candy. Selena takes the juice from the child, despite his protests. She returns the juice to Lilith, who is shocked by this. She tells Lilith that the girl should leave and not come near Kale again. Lilith understands that she will not have another chance and decides to talk to Selena. Selena passes by Lilith and Cheshire, who happens to be nearby. Cheshire looks menacingly at Selena and then at Lilith. He asks Selena what Lilith did wrong. He asks Selena about the incident and doesn't want to let her go until she tells him everything. Selena is surprised by Cheshire's mature behavior. Cheshire takes the juice from Lilith and looks at Selena. He returns the juice to the baby, who smiles happily. Cheshire states that Selena is behaving terribly and there is no poison in the juice. Selena shuddered under Cheshire's gaze. Cheshire defends Lilith and says that she did nothing wrong. Selena frowns at the boy as Kyle reaches out to them. Cheshire demands that Selena explain what Lilith did wrong. Cheshire takes Lilith's hand and they walk away. Lilith is becoming more and more scary. What will happen next? Lilith tells Cheshire that it's okay. She'll survive without her mother. She is still little and doesn't know what it's like without children. Lilith says that she has no right to be angry with her mother. Lilith believes that everything will work out and she and her mother will become friends. Lilith thinks that everything is complicated. She is an orphan, and this is the first time she has experienced such feelings. Lilith apologizes to Cheshire for telling Cheshire such things. Cheshire tells Lilith that she doesn't need to try. He speaks wise words that people are different. He asks Lilith not to forget her father, who loves her very much. He asks Lilith not to seek the love of someone who does not love her. He reminds her that she has a loving dad. Lilith agrees with him. She will not abandon her dad. Lilith realizes that what Cheshire said is true. Lilith thanks Cheshire and says that she feels better now. And then she wants to do something with Cheshire, which surprises him. Lilith leans against him and says that she has him. Lilith doesn't need anyone else. She has her dad and Cheshire with his brothers. The action moves to high mountains, like in The Hobbit. Our knights decide that they will ask Enoch about everything. The knights have been on an expedition for a long time, and they are just walking. Axion rudely asks how many days they have been wandering like this. Then the action switches to Enoch, surrounded by blue flames. We are shown the werewolves that Enoch defeated. Enoch cuts and chops the wolves right and left. Enoch asks the knights if they want to rest. He abruptly asks the knight if he wants to rest. He says no, and Enoch suggests continuing on. The knight tells him that he still hasn't completed his training at the academy. Enoch calmly declares that his daughter will graduate from the academy and will not be stuck there forever. The knight supports Enoch, saying that everything will be fine. Enoch is gloomier than ever in his life, so talk of Lilith ceases. Axion nods sympathetically to the knight, realizing that he was caught in the crossfire. Enoch asks them if they have eaten, but they remain silent. Enoch remarks that he misses Lilith very much. He is already furious. He has almost forgotten his daughter's face. Axion reminds him that only a day has passed. Enoch doesn't know what to do. He's afraid to forget his daughter. He is worried about how Lilith is doing at the academy. Axion says that Lilith is enjoying life at the academy and is trying to forget Enoch. The knight cheerfully asks Enoch how he plans to marry off the girl. Enoch turns his gaze to the knight in anger. Enoch begins to speculate about what will really happen. He decides to live with the girl all his life, even if she gets married. At this time, Lilith thinks about where Cheshire is. She's looking for First Circle mercenary Jamion Trock. She asks Cheshire about the guy she's looking for. Cheshire proudly tells her that he has no friends. Lilith tells him about Jamion Trock and asks him to find him. Cheshire, on the contrary, becomes jealous when he hears about the boy. Lilith asks in surprise, "What does it matter to Cheshire? Is he really in love with her?" Cheshire is surprised that she is looking for a guy whose face she doesn't know. Lilith says that Cheshire talks so strangely, as if she was in love. Cheshire critically remarks that she likes beautiful people. Lilith tells him that this is all a misunderstanding. Lilith realizes that this looks terrible. She wonders what she would say to Cheshire if he weren't so handsome. Lilith slaps the table and tells him to listen carefully. He tells Cheshire that she likes him as a person. Lilith says his face doesn't matter. She states that she likes Cheshire as a guy. Lilith says she wants him to know how she feels. Cheshire calms down and asks the name of the person she is looking for. Lilith tells him that he is smart and could help Cheshire. Lilith claims she's having trouble with math again. She decides to definitely graduate from the center with straight A's. At this time, the boy Lilith was looking for was brutally beaten. Lilith runs at full speed to prevent this. It turns out it's Jem and Lilith asking if she's okay. Jem turns away with disdain and doesn't look at her. Lilith glares at Bruce and asks why he did it. Bruce claims that the boy, or girl, it's hard to tell, is to blame. Lilith rudely asks him when he began to establish justice. Bruce turns to Lilith, and she looks at him. Bruce has a big bruise across his entire cheek. He claims that this boy hit him with all his strength. Lilith decides to sort out the situation and asks what is going on. Jem claims that Bruce beat him up first. Jem and Bruce start arguing about who started the fight first. Lilith separates them both, saying that this is wrong. Lilith asks if Bruce hurt Jem on purpose. She reminds him that the icons are meaningless, but Bruce thinks otherwise. Bruce explains that this is the Academy's procedure. Lilith realizes that Jem acted in self-defense. She orders that these people stand in a row. Lilith doesn't understand what's wrong with their heads. She hit Bruce with all her might, determined to show him who was boss. Lilith asks why he raised his hand against Jem. Bruce will now be beaten for breaking Lilith's rules. Lilith mentions that Bruce and she are of the same rank, but she doesn't act like it. In the end, Lilith beat the boys for their behavior. Lilith tells Bruce that since he doesn't understand, it will be bad. She states that this will serve as a lesson to them. Jem is amazed that Lilith stands up for him. Lilith declares that she will not limit herself to just blows to the shins. A little later, she heals Jem's wound. Lilith complains to Jem that she's in a tough spot. Jem looks terrible. He realizes that he is in trouble. He says that he will do everything himself, but Lilith stops him. Jem thanks Lilith for bandaging the wounds. Lilith is surprised that Jem can actually say thank you. Jem says he can be a polite child, but he just doesn't want to. Jem asks if there are any good people among the nobles. Lilith says with joy that yes, there are good people. Lilith invites Jem to eat together, and they decide to have a snack. Lilith says that from now on they will go to the cafeteria together. Lilith asks if this is what Jem wants. Jem replies that he will think about it. Jem sees Lilith looking at him and smiling. Lilith and Sem come to an agreement and are now friends. Lilith decides to meet Jem and introduces herself. The child extends his dark palm to the girl. He introduces himself as Jamian Fuck, Lilith spat. Lilith looks at Jamian in horror. She herself doesn't know how this happened. Lilith learns that Jamian is actually a girl posing as a boy. Jamian's gender has finally been determined, and now Lilith can communicate with it more easily. Jamian begins to argue with Lilith, asking if she really thought she was him. Lilith remembers everything related to Jem in the book. Lilith asks Jem if she is a second year. Lilith decides to ask Jamian about math. Jamian is good at sports, and she gave the Slippery Nobles a run for their money. Lilith reminds Jem that she was the one who got her out of the situation with Bruce. Jem says that the difficulty of studying at the academy is due to the monthly test. Lilith thinks that it is quite difficult to pass the test. Lilith knows she can handle getting Jem onto the team. She tells Jem that she can help her, and Jem looks at her questioningly. Lilith suggests taking this test every month. Jem is afraid that she won't pass the test this time. Lilith promises that she will help Jem cope with this. Lilith pleases Jem by telling her that she has a special training session ahead of her. Lilith happily welcomes her new friends. She invites Jem to be friends with Cheshire, and they are shocked. Cheshire is glad to meet him and also gives his name. The guys clearly don't know how to be friends and why Lilith introduced them. Lilith suggests taking an exam every new month. She explains that the final exam consists of fighting monsters in groups of 4. Everyone wanted to get into the group, but there had to be a person with a white badge. Jem says she didn't even know about the rules, but she's happy to be on the team. Lilith is starting this whole mess with the icons again. Lilith knows that badges don't matter, and that Jem and Cheshire are the future warriors of the kingdom. Lilith suggests hiring a group of white badges to graduate faster. Jem is surprised. She hasn't heard of more white icons. Jem promises that he will try his best. Lilith asks Cheshire for permission for them to study together. Jem is absolute, confident in her abilities, and wants to show Lilith something. Jem puts on the cuffs and says that he will not let Lilith down. Lilith listens to Jem boast about her new purchases. Lilith is looking for something in her bag and shows a bear. Lilith takes out Lara's magic wand and shows it off. Cheshire is horrified. He doesn't understand why Lilith even took this to the academy. This is how their new day at the boring academy begins. We are shown a chemistry lesson where a girl named Sophia gets a C for her experiment. Then the professor turns to Lilith and sees what is happening. Many students whisper incredulously as to why Lilith has already been allowed to practice. Lilith has already made enemies who do not believe in her abilities. Lilith hears all these whispers, and she doesn't like it. Lilith decides to use the wand for her own purposes. Lilith creates a flame that lights candles itself. The professor is delighted with Lilith and her abilities. Suddenly, there is a clap, and Emperor Nicholas himself appears. Everyone immediately greets the emperor and throws themselves at his feet. Nicholas is delighted with Lilith and asks what she created. He tells Lilith not to be modest. Since modesty does not adorn magicians, Lilith is perplexed as to how the emperor can even say such a thing. He menacingly asks the servants how Lilith is doing. He is impressed by her skills in perfecting magic. He believes that if this continues, Lilith will be the first to achieve rank. Nicholas notices Lilith's gaze, which shows she is dissatisfied with something. He decides to take the wand from Lilith, since it doesn't suit her. The wand emits a burst of magic, and Lilith is surprised by what happened. Lilith just wants to hit the vile emperor. Eventually, darkness descends upon the academy, and the entire building falls into a deep sleep. Lilith decides that she should wear the bracelet that Oscar gave her. The girls tell Lilith that she was simply magnificent. Michelle is upset that Lilith didn't have any activities in common with them. Lilith says that she will show you something now. Lilith draws a blue tongue of flame in the air. The girls are delighted and congratulate Lilith on her victory. Lilith hears some beeping and looks to see what it is. This is her bracelet, which reflects 3 seconds. Lilith becomes curious about what this number is. Lilith suddenly realizes what is going on. She sees the number decrease as she creates a blue light. Lilith sees that she has only 1 second left. Lilith realizes that this is the time when she used magic. She remembers Oscar's words about this being a magical artifact. She remembers that this magical artifact must be worn with care. Lilith realizes that her life force is diminishing when she uses magic. Lilith is terrified that her lifespan is shortening. She realizes that Oscar is a real asshole, and he knew everything. Lilith is horrified by what she sees. The majestic academy rises against the backdrop of the sunset, illuminated by the sunlight. Nicholas asks Oscar if he is going to visit Lilith. Oscar is horrified. He has no idea how he will answer the Emperor's question. Nicholas listens attentively to Oscar's report on Lilith's progress. Oscar says to let the situation be as it is. Oscar reminds that passage into the magic tower depends on him. Nicholas says he doesn't want to interfere with his work, But Lilith is an exception. Oscar says he cannot dispute His Majesty's decision. Nicholas demands that Lilith be admitted immediately. Oscar says this calls his work into question. Nicholas takes a sip of tea and declares that he knows this very well. In the Magic Tower, only professionals work on magic formulas. But what good are the gifted if they use magic incorrectly? Oscar says that the Emperor has no right to limit the tower's power. Nicholas tells him that he has the right to do so. Oscar is shocked by the Emperor's actions for the Rubinstein family. Oscar reminds him that he is cutting off all ties with him. Nicholas enjoys his tea and says that he can do as he pleases. After meeting the Emperor, Oscar punches the wall in rage. They try to calm him down, but he is ready to strangle the Emperor personally. Oscar is ready to kill the Emperor in the revolution. The scientist asks Oscar what it was about the Emperor's speech that angered him so much. He tries to reassure Oscar that the Emperor does not want to take control of the tower. But Oscar was furious because Nicholas was obsessed with Lilith. He understands that if he doesn't do anything, things will get worse. Oscar's arm hurts, and he is told to cool down a bit. Oscar suddenly realizes that if he uses the archive, he will end up at the academy. The scientist asks Oscar if he really wants to kidnap Lilith. Thus ends the day in the Tower of Mages, filled with sunlight. Lilith realizes that Oscar has been following her and knows who she really is. The bracelet shows Lilith how much time she has left to live. Lilith becomes curious about how many lifetimes it will take her to create an A-class magic spell. She realizes that she could age by 15 minutes. Lilith is afraid that she will reveal her essence because of the bracelet. Lilith understands that she needs to be more careful because Oscar knows everything about her. She understands that she must beg Oscar not to expose her. The guys see some strange magician in their academy. It turns out to be Oscar, whom Lilith is not happy to see. She hears what the guys are saying about him. Oscar happily approaches her and says hello as usual. He says that he forgot to remember about her. There are onlookers around them. Oscar suggests that she go and talk somewhere else. They come out into a forest full of cute animals and chirping birds. Lilith cries out piteously to Oscar, asking him to listen to her. Lilith asks Oscar to forgive her and not do this to her again. Oscar laughs when he hears her, a ringing laugh. He asks Lilith about the bracelet, and she blushes. He tells Lilith that he won't tell anyone anything. He says that if he wanted to say it, he wouldn't have given her the bracelet. Lilith is shocked by his words and looks at Oscar. She doesn't understand why he decided not to give her away. Oscar tells her that he will definitely answer the questions in time. Lilith asks him how he knew about it. Oscar says he can't answer that question. Oscar suddenly starts bleeding ruby-colored blood from his mouth. Oscar is coughing up blood, and Lilith is simply horrified. Oscar is choking on blood while on all fours. Lilith realizes that she is the only one who can save Oscar. She will find out that she wasted half a year and will grow a year. Lilith decides to use her power to save Oscar. Oscar is gasping for breath. It's painful to look at him. His hair is disheveled, and blood continues to spurt from his mouth. Lilith notices that she has grown taller, and that her hair has grown. Oscar roughly grabs Lilith's arm and yells at her for what she did. Oscar screams that it has already taken a lot of magic to hide her essence. Lilith tells him that she cannot watch him suffer. Oscar understands everything and asks Lilith to come to him. He asks Lilith how much of her life she has wasted. He touches Lilith's hair and cuts off the overgrown strands. Lilith thanks him for this, and he says that she will have to cut her hair so as not to give herself away. Lilith agrees and decides to save Oscar. Oscar wipes away the blood and has no idea what she's up to. Oscar asks Lilith not to waste her time on nonsense. He tells Lilith about the Emperor's plans to take her from the tower. Lilith tells him that she also has her own plans. Lilith looks at him carefully. She doesn't know what to say. Oscar also looks at her for a long time. He is not in the mood. Oscar believes that Lilith will come up with something. Oscar tells Lilith that she is quite funny. He thinks she's acting strangely in his presence. And then, he notices a butterfly above and tells Lilith to go after it. He decides to go further to avoid spitting out blood. Lilith calls out to Oscar, and he looks at her. Lilith wants to tell him something, but she is afraid that he will choke on blood. Lilith fidgets with the bracelet Oscar gave her. She thanks him for the bracelet, finding it quite cute. Oscar just smiles sweetly at her and leaves. Lilith wonders what has gotten into Oscar's head. She realizes that Oscar has broken the words of the ban. Lilith recalls the action of the novel. She remembers that Cheshire came to Oscar to cure Theo. He shocks Oscar by saying that he has decided to break the ban. The ban is a magic that is not subject to any of the magicians, and it is a kind of rule in the magical world. Only the Emperor can use the ban, and then only with caution. Oscar asks him what Cheshire wants from him. He reminds him that Theo's illness is incurable and is beyond Oscar's control. He tells Cheshire that he is unable to heal Theo. He tells Theo that if he makes a mistake in magic, the ban will punish him. He throws a book on magic in Cheshire's face, who is horrified. Oscar tells him that if he is determined, he should dig into the book of his ancestors. Lilith understands that magic has punished Oscar, and he does not have long to live. Oscar knows Lilith's true nature and can tell the Emperor everything. Lilith believes that he remembers the time rollback. She hears the students whispering ahead. Jem and Bruce start a fight. They use magic. Bruce attacks Jem with his hand glowing with blue flames. Jem takes a crushing blow to the chest and falls against the wall. Lilith intervenes in the fight. She makes Bruce come to his senses. Bruce doesn't listen to her and attacks again with his turquoise magic. Jem throws Lilith aside, saying it's dangerous. Lilith closed her eyes, and she doesn't see what's happening now. Emperor Nicholas intervenes and breaks Bruce's spell. He states how dare he perform such magic. But then it turns out that this is not the Emperor. The man introduces himself as Alexei Antras, who will teach magic. Alexei is one of the strong Dosovs. He is also the leader of the army in the revolution. Alexei is the twins' father and Lilith's uncle. He's really cool. Lilith thanks Alexei with all her heart for helping her. He tells Lilith that she doesn't need to thank him. Alexei traveled a lot. He tried to cure his son. He was even ready to storm the tower to get his son cured. He knows that the tower contains a magic formula that is useful in war. Lilith is horrified. Is it possible that they are studying how to resurrect the dead in the tower? Alexei asks her if she knows the formula to help him. He then says that he himself does not know such magic. He says that this would require about 1,000 magic formulas. Alexei tells her that he is not capable of such a thing. He tells Lilith that everything comes with a price. He believes that necromancy must be paid for with the caster's life. At this time, Oscar is resting in his chambers. Oscar throws back his cute head and thinks about something. He believes that the revolution will bring joy to ordinary citizens. But the revolution brought grief to the main revolutionary, Enoch. Oscar then asked him why he fought for his daughter. Oscar reminds him that it was he who raised the girl. Lilith had her identity taken away and her brainwashed. The first thing the Emperor ordered was to impose full submission on the girl. After this incident, the girl's life was shortened by 30 years. Oscar asks Lilith her name and tries to talk to her, but Lilith didn't remember her name and repeated one phrase. Lilith talked only about dad and dad all the time. Enoch holds his daughter's lifeless body close to him and cries. Oscar tells him that Lilith was no less dear to him than to Enoch. Oscar's hands clench into fists, and he says he couldn't protect Lilith. He reproaches Oscar that what happened to her is Enoch's fault, not the Emperor's. Oscar asks him to say Lilith's name. Because he never knew her name, Oscar looks at Lilith's lifeless face, like a porcelain doll, and tenderly whispers her name. Oscar looks at Lilith's face in shock and doesn't believe Enoch. Oscar tells him that Lilith is his beloved daughter. Oscar asks Enoch if he wants to bring Primera back again. Oscar tries to persuade him not to turn back time. He reminds him that if he does this, the country will perish. Enoch hugs Lilith and asks him to return his daughter. Oscar just watches him silently and agrees. He seriously asks Enoch if he is ready to die for his daughter. Enoch looks at him seriously and says yes. Night falls and the academy turns crimson. Jem is training hard to control his power. Cheshire is also not inferior to Jem and trains no less diligently. Lilith realizes that he is only becoming stronger. Cheshire asks her why Lilith has such a tear-stained face. Lilith is worried that she won't be able to survive. Lilith realizes that her time is running out. She is afraid that if the Emperor finds out about her, then everything will go as in the original. Lilith doesn't want to die at the hands of the Cheshire in front of Enoch. Lilith decides to ask Cheshire what will happen if she becomes a demon and starts killing. She asks Cheshire what he would do if he had to kill her. Cheshire is silent for a long time and thinks about what to answer her. Lilith asks him not to kill her and to find another way. Cheshire tells her that he is not as kind as she thinks. He says that human life is worth not killing. Cheshire calmly tells her that he is not a good person. He will not hesitate if that moment comes. He asks Lilith to continue to be by his side. Cheshire seriously asks Lilith if she will be by his side. Lilith says that she will never leave him and will stay close to him. Cheshire promises her that he will be there too. Lilith and Cheshire vowed to be together no matter what happened. Cheshire promises her that if she becomes a demon, he will go to hell with her. The action moves to the school cafeteria, where Lilith sees a strange sight. She is surprised by what Cheshire said and thinks the novel has descended into shabby romance. Lilith is brought out of her thoughts by Jem, who tells her something. Alice asks Jem if she would agree to take the test with Lilith. Jem asks what's wrong with her, and Lilith doesn't answer. Suddenly, Gerard appears in all his glory. He invites Lilith to walk with him, and she is surprised. Lilith tells Gerard that she will be doing homework with Jem. Gerard is surprised. The white icons are the weakest. Lilith just doesn't know how else to explain it to him. Gerard knows she won't graduate at this rate. Lilith proudly declares that she will catch C-rank monsters. Lilith is perplexed. Why is the badge so important to Gerard? She shocks the boy by saying that friends are the most important thing. He looks at her for a long time and says that it's time for him to go. Gerard tells her that he will wait for her to win the exam. Lilith oversees the squad's grueling training. Lilith thinks it would be good if one of them could heal. Rom runs up to her, shouting words. Rom brought her food, which is so important for restoring strength after training. Rom asks them not to overtrain so that they don't get tired. Lilith asks Rom who he will take the exam with. Rom immediately says that he hasn't chosen yet. Lilith invites him to take the exam with them. Rom states that he has no intention of graduating. Rom says that he doesn't want to leave and that he likes it here. Lilith tells him that it is wrong to stay here because of his mother. Rom looks at her in surprise, as if she said something strange. Cheshire assures him that he just needs to graduate. Lilith tries to encourage our hero to change his mind. The guys encourage our hero, saying that he can handle it. Rom reminds them that he has bad grades. Roma has the most useless profile in his opinion. Rom shocks the heroine by saying that he is a healer. Lilith shares her impressions with Alexei. He claims that Lilith will cope, no matter what happens. Lilith asks Alexei when he graduated. Alexei says that he graduated in just a month. He asks Lilith how things are with Cheshire. Lilith objects to him. She can handle it herself. Alexei recalls how boys in his time confessed their love. Alexei says that during his studies he won over her aunt. Lilith is surprised that Alexei met her in the center. Lilith becomes interested in Uncle Alexei's love story. He begins to tell the story of his love at the academy. She helped them and was in her second year, realizing that the guy would not pass the exam. It was then that Alexei noticed her and decided to become her boyfriend. The girl missed her father and cried, which Alexei noticed. The release was delayed, and the girl wanted to see her father. Alexei approached her and suggested that she take the exam. Alexei promises her that he won't let her hands get dirty during the exam. The girl answers him with a long, tear-stained look. Lilith becomes interested in the story of how her uncle and aunt met. She answered Alexei that she was older and he should obey her. Alexei tells her that he caught an A-rank beast for her aunt. If you catch such an animal, you can get 1,000 points. Lilith is happy for her uncle that he was able to catch such a beast. Cheshire tells Lilith that he will catch such a beast for her. He also repeats his uncle's words, and Lilith is shocked that history is repeating itself. Lilith comes to Cheshire and asks him to start training. Lilith brought something to Cheshire, something huge and heavy. Cheshire opens her gift. It turns out to be a two-handed sword. It turns out that Lilith gave the boy the hero's sword, Lewis. Lilith thinks that Cheshire doesn't like the sword, which shocks him. But Cheshire is delighted with Lilith's gift and wants to try it out. Jem asks Cheshire if he's okay and if he succeeded. Jem states that Cheshire should do more than just thank them, as the sword is so difficult to find. Lilith assures that even a simple thank you is enough for her. Lilith suggests that they go quickly to the training ground. As Lilith walks, Cheshire suddenly stops her. Cheshire promises Lilith that she won't even lift a finger. Lilith is surprised by his promise that he will catch the beast. Lilith agrees that he can help her catch the monster. Cheshire promises Lilith that he will deal with the monster for her. Lilith is horrified. She didn't expect that he would act like Alexei. Cheshire and Jem ask the boys to stay, and they will get the monsters. Jem easily tears monsters into several pieces. Cheshire is also on top. He defeated the werewolf. Lilith is delighted, as is Rom, with her friend's actions. Lilith twirls the wand in her hands. She promised only to watch. The bracelet shows Lilith that she has 5 minutes for everything. She learns that if she kills 10 monsters, she will age 25 years. Lilith watches with sadness as Cheshire kills the monsters. Jem brings them the monster cores and demands that they eat them quickly. Cheshire asks Rom to wait for the cores to be absorbed by Lilith. The boys run away, and Lilith asks them to wait for her. She sees that the monsters they killed are worth 2 points. Cheshire brings her even more monster cores. Lilith is shocked. Lilith asks if they should go. Rom asks where they should go, and Cheshire agrees. Cheshire wants to go to Fortress Cliff, where the most dangerous monsters live. Rom tries to dissuade our heroes from this idea. Jem happily informs them that she brought more. Lilith invites her to go to the cliff. She agrees. So, our heroes arrive at a high mountain that blocks the sun. The guys are worried. Are the strongest monsters really here? Jem is worried that she won't catch the monsters, and Rom is worried that he won't graduate. Cheshire reassures them, saying that they can defeat the monsters. Lilith looks at the bracelet. She is afraid that she will not cope. Jem is upset when she learns that Gerard's team has already scored a lot of points. Rom sees their opponent's team operating in the distance. Lilith is perplexed. Why are they catching so many monsters if they have already earned points? Lilith sees Cheshire rushing forward. Lilith looks at her indicator in horror. The monsters are almost killed. Gerard leaves no chance for the heroes, killing monsters. The boy decides to take all the monsters from Lilith. Bruce informs them that he has almost collected a bunch of monster cores. Lilith asks them to stop, but they don't listen to her. Gerard remarks that Lilith should have been in their group. Lilith rudely tells the boy that he is doing this on purpose. Jem tells Lilith that they have almost finished off the monsters. Cheshire is suddenly attacked by a huge wolf. Cheshire has a hard time fighting the giant wolf. Lilith tells the boys to listen to her. She is scared. She understands that Bruce and his team want to stop her. She creates barriers and asks the boys to go to Rom for treatment. She asks the guys to try and find the monsters as quickly as possible. Lilith suddenly notices something and turns her gaze back. There are only 85 monsters left, and Lilith is terrified. Lilith decides to kill the A-class monsters together with Rom. The boy points to a high rocky cliff. Lilith sees a huge grizzly bear on it. Lilith is thinking about how they can get there and catch the monsters. Lilith sees that the cliff is very high, and she cannot climb it. Lilith comes up with a very strange and unusual idea. Lilith looks at how much time she has left to catch the monsters. Lilith is horrified. All their glasses are still too small. Jem runs up to them and says that Cheshire is saving up mana to kill more monsters. Lilith wants to help, but Jem stops her. They found an A-class monster that looked like a giant plant. Lilith is afraid that this monster will just kill them. Cheshire tells her that this monster has a magical shield and is difficult to kill. He asks Lilith if she can kill such a monster. They only have 30 seconds while Gerard scolds his subordinate. The boy wants to kill more monsters and not leave them alone. Lilith sees that he wants to kill monsters more and more. The boy walks without a shield towards the plant monster. Lilith is surprised why the monster doesn't move and attack the boy. Lilith suddenly realizes what is really going on. The boy is paralyzed, and the monster is about to eat him. The boy stands and watches as the monster threatens to eat him. Lilith screams in horror, and she and Rom call for help. Jem and Cheshire run to help Rom and Lilith. Lilith is puzzled by what the guys from the opposing team are doing. Bruce also stands and looks ahead of himself. He does not help the leader. Lilith calls his team very pathetic. Jem and Cheshire attack the monster, making their way through the spiky tentacles. Cheshire is ready to cut the monster into several pieces. He deftly jumps on the monster, which has spread its petals and is ready to eat him. The poison leaves Gerard's body in a huge wave of gas. The monster still had acid, and now the boy is seriously injured. The guys don't know what to do now to cure him. Jem notices that Bruce wants to run away somewhere. Bruce clearly intends to steal the monster cores while their boss is injured. But a sharp column of flame emanates from the core, which burns the boy. Bruce is approached by Cheshire, who stops right in front of him. Bruce believes that Cheshire arranged everything and blames the boy for it. Gerard orders Bruce not to touch the boy and to let him go. He tells Lilith and Cheshire that they can catch the monsters. Lilith is worried that the boy needs proper treatment. Gerard seems to be tormented by his conscience for his actions. Rom is shy, but he is confident that he can cure him. The guys are against Rom treating the boy. Lilith gives the monster core to Romu, sharing her victory. Lilith asks Rom to absorb the core and cope. Cheshire reminds her that she only has a month left to graduate from the academy. Lilith proudly declares to him that she will catch the grizzly and win. Lilith orders him to heal him quickly, but Gerard's hand stops her, clinging tightly to hers. Gerard tells her that they need an A-rank spell to get them out of here quickly. Lilith sternly scolds him for not scoring as many points. Gerard is silent. He doesn't know what to say to her about this. Lilith sighs heavily. Gerard is simply hopeless. She tells him to do things without her, and that he only gets in the way. She reminds him that his squad didn't even take a step. Lilith notices that Gerard has a very handsome face. If the boy had a nice character, he would be better. Lilith sets out to find a way out of the forest. Lilith notes that due to the use of magic, she has grown. Lilith is thinking about how to kill the bear sitting on the cliff, but she took a course in magic from Oscar, so she knows she can handle it. Lilith waves her Lara wand. Lilith gathers all her strength to bring down the avalanche. Lilith succeeds, and she is happy about it, having received the core. We are shown an educational institution for additional training. The guys are already celebrating their victory and believe that they will graduate. Jem wants to form his own squad. She will become the leader of the Red Mongrels Guild in the future, the most dangerous mercenary guild. Jem is very uncomfortable with Lilith's interest in the guild. Jem calls them Lilith's Wanderers and thanks the girl for helping her. She enthusiastically tells her that their squad will defeat the Emperor himself. Lilith asks Cheshire what name he likes. He declares to Lilith and Jem that he likes any name. Even Rom agrees that they should be called Lilith's mongrels. Suddenly, Gerard comes out, and he's perfectly fine. Lilith notices that he has a new badge, which means he is now Dose. The guys are not very happy to see him, and are whispering to each other. Lilith thinks he wants to fight when the boy stops in front of her. But suddenly, he thanks Lilith with all his heart, which touches the girl. He promises the guys that he will definitely repay them. He turns to Cheshire and asks for his forgiveness. The Cheshire calmly answers him that he has already forgotten everything. The boy leaves, telling Lilith that they will definitely meet in the future. Lilith tells him that he looks incredibly cool. The boy turns to her and smiles his sweetest smile. Lilith is asked to go to the research center to receive a rank. Selena is waiting for her at the machine, looking like all those mad scientists from the movies. Selena looks at her daughter in surprise as she walks in. Lilith ended up with her, which infuriates Selena the most. Selena congratulates Lilith on her victory and coldly orders her to move on. She tells Lilith that she is now casting a spell. She calls Selena mom, and this irritates the woman the most. Lilith apologizes. She understands that her mother doesn't need her. Selena doesn't know what to say to her daughter's apology. She allows Lilith to call her whatever she wants. Lilith decides to ask Selena about her rank. Lilith is crying. She doesn't dare ask her mother for anything, but she still asks the woman to hide her rank. Lilith asks the woman to lie to the Emperor and give her a rank that will prevent Lilith from going to war. Lilith cries and says that she didn't want to send Kyle to war. Selena is shocked by Lilith's bold request. She understands that her daughter wants to hear that someone is concerned about her. Selena lowered her head. It seemed like she was thinking. Lilith cries when she hears her mother's answer. She says that she won't do this, and that Lilith will be protected by her father. Lilith asks her if her dad is really protecting her by killing people. Lilith apologizes again. She just asked her mother about everything. Selena ponders her daughter's request while standing at the machine. But suddenly, the device tells her that Lilith is incapacitated. Lilith's mother thinks that the whole problem is that the device simply broke down. Selena turns her gaze again to the frightened Lilith. Lilith stands in front of her, all in tears and not believing her mother. Selena understands that Lilith did this, and not consciously. Selena is shocked by what her daughter did and cannot hide her amazement. This is how she learns that Lilith has the rank of Primera, which no one else has. Selena suddenly has a headache and almost loses consciousness. Selena looks in surprise at the capsule where her daughter stands. Selena is surprised that her daughter has achieved the rank of Octave. She informs her daughter of everything, saying that Enoch will be pleased with this rank as well. Selena sighs with relief. She is tired of her work. Thus, Lilith receives the rank of Octave, which is written on her bracelet. Lilith didn't expect her mother to be here at all. She remembers the terrible look her mother had. Lilith wonders if her mother will turn her back on her. As in the original, she decided to shift the entire burden onto the girl's father. Lilith expected nothing from her terrible mother. Lilith walks down the corridor. She sighs heavily. Suddenly, Lilith notices someone in front of her. This is Bruce, who doesn't believe that Lilith has such a rank. Bruce starts laughing at her. Lilith is not in the mood to listen to him. Bruce pokes her with a fat finger and laughs that the girl has such a small reserve of mana. Bruce tells her in a mocking tone that she and Cheshire are on the insect level. He pushes the girl with all his strength onto the cold and rocky floor. And then, his powerful foot tramples Lilith into the cold floor. Bruce tells her that how dare she mock him if she has such a low rank. Lilith reminds him that he was the one who started the bullying. But then Lilith notices something and turns her gaze to this something. All the students of the academy laugh at her when they see this picture. Lilith finds herself in the center of attention, and everyone laughs at her. Bruce tells the girl that she is not leaving, and he is just getting started. Lilith reminds him that her father is not Octavie. Bruce tells her that it doesn't matter who her father is. He believes that the girl is a disgrace to her family, and Enoch will simply throw her away. He reminds Lilith that her entire family is Dose, and she is an Octave. Lilith asks Bruce if he would have abused his family if they were Octave. Bruce turns purple with anger and tells her that she has completely lost her fear. He grabs something and decides to kill the girl who is cowering on the floor. He charges some object with mana and wants to kill the baby. Lilith closes her eyes from the bright light that comes from Bruce. But the sounds fade away, and Lilith slowly opens her eyes. In front of Bruce stands Cheshire, who is clearly not in a good mood. Cheshire is simply furious at what he wanted to do to Lilith. The inscription Dose proudly flaunts on his wrist. Cheshire wants to take Lilith away from here, despite the whispers of the students. Cheshire tells an astonished Bruce that he will break his fingers. Bruce hides his hand behind his back in fear, and the guys look at him. Lilith realizes that Cheshire did nothing to Bruce. Cheshire slowly walks towards Bruce, looking at him. Cheshire is seething with rage, and Bruce is very scared. Lilith realizes that Cheshire is simply furious about what Bruce did. They are found by Jem, who invites the boys to the dining room. Jem and Rom look at Lilith and Cheshire's badges in surprise. Jem asks Cheshire if he swapped badges with Lilith. Cheshire asks Bruce if he wants to die. He shocks the guys by forcing him to his knees. Cheshire reminds him that he treated Rom the same way every day. Bruce is forced to comply and apologizes to the guys. Lilith realizes that Cheshire is simply furious. Lilith knows that Bruce is a nasty guy and won't get away with an apology. Even after accepting the apology, she doesn't feel any better about the situation. Jem is outraged by Bruce's behavior and praises Cheshire. Jem says that the badge really does have power, which makes Roma happy. But then, Jem falls silent, remembering Lilith. But she doesn't care. Lilith is grateful to Cheshire for coming to her aid in time. He asks Lilith if she likes that he got on his knees. Lilith cheerfully says that Bruce should have been taught a lesson. She remembers that everyone now fears Cheshire, when before they despised him. Lilith still doesn't understand how cool the situation with the badges is here. She was born of Dos, and no one openly despised her. She remembers how kind everyone was, without any rank. Lilith had long since realized that her family was unusual. The guys don't know how to support the upset Lilith. Cheshire tells her that her family was not unusual. He recalls how Enoch was against the bullying of Cheshire. Enoch taught him that bullying the weak is very bad. Cheshire tells Lilith that one day her family will no longer be called weird. Lilith is surprised by his words. They seem strong to her. Lilith tells Cheshire that her dad was always strong. Cheshire apologizes to Lilith for scaring her. Rom supports Lilith and thanks Cheshire for protecting him. A group of scientists passes by and discusses Lilith. Bella informs Lilith that further testing is needed. Lilith realizes that she won't be left alone. At this time, the Emperor is informed of everything that happened. The Emperor is shocked that Gerard and Cheshire are Doses. The Emperor reads the newspaper. He needs a child of high rank. His gaze shifts to Lilith's photo in the newspaper. Nicholas turned purple with rage when he read the newspaper. It says that Lilith is an octave, not an example. He furiously attacks the servant, who begs the Emperor to calm down. Nicholas is furious. He clutches the newspaper to shreds. Nicholas is shaking all over. How did it happen that Lilith is octave? The servant tries to calm the Emperor, saying that this is a misunderstanding. Nicholas can't even imagine how this happened. Nicholas realizes that the fourth rank is a pretext for Enoch to start a war. Nicholas knows that Enoch now owes nothing to the country, and he can start a rebellion. Nicholas makes a scary face and he's just furious. Lilith thought she heard the Emperor cursing her. Lilith sees how everyone is looking at her at the academy. The girls in her room don't want her to leave. Lilith walks gloomily through the streets of the academy, deep in thought. She asks Cheshire if he is disappointed in her. Cheshire is surprised. Now Lilith understands what he once felt. Cheshire doesn't know how to calm Lilith down, because she's afraid of being abandoned. He tells Lilith that her father regretted that she was born into a family of knights. Lilith defends her father. She knows that it is not his fault. Cheshire tells her that her uncle will definitely be glad that Lilith doesn't need to go to war. Cheshire, on the contrary, is glad that he became Dos. Lilith suspects that he has a thirst for power. Cheshire is glad that Lilith won't be scolded for communicating with him. Lilith is amazed by what Cheshire said, and she is happy about it. Lilith decides to leave the academy with Cheshire and go home. Cheshire promises her that no one will hurt her now. Cheshire looks like a hero from famous novels. Lilith is worried that Enoch will treat her like an insect. Lilith bumps into someone. It turns out to be Alexei. Lilith greets her uncle joyfully. She thinks that he is glad to see her, but Alexei looks at her menacingly and asks what it is. Cheshire is ready to stand up for Lilith from her uncle. Alexei tells her that he couldn't believe all this. Alexei sternly asks her if anyone has offended her. He's not very happy that she has such a low rank, but he himself was afraid that Lilith would be persecuted for her rank. But Nicholas is no longer interested in Lilith, and she is no longer a pawn in his game. Lilith realized that the world was not such a bright place. Lilith says she has a dad, Cheshire, and an uncle. Alexei smiles when he hears Lilith's words. He strokes Lilith's head, telling her that everything will be okay. Thus comes the long-awaited moment of graduation from the academy. The announcement for the graduates comes, and they all freeze in anticipation. The Emperor cannot attend the ceremony. Lilith guesses that he is having a hard time accepting defeat. They announce Gerard and Bruce as Dosov and congratulate them. Cheshire is also congratulated on his victory. He is now Dos. Lilith is also congratulated on graduating from the academy. Our uncle Alexei decides to take all the heroes from the academy. Alexei has a rather gloomy face. Something doesn't suit him. Alexei gloomily tells Lilith that everything is fine, and she has nothing to worry about. He says that Enoch irritates him. Lilith is worried about it. He says Enoch is clearly testing his patience. He sees that many aristocrats come to pick up their children in person. For example, Gerard's father arrived and hugged his son. Lilith is happy with what she saw and decides to say hello. She sees the carriage stop and Leon get out of it. Lilith runs to the carriage. She is happy to see her brothers. The whole family came to visit Lilith and pick her up from the academy. Lilith suddenly notices something and stops her gaze. The carriage is empty. Lilith is surprised where Enoch is. Lilith asks her aunt in surprise where her dad is, and she replies that they arrived without him because Enoch didn't return home. Lilith is terrified. She is worried about her dad, who did not return home. The brothers tell her that Enoch has gone to clear out the wild animals. Lilith knows that this purge was simply necessary. Lilith realizes with sadness that Enoch is too immersed in his work. Lilith is worried about her dad and asks her family to find him, but they only smile and laugh at her, which frightens her. Nordic tells Lilith that she doesn't know her father well, and there's no need to worry about Enoch. Alexei and his sons know to worry about the magical beasts, not Enoch. So they decide to take Cheshire and Lilith home. Cheshire reassures her that nothing like that will happen. He thinks that Enoch is probably buying Lilith some kind of gift. Lilith notices someone talking in the window. Joseph has arrived, and Lilith is trying to figure out who is with him. Next to Joseph stands a pleased Bruce, which Lilith doesn't like. Lilith is horrified that Joseph decided to talk to Bruce. At this time, Enoch is lost and does not know where to go. Enoch believes he can load his own weapon. Enoch recalls that the purge took away his time to retrieve Lilith from the academy. He decides to use the cursed power and go after Lilith. He asks the priests to hurry as quickly as possible. Enoch tells them a sad story about Lilith, that he urgently needs to go to the academy and pick up his daughter. Eventually, the priests send Enoch away by opening a portal. Enoch asks the knight to inform him if there is any problem with Axion. Enoch decides to step into the portal. He wants to see his daughter. Enoch looks on in shock as he hears his princess's screams. Lilith runs up to him with wild screams. She is worried about him. She falls into his arms. She was very worried about her dad. Enoch is glad to see her again. He hugs his daughter. He cannot survive separation from her. Lilith asks Enoch if he is okay, and then Lilith hits our hero with all her might. Alexei calmly tells him that he told Lilith that he would be late. Enoch doesn't know what to say when Lilith asks him where he's been. He asks Lilith to calm down and slow down before she beats him. Enoch was a master swordsman at 16 and couldn't remember anyone caring so much about him. No one doubted his safety until Lilith appeared in his life. He knows that Lilith is a rather fragile girl. She is not fit to fight. He dives into the past, when Lilith was still a child. He asks Lilith not to worry, as everything is fine now. He consoles Lilith, saying that all the monsters are behind her. Lilith tells him that she missed Enoch very much. We are shown Enoch's house, illuminated by the crimson sunset. The Lilith brothers are thrilled that Cheshire has become Doze. Even Auntie and Nordic praise Cheshire for what he has become. But no one asks Lilith. It seems that Alexei has already told everything. Father is fussing over her again, hugging and kissing her. Enoch tells her that the rank she received does not matter to him. Lilith feels uneasy about the rank she received. Enoch asks Lilith to show him the icon. He feels something is wrong. Lilith decides to please her dad and play with her toys. She hands him a green octave badge, which is about the size of a bead. Enoch asks her in surprise whose badge it is. Enoch clutches his head in dismay. He doesn't know what to do. Enoch mutters under his breath that such a thing is completely impossible. And then Enoch gets embarrassed. He says that he has forgotten what it is like to be happy. Lilith doesn't understand what's wrong with her father. He hugs Lilith. Enoch is glad that the girl won. Enoch congratulates the girl, saying that this is her small victory. For Enoch, it doesn't matter what rank the princess has. Lilith has simply terrible thoughts in her head. Lilith is worried that the nobles will be unhappy with this state of affairs. But Lilith calms down when she looks at her dad. But then, Lilith remembers that her dad is supposed to start a revolution in the novel. Lilith, in horror, begins to tug at her father as much as her weak arms allow. Lilith tells him about the fight she got into at the academy. She tells her dad about Bruce, and he becomes gloomy when he hears his name. Lilith also tells Dad that she saw Joseph with Bruce. Lilith is afraid that Joseph will get involved with the wrong person, and all plans will go down the drain. Enoch's face darkens at Lilith's words, and he becomes truly scared. Lilith notices this look and decides to understand what is happening. Her father says that Joseph came to him himself and wants to ask Lilith something. He asks Lilith about the letters the girl wrote. Enoch resembles a cunning fox who is about to do something nasty. Enoch takes a fighting stance and speaks with her voice. Enoch tells her how the letter began. But this had no effect on Lilith. Enoch was out of luck. Lilith is in a panic. She doesn't know what to do. Lilith understands that her father had suspected her before. Lilith puts on a sweet expression and asks what he means. Enoch looks at the girl for a long time. She feels uneasy. It seems like Enoch will simply burn a hole in her at this rate. But then Enoch smiles at his own joke. He tells Lilith that he must have mixed something up. Enoch tells Lilith that Joseph then came to him and decided to befriend him. But he says that no one should know about this friendship. If Joseph's situation becomes public knowledge, the Pope will have problems with the nobles. Enoch tells her that he asked Joseph to pretend to be friends with someone else. Lilith understands that she won't deceive her father so easily. And then the two go to bed and fall asleep as usual. Day breaks and light illuminates the Rubenstein estate. We are shown a luxurious reception hosted by the Rubensteins. Lilith had to pretend for a very long time that nothing happened. Lilith pretends that everything is going as usual. Suddenly, Rico appears in a pink apron with buns. Rico tells her that security is now watching Lilith. Lilith is shocked that her affairs have become complicated. Rico tells her that Joseph has gotten involved with someone else. Lilith asks him to no longer think that everything is bad. Lilith treats Rico to new candies brought from the academy. She hands him some toffees and regular candies. Rico tells Lilith that she is being cautious as usual. Lilith finds out that Rico is also our pastry chef. But he wants to tell Lilith something, and she gets tense. Rico tells her the stunning news that Onyx wants to take his son away. He says Onyx is proud of who his son has become. Lilith is shocked. Didn't Onyx hide his son from the public? Lilith learns that the Marquis quarrels with his wife every day because of Cheshire. The Marquis wants to prove his relationship with Cheshire and gain guardianship over him. Lilith is shocked. Isn't Enoch the boy's guardian? If the biological father requests custody, he has the right to receive it. Lilith now dreams of only one thing, for Enoch to adopt Cheshire. Lilith enters her father's room. He was already looking for her. Father wants to tell her what he thinks about guardianship of Cheshire. Lilith is shocked by what her father decided, and she thinks. Enoch decides to tell his daughter everything. He says that Onyx wanted to take Cheshire. Enoch listened to him, but did not give up Cheshire. Onyx wants to take Cheshire back, because he is now proud of him. Enoch doesn't like all this. He remembers how he treated Cheshire. Enoch just wants to hit Onyx as hard as he can. Onyx falsely tells Enoch that he is grateful for his guardianship of Cheshire. Enoch is surprised that Onyx still claims Cheshire. Enoch is furious at what Onyx wants to do to Cheshire. Enoch tells Onyx that he should ask the child instead of bargaining. Enoch believes that he wants to make Cheshire's life hell. Enoch states that the child's opinion must be heard. Enoch orders Onyx to get lost and decides to talk to his family. Lilith tells Enoch that Cheshire cannot be treated this way. He is not a thing. Enoch says that if Onyx wants it that way, he is powerless to stop him. Lilith believes that this is why her father spoke to her about it. Enoch decides to first ask Lilith's opinion, because she will have a little brother. Enoch asks Lilith if she would mind having a little brother. Lilith knows that, according to the original novel, Cheshire will become her brother and Enoch's right hand in the revolution. Lilith decides not to hesitate and asks her father to adopt Cheshire. We are shown the training ground where the knights train. Lilith decides to talk to Cheshire and distract him from training. She asks Cheshire if he likes her. Lilith tells Cheshire that she likes him too. Cheshire is surprised by her offer to become family to her. Cheshire sheepishly tells Lilith that he wouldn't mind becoming her brother. But Lilith has a serious problem, and she is thinking about a solution. Suddenly, one of the knights notices Axion and greets him. Axion comes to them, who wants to formalize the adoption of Cheshire. Enoch asks Axion to take care of the design of Cheshire. Axion rudely asks where the child is, remembering the carefree Enoch. Cheshire is playing with Lilith. Something serious has happened. The knights watch Lilith and also want daughters for themselves. Lilith notices Axion and runs towards him. Lilith hugs Axion. She is very happy to see him. Lilith asks Axion what brings him here. Axion tells her that he needs to register Cheshire as Enoch's son. Axion asks Cheshire if he wants to be a swordsman. The knights interrupt their conversation, saying that Cheshire is being sought. Cheshire's father, Onyx, approaches him with a snake-like smile. Onyx asks Cheshire in an ominous tone how he is doing. Cheshire finds himself in Onyx's arms, but he himself is not happy about it.